those heroes have been a nuisance, but I do feel that Willow and Muerta have been a nuisance since the start of the road to TI until now, whereas Weaver, I mean, that hero has seen a re-emergence all of a sudden. And it's really interesting to see how the main stage meta changes everything, but all it takes usually at TI is one team to play something, make it look good, and then everybody picks up on it. And I think that's what we're seeing with Weaver, because when you think about it, the hero's pretty good against all the strong melee offlaners, right? They can't really catch him. He scales well into the late game, and he combos very well with the popular supports in the patch, like the Willow and the Grimstroke.
And it's also a flex hero. Like we've seen some teams playing it as position 4, plus also you do have a really good scaling, whether from position 1 or 2 or position 4, and also you do have a new shard, like relatively new shard that allows you to become Gyrocopter pretty much. This newer Deso build, Shikuchi, you put a mark on everybody, and suddenly you're hitting multiple people in the middle of the fight, also having Satanic, and it just feels so good. I feel like some of these heroes were coming into TI, were not considered good, but as Effie mentioned, all it takes is one team to play it, and others are like, what the hell is this? This is one of the finest creations we had.
Yeah, and I'm sure the 4 days, it was a small pool of teams that were scrimming each other too, so if one's pulling out a Weaver in the scrims, I'm sure they're like, okay, how do we deal with this? How do we make it that we could potentially pick the Weaver too? So they've had that time to adjust for themselves, and we saw a lot of Weaver and Pugna yesterday. In fact, let's have a look back on yesterday and the games that we were blessed with.
Dear God, Lord destroyed that fight. Completely dominate game number 2. The captain is there to carry the game. Oh my goodness, how much damage.
Versus Gaimin Gladiators.
Good terrorize though, coming out from Laylas. This may buy Gunnar some time to get more magnetized stacks onto Quinn. Nails him with the next rolling bogle as he tries to swashbuckle away. Locked in though by Tofu. Great spellbound, and they're going to be able to catch him in the Ravage into the hammer. The chain stunts are real, but Gunnar is somehow still alive, and he's going in with the magnetize. He's going to chase after Tofu. Tofu gets the armor room. What a turnaround. Shallow grave on somebody, they're getting these heals, they get a hand of God. It's a huge amount of burst heal. Oh, straight through the portal. There's going to be the follow-up here, though. The Tunk's going to fall in. Yamsen joins in on this as well, thanks to the Spectre. Now they're going to be able to chase down Tofu on top of that one. A lane of barracks before the 20-minute marker. Darachu is going to clean up at least Yamsen, while the others limp back to the fountain, barely alive.
As Downs will be defeated in a swift 2-0 as Gaimin show why.
Boom Team versus Virtus Pro.
There it is, Stampede run together, but the Torrent, and then into the Inkswell. That was well played, and exactly what VP needed, but then everybody dies on the other side. Oh man, that Wukong's command was devastating. On! The throne is there, it's exposed, but nobody is hitting it. Notice tries to get out, but God, they do so much damage with the rest of these heroes. Now kicking back in, the Tombstone, double Tombstone down, the throne exposed, Pure, all on top of it. Can they bring it out in time? Save! He's in the Shadow Realm and trying to end the game. The control, it's gonna be there, but they find the Hex, trying to kill him. Games, they're in it! Toronto Tokyo ends the game, and with that, boom, they are going to knock out Virtus Pro in a thrilling 87-minute game.
Team Spirit versus Team Liquid.
That skill is dead in the water. Mickey comes in with the God's He's going to be able to take out one, but that's just the Aegis. Can he take out Collapse in tow as well as the Egg is continuing to go out? Will get the stun off.
Do they need to get Spirit?
Demonic Purge onto Zai. Do they have the damage though? Is that half HP with that BKB already activated? Going in really deep. They pop the Egg with the Sunray as well. The Ravage is being expended as well. He's getting healed now from Insidia. This cow will live on. Vegans around the world rejoice. He lives. And now they're going to try to turn this around onto Yatoro. But Mickey, he's taking the brunt of the damage. That's already the Aegis down. Zai getting one more charge off. Eventually he will fall though. So beef enjoyers enjoy, but Yatoro will drop as well, so there is a trade, and it's very heavy. Yatoro is using Satanic to pick off Cursed Crown, not even caring about anybody. It's so much building damage. Already both tier 4s down to static, started putting all their efforts onto the Weaver. Lara literally ignoring everybody, along with Collapse.
see them try and start things. They get the drag back on the challenge with the skewer. Good damage here. They're able to cleanly take him out the first time round.
Pretty isolated.
See if they can go for round 2. RP straight away from nothing to say. Another skewer getting him right up into the base. Up towards the tier 3. The feed there as well. They'll be able to take him down. Xianming tried to hook shot forward to help him out, but Chalice has fallen.
Maybe gonna find
more. Hit him with a harpoon. Drag back with the skewer. They'll catch FY.
Oh, wow. I mean, those are massive catches. This is gem as well, too, picked up? I think it is.
Stevie's coming in.
There's a split.
The split is there. Shira, he's ready to dive in. They're getting aggressive on the Somnus underneath the tower, but FY's in with the snowball. Buys time for Somnus to try and survive, but the damage is done. Nothing to say. Finishes it off with the illusory orb. They'll go for FY. Stolen snowball here from Planet, closing it onto the tusk. FY caught by the stun. Further team is coming in. Challenge hits in hard with the Starbreaker over towards Shira. He's been caught by the sun. Shira's surrounded. He looks to jump out with the ultimate over the high ground. He kills on Xianming.
Is he getting out?
He's alive.
No way.
DPI, he makes it away.
And Chalice.
They get him as well. LGD take out 4. GG is called. LGD take this series 2-0, knocking Azure Ray down.
A phenomenal day one. It did see us saying goodbye to Nouns, though, and obviously Virtus Pro 2, but not before Virtus Pro were a part of the record for longest game at TI 12. So they're at least going to have a record to their name. For now, it might be beaten. And we did see Liquid falling to the lower bracket as well as Azure, so they no longer have that second lives for themselves. They're in that elimination, and they're in that do or die situation for themselves, Reza.
It's crazy to think that Liquid and Gaimin Gladiators are facing, quarterfinals of the lower bracket, and for elimination match instead of like playing in the finals like we used to see them, right, during the season. And I do think that
you've seen all the Liquid fans rolling in as well, right? This is actually all the early birds. It's just all of Liquid and Gaimin Gladiator fans.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I love the people behind us. They all were cheering for the.
I can see some Liquid signs. Yeah. We were gauging the reaction before. I was like, Liquid fans, it was pretty loud. I asked for Gaimin, and it was like maybe 80%. Okay, I thought
maybe
they were
two people for gaming.
They're on the other side.
Oh, they're on that side, you reckon?
But anyways, like I do think that Gaimin are coming to this series way more prepared because they already like won 3 series behind them, right? And for Liquid, like they're dropping from the upper bracket, so it's like it's not as easy to like from the from the losing position to like win a game, but when you're like on the streak. And for Gaimin as well, like they have this unique way of playing when they're like pushing people, and there's no other team that plays like that in this tournament.
But on the other hand, Liquid are no stranger to the lower bracket. I mean, they have made it to so many grand finals this year, running through the lower bracket. Whereas Gaimin, we tended to see them succeed just through the upper bracket. When we saw them truly tested at Riyadh, they were knocked down actually by Liquid to the lower bracket, and they didn't make it to the grand finals. So I do feel that in terms of being in this position, if there is a team that you shouldn't be concerned about in the lower bracket, it is Liquid.
We're seeing here the major results. Everyone that knows the story of the repeat, the three-peat between Gaimin Gladiators and Liquid. A story, a tale as old as time. But before we really delve too much more into this matchup, into the games that we're going to see today, we were talking about heroes, broken heroes beforehand. And we actually didn't hear from the one person I think is going to give us the most valuable information about some broken heroes, and that's Purge.
Thank you, Nat. Yeah, the hero that we didn't talk about this morning was Bristleback. He's the 4th most picked hero of the tournament with a 50% win rate. But yesterday, every single game except one, he was banned in the first phase. So the game that he did get through in LGD versus Azure, they had expectations for how to beat him, and we can take a look at some of those. Before the game even began, they blocked the camps to make sure that these couldn't be stacked. That way, when later the supports come by to get these free stacks, they say, hey, there's nothing there. That should delay when Bristleback is effective as a hero. But eventually those get dewarded by FY, which is very effectively done. That was at the 5-minute mark. But here we are at the 10-minute mark, and we already have giant stacks for him to take. Now, briefly before he clears these stacks, take a look at his net worth here. He's sitting at 4,500 net worth. By the time he clears this entire camp, he's made 1,100 gold for himself, and the gold that Shadow Demon and Experience gets, the experience and gold that he gets. So 1,100 gold catapults him to the top of the net worth chart, and this translates to this great Ags Bloodstone build. Now, this is a big highlight from yesterday. He had already lost a team fight. He runs up against the enemy squad, and his quills are doing stacking damage and he's life-stealing 75% of the damage that he's doing to enemy heroes. That was 20 quill stacks on Magnus. Each additional stack was doing 1,200 damage. And at the end of the game, right before they lost it with the Bristleback, despite a great performance here, Shiro ends up going for the kill. He uses his Silver Edge here to break him, but unfortunately it procced on the Weaver instead. And then he utilized his ultimate here. This makes him ethereal, so he can't take physical damage. Watch how many stacks of quills he gets while he tries to kill this guy. 32 stacks. Oh, he's not done yet. More. 43 stacks on Bristle before he finally kills him. Each quill would have done 2,600 damage there if he wasn't immune to damage from his ultimate. So it takes a lot to beat this hero. It is very strong, and we are definitely going to see it banned at some point today.
Thank you so much, Purge. I mean, 42 quill stacks there. Actually, I take it back. Maybe the audience is here for Purge and not for the teams at all. That's a big old cheer for him. Our schedule for today, we talked about it, starting off with Liquid versus Gaimin Gladiators. We might have seen this matchup a bunch of times. That's normally in the grand finals. It's going to be followed by another elimination match. It's Azure against BetBoom. We're going to shift to the upper bracket, that Team Spirit LGD. See who's going to be making it to the grand final tomorrow. And then our final series will be yet another, our third elimination match of the day, between whoever wins in those two first series there.
Yeah, all bangers without a doubt, but the one I'm looking forward the most is Team Spirit against LGD Gaming, because these two teams have really long history together. Every single time they meet, you know that top tier Dota is guaranteed. You know that like they're going to be pushing the limits with the heroes, with the drafts that they're going to come into that series, and also like this is a TI-10 rematch pretty much of the grand final. So really looking forward to that one.
There's a lot of back and forth between those two teams since TI-10 as well, because we had Riyadh last year between them as well, Arlington Major between them as well. So yeah, it extends. It's a pretty lengthy history.
For sure, and the Arlington Major definitely had TI-10 vibes in the sense that it felt like LGD could have won it at some point. It was a 3-1 if I recall, but they were playing so dominantly in the first two games and just draft choked, which was the story of them since TI-10 up until now. But it seems like they fixed a lot of their stubbornness that they had in drafting. So I'm sure that Zhao Aid has a bone to pick with Spirit. Like if there is a series that he prepared for the entirety of this tournament, it is this one. They have a lot to prove, and I'm just excited to see it happening. But something else I also wanted to comment on is the winner of the first series of the day is going to play again during the fourth series of the day.
Yeah.
That is exhausting. That is a position that might be very difficult for either GG or Liquid. So I'm really curious to see how fatigue plays into today as well.
If you're in that position, Rizzo, would you rather be a part of the first series, getting a 2-series break and playing the fourth, or being a part of the second series, having a 1-series break and playing the fourth?
And that's not that big of a difference,
Oh,
right?
really?
But I mean, usually playing second and then the last is better, because like there's a little break and you can just like chill a bit, meditate, and get your things together, and then go for the next series as well.
How many of them do you think are meditating in that time?
I don't think a lot of players actually using that power, to be honest. Like I only know that you know, Jarex, like the guys from the past OG were doing that, but for nowadays, like I don't know how much of the Liquid are doing that, or like gaming. I mean, I think gaming should be doing that, because like Tofu looks like a guy who
he looks pretty zen.
Yeah, he looks pretty zen.
In the booth the other day,
celery.
he was looking pretty chill, you know, summoning his
We
inner
were having
strength
a
for good 30
debate. We were
seconds.
having a debate over whether that was meditation or if he's like, I don't like this hero, I don't like this draft, what are we doing?
He did look like he was in physical pain, or maybe he was just really sleepy. But Tofu does look like the kind of dude who'd eat, pray, love in India or something, you know? Like he'd go
He
on
went
vacation,
around.
find himself, bring his teachings to Dota. He's the type for sure.
He's going to ground all of Gaimin Gladiators. Well, we can continue this conversation, but first, let's hear more about Gaimin Gladiators, and we have a video piece on them that we get to watch right now.
I've been playing games throughout my whole life, whether it was on Game Boy, consoles, eventual computer, like all due to my older brother and his friends that I just watched. I wanted to play and I got into it. I was backpacking throughout Asia for a year, and I saw some poster of TI and some public viewing in the city. So I showed up there, and there's all of, I don't know, 1,000 people, and I was like the only white dude walking in, so everyone was looking at me. People were like getting interested. I bought a laptop there. I started playing on a laptop. Then at some point back home in Germany, started studying. I'm like playing from the kitchen table or lying down in my bed. And eventually when they introduced the DPC leagues, I was like, Div 2? I can do Div 2. And then, I don't know, I eventually got ambitious and wanted to prove whether I can make it or not.
He's still alive, but not for much longer. Eventually he will fall to Tofu.
I started grinding into top 100, getting into games with pro players, eventually making contacts, friends.
The golem comes down on / cutting on through though. GG's are called, and the series will go to the Hellbear Smashers.
My first team was Hellbear Smashers back then.
Get Tofu though, watch Tofu, watch Tofu.
But I don't know, it's not really real if you're not playing against a real and big competition. From watching TI is like filled of hype and emotion, and you see these teams with like fireworks winning and sad teams losing, the whole spectrum of emotions you get with like eventually people lifting the ages and me at home at the screen watching, like shredding tears. Like it's so intense that you really wish to experience the same, like to be there. For me, actually making it there now is an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything else, and I'm really glad that I made it to the main stage, and I hope that I get the chance to lift the ages.
He didn't talk about meditation, whether Tofu's won meditation, but he's been able to come on the main stage. He was playing yesterday. It was a very quick 2-0, and one step closer to be able to have that dream fulfilled for himself of lifting the Aegis. But I don't want to talk about Gaimin Gladiators too much more. I kind of want to shift a little bit more onto Liquid and how we see them as a team, maybe what their mental is coming into this one, going from lower bracket and shifting, going from upper bracket and shifting into lower bracket now.
They broke the curse. I mean, nobody beats Team Liquid 17 times in a row. This is what Insania tweeted after they managed to beat them at Riyadh Masters, dropping them down to lower bracket. But yeah, I mean, Team Liquid, they were always like strong mentally as a team, having Blitz as a coach who does a lot of things for the team. And I'm not too worried about them. They showed that they can play some really good Dota, and even under the pressure. I mean, the sad thing about Team Liquid is they could have been the best team throughout the 2023 if somehow Gaimin Gladiators didn't show up as strong.
I just realized we might have the inverse, per se, of Riyadh. So Talon put Gaimin Gladiators into the lower bracket. Now Liquid might knock them out, whereas Riyadh, Liquid put them into the lower bracket and Talon knocked them out. So maybe there's a little bit of scar tissue as well for Gaimin Gladiators when it comes to this matchup.
I mean, for sure, Liquid are the team that is showing up like the best when they're, you know, against the wall already. It's like when there's a high pressure, this is when they start playing like really well. So I'm not gonna be surprised that they're gonna take this series super easy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them last year not qualifying through DPC points, only to make it through the last chance qualifier, only to make it to third place at TI. I mean, they are no strangers to pressure. They are no strangers to this kind of environment. So I'm not worried about their mental state. I'm just worried about the matchup itself, because it feels like of all the teams that they could encounter in the lower bracket, Gaimin Gladiators is the one that knows them in and out. But I guess the inverse can be said for Gaimin, where Liquid knows them really well, but there's also just the mental burden of having such a bad track record versus them this year.
And the thing is, at one point they were going to have to face off against each other, whether it was in this round of the lower bracket, the next round, or even the grand finals. These two teams were destined, with how this bracket has played out, that they were going to meet again, Lacoste.
Yeah, coming into this tournament, we thought that the whole year was pretty much scripted because how it worked out throughout the whole year. But eventually, like, this is the final boss that Team Liquid was preparing to face throughout the whole year. So now it's their time.
All right, we heard the horn there. Everyone in the arena getting excited. It does mean that our day is going to start. That's right, day number 2 of our finals weekend here in Climate Pledge Arena. We have 4 best of 3s, and the first one is going to begin now.
It is a beacon, sounding a call to greatness that echoes worldwide. A crucible, forging a single contender worthy of rising above the very best. And a celebration, gathering a community of millions to witness history unfold. It is the International, the final proving ground, where the world's finest Dota teams assemble to face each other in the ultimate test. Each challenger has earned this honor through hard-fought victories in matchups around the globe. The journey has tested some more than others. But the favorites and underdogs all know the road to the Aegis defies all prediction. And anyone can carve a new legacy here. The Aegis of Champions returns to Seattle, and with it the eyes of the world. 6 teams compete for ultimate glory. Only one can seize immortality. Who will emerge victorious? The battle begins.
Gaimin Gladiators, are you guys ready for some Dota? Is my panel ready to start our first series?
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see any more of these games today. Oh my God.
Well, you don't
Bring
have to
it in.
wait much longer because we're going to welcome our first team to the stage.
Gaimin Gladiators!
A lot of fans, a lot of expectations for this team, a matchup that they know so well. They're walking out here on the stage. Their lower bracket run has been unstoppable so far. They are on track to make it to the finals, but first they have to come up against Liquid, and we need to bring Liquid to the stage.
Team Liquid!
Oh, that is a loud, cheerful Liquid. They're going to be hearing that as they are walking out on stage. They're going to be taking their positions at the booth after a rough day for them yesterday, losing that series to Team Spirit. They are 5 players that we know are able to bounce back, and bounce back they're going to have to if they want to see their run at TI continue. Effie, this matchup, we're going to hype it up a little bit more, and we're going to try and break it down some more as well.
I mean, this is the El Clasico of this year. It's always been Liquid versus Gaimin, Gaimin versus Liquid. It's just been, people start to think there's a script, right? There's something going on behind the scenes, because how could this happen so often? But this is unprecedented at TI for both of these teams. Not at TI, just throughout the year in general, for these teams to meet in the lower bracket. It's always one of them making an upper bracket run, facing the other, but I mean, this time around, it's different. It's a different kind of pressure. They're not just fighting for the finals, they're fighting to stay in the tournament. So this means a lot for both of them.
It is an elimination match. It's that lower bracket for themselves, so I'm sure there's not going to be that much experimentation happening, but I do have to ask that question of how much change-up is there going to be, Lacoste, for a draft, for a playstyle, because the tempo of Gaimin Gladiators against Nouns yesterday was really high-paced. They were closing out those games between the 20 to 30-minute mark, whereas most other people were taking it 50-plus minutes. Does something like that work against Liquid?
This is their bread and butter. This is how they played throughout the whole year pretty much, and they decided to speed it up when they started to play against 9 Pandas. You mentioned the Noun series as well. The key hero in those series was Chen. 3 out of 4 games, this is how Celery made the name for himself, playing Enchantress mostly, but these are similar type of the heroes, these lane dominators, and now he's buying auras on Chen, coming online super fast. We've seen these healing strats coming out from Gaimin Gladiators, and Team Liquid, they will need to figure it out how to match this tempo.
I think the Chen is gonna be banned in this series, so they're gonna need to find replacements for that playstyle to work, to keep working. They need to find some maybe Dazzle, some maybe Vengeful Spirit, some other heroes to replace the Chen and keep building the source and keep having that ball, that Dash ball that Liquid need to be stopping.
And you can't forget about the Enchantress too. That is a Celery specialty, and they they can play on a tempo like that. They can also just accentuate it with these aura heroes. As I mentioned, the Vengeful Spirit is something that can carry an aura. It can also just be some, pipe buyer from the offlane like Tidehunter. We did see them run that yesterday versus Nouns as well. So there are a lot of ways to play into that tempo draft. But honestly, Gaimin Gladiators can also play into the late game. This isn't something that these teams are strangers to. If you play competitively in this patch, you are regularly playing these 60-minute games, and you've gotten used to it by now.
I feel like it used to be late game was this anomaly. People didn't really know how to play it because games were very rarely getting there, whether it was in scrims, whether it was officials or anything like that. But now we're seeing it more frequent. So I think teams are understanding the patience and the maneuvers that need to occur when it comes to late game. And we talked a lot about Celery trying to ban out some of his comfort heroes, and that's tough. If you're trying to put that much focus on a POS 5, it begs the question of what's going to get through. And Lacoste, we already mentioned about this Pugna. Do you think it's going to be highly contested between these two teams?
Potentially. I mean, probably there's a lot of talks coming into this series about Pugna because he really shined throughout yesterday, and Team Liquid, they did not play it at all, but I mean, Insania did play it yesterday, that's my bad, but they understand how strong the hero is. He's a lane dominator, makes a lot of things very difficult, like he's a snowball hero, and also like CY. This guy, he's cooking up some really cool drafts for Gaimin Gladiators, and I can see why they decided to pick him up at the start of the year.
Do you think CY has the answers to a Pugna, Rizzo?
I mean, I'm sure he does, but I didn't like that really big and wide
yawn from
Blitz. I don't know what's that about. Like if Xiao 8 was there...
He was up watching the late show, you know?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
If Xiao 8 was there, he would tell him to go watch his face right there.
The thing about Pugna is I feel that this hero was in the meta last year during the Arlington Major, to the point where he's been solved and how teams should already have an idea of how to play against it. Now, I see Pugna being very effective in this meta because you have a lot of these tanky blade mail heart buyers that go in first, and outside of your spell kit and your laning being so strong, the life drain sustain is not something to be scoffed at, but a lot of the teams have already gotten used to playing these Shakers mid, these Earth Spirits mid, these Kunkas mid. Any kind of hero that can make sure Pugna's disrupted in the backline can easily be worked into a draft. So I feel like in terms of solutions, both of these teams should already have an idea and not be very scared of it. The things to be really afraid of, I believe, are the Spirit Vigor, the Bristleback, the Muerta, the things that have been plaguing us since the start of the road to TI.
I was trying to think outside the box of, the other things that aren't always the stock standard that we're being seen, but you're right, you can't overlook those ones either, and we can't overlook these stats between Liquid and Gaimin Gladiators. Their winning game time was pretty similar. It's very close, and I don't know if that's just now Gaimin Gladiators having a lower average from yesterday's series, or Team Liquid's average going up because of yesterday's series.
I mean, I think these two teams are very aggressive in the way that they play, but the difference between them is usually Gaimin Gladiators drafts usually have like some way of killing towers faster, and like those timings are coming like way sooner. Like they would take the map from the Liquid sooner than Liquid would, be able to take the map from them.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were going to keep going there, Reza.
No.
But no, you were right, and that's why I asked earlier whether the tempo that Gaimin Gladiators brought would be able to match up to this one. But what do you think the conversation is in the booth right now, Lacoste, between either team?
Oh, the headset's not working apparently, so I think that's.
Can you lip read? Can you lip read?
I can make stuff up. It's like, yeah, the fabric is too soft, and we can.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to deal with their tech problems right now, but probably I think they're thinking about how they're going to play that tempo style you talked about, Nat, the early game aggression. So I think the carries that they're eyeballing are the Chaos Knight and the Weaver for Duraccio especially. I'm sure that Liquid know that in advance. I mean, CK has been banned out almost consistently for yesterday. We even had Aoi come in panel and say that he thinks that's the most valuable hero of this TI, is that CK. So you're looking at the CKs and the Weavers, but now you also have to think about the Bristlebacks that you can't let that man slip through. And then of course there's a Spirit Breaker. There are so many heroes right now at this stage of TI that have to be solved in the first phase that you can't really solve them all.
You're talking about the Chaos Knight, very valuable point. Let's actually talk about carries. Let's start with Liquid's carry, Mickey, right? He loves that Chaos Knight. You already talked about it, why it's constantly being banned out for him. And this is some of the stats of what he has so far for TI this year. And he is in the top 4 for a lot of them, Reza.
Yeah, he loves to take buildings. It's 175,000 damage. I mean, this guy, he's like very similar to Dyrachyo. He's playing very aggressive. He's more of a like he takes more of a position 1 approach more than Dyrachyo, but like still they're very similar in terms of like how active they are and like how they're finding these little pickoffs and like setting the tempo for their team.
It really depends which heroes he's playing, because Mickey can be super explosive. He tends to join early on whenever he plays this Weaver, plays Spectre as well, CK. It's all about the timings. I think Team Liquid also has general, like one of the best teams in the world to understand how they're going to hit their timings. And I think Mickey plays a crucial part of that.
And also, it's just where Mickey farms on the map, right? He farms very aggressively, which is something Dyrachyo is no stranger to, because Dyrachyo's always pushing out waves he shouldn't be pushing out, and it works for Gaimin, but I don't feel like Liquid operate in the same way, where if Mickey dies in a really dangerous place, they benefit from it. Because what comes to mind is their series versus Spirit yesterday when he was playing Spectre. It looked like that game was theirs, to be honest, but Spirit had a sequence where they got a Roshan, they got a good fight, but then they found a pick on Spectre farming on their side of the map near their twin gate. And I just don't feel like Liquid can get away with carry deaths like that in the same way, because Gaimin have operated throughout the entire year playing, like taking advantage of space of carry deaths like that, having their win conditions be assigned to different heroes, whereas in Liquid it is Mickey who is the win condition.
Well, we're comparing a little bit of stats. This is Dyrachyo here, the Gaimin Gladiators carry, comparing the two of them. Does anything else stick out for you there, Rezo, with those stats?
I mean, he's, as you can see, like Mira was talking about, he's not playing that crucial role in that team because like he's kind of like a playmaker for them, and the ace is like usually the carry type, or like they have way more even split between all of the cores. Like as for Liquid, it's a bit different. It's yeah.
Yeah, that comparison, not the stats one, but that you're talking about how valuable Mickey's deaths are and sort of how okay Gaimin Gladiators are with Dyrachyo deaths. Their hero pools are actually quite similar though. So they're playing similar heroes, but the way that everything else is formed around these is that key that you're talking about. But the Chaos Knight is similar between them, the Spectre, the Weaver, the Sven. What else kind of comes up there? The Lifestealer
is the big one, I would say, because Gaimin Gladiators, when they played against Nouns, they really did a good job camouflaging their draft, like which heroes are going to go where, because they didn't have the last pick in that series, and also they wanted to secure the late game. You already had Dazzle, you already had this Lone Druid, which Ace is very familiar playing from the offlane, so. And 23rd pick, Alchemist, they wanted to secure the late game. We talked about tempo coming out from the Gaimin Gladiators, but they also want to have something prepared if the game goes post 40 minutes, but I mean, we've seen a lot of games post 60 minutes at this TI, so they're no strangers to it.
And those 60-minute games, that's where the scaling supports come in. I mean, as this TI has progressed, we've seen the importance of having supports that carry you into the late game and don't just buy utility items like the Willow and Phoenix.
We'll see if any of those come out as our draft, but game one is going to happen now.
Team Liquid versus Gaimin Gladiators. Game 1.
All of our tech issues are sorted, the fabric fixed on Boxy's headset over there for him, Lacoste. And so now we're going to see this draft. We'll see what is going to be hotly contested between these two teams and what's going to be let through. Ancient Apparition, definitely no real surprise there. They want to build themselves up to pick a tanky hero for themselves on the side of Gaimin Gladiators, and Liquid love picking AA for Insania.
Yeah, it's very interesting what teams are gonna be leading through, and like what do they have already prepared, because like you need to understand how to beat that hero during the draft and in the game. Like you need to have a plan, like, you know, Purge showed us like how do you go on the triangle, how you block the camps for Bristleback, for example. I know for a fact that Zai is like if they let Bristleback ever through, Zai would be the guy who's like calling, you know, we need to kill this Bristleback 10 times so he doesn't have a game, so he doesn't have that, you know, tankiness ability to be annoying in the game. So I'm really curious like what it's gonna look like in this draft.
10 seconds remaining.
And the Primal Beast and CK taken out, it feels like you cannot give away Primal Beast to either of these teams, not just because of the really valuable players that play between mid and off lane, but just because of what it does in terms of tempo. I mean, that is going to be the story of this game. Both of these teams are aggressive. They don't like to sit back and farm. And the CK being the aggressive carry we talked about, like Ali mentioned, he thinks it's the highest value carry of the patch. can honestly see why. But when you ban this Ancient Apparition out, you're basically indicating that you want to open with either Bristle or CK, so Liquid just take it out. It makes a lot of sense here.
I think Weaver is going to be the first big material for these teams because they both enjoy it a lot.
Muerta, Weaver, most definitely, because both of these heroes are flexible enough, and if you're not addressing them as carries, you're putting way too much pressure just by first facing these two heroes. And also the pairing I really like, something that we've seen yesterday quite a lot, was this Grimstroke plus Weaver, where you can't really kill the Swarm, you can't kill the Phantom, it deals ton of damage. Most of these tanky offlaners are melee ones, so two range heroes against them, you do have enough damage, and there's Muerta straight away.
And we almost exclusively saw Weaver yesterday with Grimstroke, I believe. I don't think I saw him being run without it.
I think
yeah, they usually follow up with the Grimstroke for this Weaver.
Maybe once, but something
Azure had one game without it.
Okay.
That was the first one.
Okay. Something interesting about that is New, after LGD beat Azure Ray, he was asked about Weaver by Dove, and he said that he doesn't think that you can just pick Weaver and win the draft. He doesn't feel like CK in that sense. He says that if you're picking Weaver, you have to draft around it. It doesn't just auto-win games.
Look, there we go. We talked about it. The Pugna, we talked about it in the pre-show. We talked about it just before we saw draft as well. And Liquid is straight up going to yonk it for themselves. That's going to be their overall first pick.
What I like to see paired with Pugna usually is, so this Pugna can be flexed to mid, which is something very, very cool. I mean, I know that Thompson loves to do it. He does it all the time, but Pugna just really elevates when he's paired with something like a Centaur. And Centaur plus Pugna is one of the strongest lanes that we've seen this TI, and if you can pressure the safe lane to that extent, it opens up so much of the game for your team.
I think the other offlane duo that can pretty much do the same thing is Muerta plus Centaur. Also, the hero pairing feels really good, and also Dawnbreaker plus Tusk. These are my favorite combinations of the offlaners at this TI because it seems unbeatable. You're playing against those lanes, it seems like you're just going to straight up lose it.
It also feels like when you have Pugna on the enemy team, you need to have some kind of jump to, find him in the fights, because otherwise it's going to be really tough to fight around it. And the heroes I would be looking at is like Earth Spirit, Puck, maybe Ember Spirit, but Ember Spirit is not really in the meta.
Yeah, even Shaker, Kunga, Pango, all of Quinn's hero pool right now, I think it operates very well versus Pugna.
True.
Dark Willow was the ban though for themselves. A little bit worried about that flex potential as well.
Oh, for sure, for sure. The flex potential of Dark Willow as a carry makes it so that she can play against Muerta, right? There is something conceptually here where Muerta ulti is and Dark Willow just Shadow Realms, and that's a lower cooldown than Muerta's ulti. So she fares very well against Muerta as a carry, but it's also just her ability as a support to do so much damage and enable lanes that you're afraid of too.
The bans are so thorough. Like every single ban of it, like it just makes so much sense the way I'm looking at it. Like people are just so they know each other so well that they know like for sure what they're gonna like expect and
okay.
And
So you're thinking that even off the back of the Brew one, the Brew ban?
I think so. Yeah.
Why is that?
The Brewmaster is like it's one of those heroes that disrupt the fight and like can go on the backline and like find this Pugna and or like find the Muerta, and it's just like a very strong laner as well in this current meta.
And they banned Chen. We talked about this hero being super popular in the last couple of series that Gaimin Gladiators did play, which leaves Enchantress in the pool. Also, you do have the spell mechanic against the Cripify, so you can focus down those heroes. Muerta doesn't have a problem with that, but other heroes might seem to have throughout the game, and also removing one of the saves from this Pugna could be crucial, so definitely looking for Enchantress inside of Gaimin Gladiators.
Also, the Night Stalker is a very good pickup for both teams as well. I think people are showing it way more nowadays because it's one of those here that showing you the whole fight and get on top of supports very easily.
I do like the small rise of Night Stalker that we had yesterday as well. Here we didn't really touch too much on, but he is there. He got picked up in 2 games?
2 games, yeah.
2 games
I think
yesterday.
Spirit played it and LGD played it.
Yes, they're the 2 that are.
He's really good against all of these heroes that are very elusive, these Pugnas, Weavers, Dark Willows, Muertas, so he can get on top of them. And we also, something that Effie mentioned, is these supports, they're not buying into support items anymore. They want to be scaling because the games are longer, so you're not going to see those 4 staffs, and then Night Stalker is going to shine in those fights. Pugna, on the other side, he is that type of a hero that doesn't scale as much with the items, but he's buying those defensive items, those Glimmer Caves, those 4 staffs, so you at least have something covered.
They really thought about this second pick. I mean, maybe they were debating between the Centaur and this Weaver. They didn't want to give either away potentially, but they just placed the higher priority on the Weaver. But I mean, if I'm going by what I saw from Azure Ray yesterday and what Niu said, you have to draft around this Weaver. I feel like if you can take away one of its combos, if you can take away the Grim, or you can take away any kind of, you know, tanky frontliner that supports it, like a Centaur, or potentially even an Earth Spirit, then Weaver is playing from a disadvantage.
I like the center for gaming now because it lanes very well against Fever. As soon as you get to Vanguard, you kind of like become untouchable in that lane.
And you have to take it away too, right?
Yeah.
But they're
I like
also
their position.
thinking about it because they probably had another idea of this Muerta.
It's either Tidehunter or Centaur, right, on that spot.
One of the reasons why I love Centaur so much is because you can protect your Muerta with the Stampede, and you can also run away from Weaver relatively easy. And also, Stampede really good against Muerta. You run away, and then you can disengage, come back into a fight when her ulti is off. So, good call there.
If they take the Grim here and this, I mean, so Liquid were debating the Centaur for themselves, right? But if they can take the Centaur and the Grim away from this Weaver and this Pugna, it just feels, it feels like the Weaver pick would be incorrect here.
I think Ench is more suitable for them, right? Like it's more of a celery hero and it's left in the pool, and it gives them these auras and like still like push potential for these two heroes to shine.
Yeah, I feel like if you pick the Grim, it's almost showing that the Muerta probably will be pos 1 and that you're going to have a different pos 4. It's going to be that Grim because you're right. Celery likes Enchantresses, loves Phoenixes as well for himself.
Phoenix is pretty cool overall, like in this current meta, but Liquid lineup doesn't really have that that beefy course. So there's not a lot of purpose for Phoenix yet. Maybe it's gonna happen, you know, within next picks. But for this time, like Weaver is like one of the best heroes to actually kill the egg as well.
I agree entirely. I think a BKB Weaver just runs at the Phoenix egg and he keeps Geminate attacking. He double attacks the egg. He has the move speed to make it. So if he eggs on a certain part of the fight, he tastes his way towards it.
Well, they want to speed things up on their side. A little bit of extra tower damage coming out. We saw Mickey that his Luna is very fearsome in that graphic. And this also means that position 4 Weaver is coming out, so they need something in front. Like, these are all relatively squishy heroes. If you get on top of them, these heroes are going to die.
I do think flexing the Weaver to 4 was a good idea here because they didn't get the heroes that would have enabled it in the draft to play an explosive kind of game, right? And Luna is a traditional carry that counters the Centaurs and the Tidehunters and the Timber Saws of the offlane. She has really high damage, she out-CSs them, and she provides consistent damage output throughout the game where their HP isn't that much of an issue.
They needed some, like, low cooldown catch against this Centaur because X marks the spot really works well against the Stampede, so that's a good one. I was thinking about, you know, maybe some offlaners like Mars that could pop into the meta. These heroes are banned against teams like Team Spirit, but yeah, looking at 2 heroes from the offlane for Team Liquid, unless they want, I mean, it's a still flex pick for them, this Kunkka, they can put it on the offlane, but I'm mostly looking at some of the beefier offlaners like Tidehunter and maybe even Dawnbreaker, just that you have that extra heal, and it's a strong lane when paired up with Weaver.
Also, the cool thing about this Kunkka is that he counters the traditional Quinn jump heroes that would have made Pugna's life difficult. So instead, they go for the Quinn Necrophos. I mean, having your eyes on this Kunkka may be enough to just enable this Necro pick to come out in the second phase.
Oof, this is a big one. Necro has been banned most of the time. The way they started the group stage was, I believe they were playing against 9 Pandas or Virtus Pro, and they played Necro 2 times in a row. This is like, he's really good at the hero.
I mean, you can still technically flex this Kunkka to the offlane, but you don't have to reveal your cards until Liquid, until the very end. When a Kunkka got flexed to the offlane yesterday versus Bedboom, they just had their Monkey King follow it around and they countered it. But Liquid are in a position where they don't have to reveal their hand. If they don't want Kunkka to tank this matchup versus Necro, they can throw him in the offlane, but they also have last pick.
I think that's pretty much mandatory right now because you want to have some magical damage coming up in the mid lane. Lina has been banned out. I think the other one could be Invoker because of the dispel mechanic. You can caught people off guard during, you know, one of the better heroes overall against Muerta when she uses her ulti and doesn't have BKB on is this long duration tornado coming out from Invoker where you can buy like good 2-3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm sure Invoker is gonna be banned here. I wonder if we're gonna see some unique heroes like Arc Warden or Tinker are gonna be picked up like for Nisha this time because it's like been historically good against Necrophos, but I'm not sure if they're, you know, thinking about it or looking for it. they already have a solid lineup though, so they can pick whatever they want for Nisha. That is, you know, it's gonna have a good lane against Necro.
I want to circle back around while we're waiting for this last band to talk more about this pose for Weaver. You talked, Effie, how building it up, you need a really good combo. You need a good pairing for it, and that's how it's going to make it work as a pose 1. But now as a pose 4, what is his impact without one of those combos as well?
That's a great question. So I think what Weaver provides to lineups that have Luna are very early rush, right? Because Luna tends to group up with her team, with her auras, and Weaver provides that damage reduction with the Storm. He's also a vision hero, so when he attaches his insects to these backline heroes like Muerta and Phoenix, you can always have your eyes on them. Also, now you have the Vessel Buyer on your team that you didn't have before, which is going to be great damage versus a Centaur. So the hero can definitely do a lot, but he does suffer from the issues of not having the traditional support spells in terms of any kind of disable or any kind of save unless you buy the Aghanim Scepter, which is an out-of-meta item for Weaver, to be honest. But he does a lot in terms of damage amplification and vision.
5 seconds.
Smoker is left in the pool, so probably Nisha is gonna choose that one because he loves the hero every time he has an opportunity to have, and that's the hero I was looking for. Oh my god! But I usually suggested it against Weaver as a core, but against Luna it's not as hot, you know. But it's still like it pleases me to see that Durachi is thinking about these aggressive cores and like thinking outside of the box because people are usually not looking for it.
They ran a healing strat yesterday when they played, and look at the amount of healing that they have. This Necro, Phoenix, Sunray, Bloodseeker as well. This is going to be like, I'm seeing problems for Team Liquid. Their damage output, it's not there. This is position 5 Pugna we're talking about. They might shift Pugna to a mid lane now that there is, you know, Necro in the pool, that Necro has been picked. But yeah, I feel like Gaimin Gladiators, that they got whatever they wanted in this one. This is the type of a draft that they expected to come up with, and they got the good heroes.
And a cool aspect of this Bloodseeker that we didn't touch up on is that it's a hero that can control this Pugna, right? Nat, you mentioned earlier that this hero's stocks have risen up, and how you control Pugna is with that backline jump. But a Bloodseeker can rupture him and silence him and just get on top of him because the rest of Gaimin's heroes don't really do that right now. And there's the Invoker that you talked about, Reza.
Yeah, there's an Invoker, and I mean this lineup, Gaimin Gladiators are not going to be able to push the Liquids because like there's no really mechanics to like go in the towers easily. So Liquid is going to be the one team that's pushing Gaimin Gladiators this time.
Okay, with seeing all the lineups now, before we saw that last pick, Lacoste, you thought Gaimin Gladiators had the better lineup, but who has Exodia out of the two teams now?
I would still say Gaming because they got all the boxes covered pretty much. They have carry that comes online super fast, and looking forward to see what they're going to do with the Bloodseeker.
Alrighty, we've talked about this draft. We're going to hear some words though from the coach of Liquid. It's Blitz and Slacks.
Thank you so much. Yes, my friends, I am here with Blitz Dota, the crowd obviously loving you guys and hoping for your best. How do you feel about that draft so far, boss?
I feel pretty good. I think we got some stuff we wanted. They got some stuff they wanted. Hopefully we don't lose in like 20 minutes.
I hope so as well. Now, Gaimin Gladiators, one of the most aggressive teams left in the tournament. They really value those laning stages. Now, what did you guys prioritize in your draft to kind of strip that power away from them?
I think we tried to make sure that we had a lot of flex in our draft, so that's why like Zai's playing our Kunkka and stuff like that, and you know that's ultimately what brings it all back together.
Absolutely. Luna, not the most successful hero at the tournament so far. Haters gonna hate, but was your team able to pick such a dynamic hero, you know, kind of shake off yesterday's losses?
Yeah, I noticed you're making a lot of Taylor Swift references.
I'm not.
No, I think I honestly forgot the question because I was really just trying to catch those.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, we'll go over to game 1, Tourcasters.
For the final time this season, we're going to have Team Liquid versus Gaimin Gladiators. It has happened 12 different times this season. This is going to be lucky number 13, I suppose. And it's the first time that these two teams have faced up against each other in an elimination match that is not the finals.
New territory?
Is
that what you're saying? I mean, personally, I've never seen this matchup before, like you were saying, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is a crowd favorite for sure as we get our hands back on a major final matchup that has been repeated so many times, but like you said, never for elimination in a tournament that matters as much as this one right here. It's really going to be for everything. No other matchup between these teams really matters at this point, right? It all comes down to this. It's a question of how much have you learned over the course of the year about each other? How much can you put it to use when it counts? And how many voice lines can you spam?
As you can see from the chat, Will line already coming out, and the little bit of all chat with these two teams know each other very, very well. They matched in every single major finals this year, and they matched up against each other in Riyadh, though that was an upper bracket match where Team Liquid, you know, they finally managed to get one over the Gaimin Gladiators team. They finally got there, but can they continue that with elimination on the line, shaking off a loss against Team Spirit especially? I mean, that had to be a bit of a rough one, because not only did Team Spirit, in some ways I think, prove that they're still the better team to Team Liquid, but they also managed to do it in like sort of comeback fashion. Liquid probably feels like they could have won that series, you know?
At the same time, Liquid looked better against them than, I mean, almost any other team has in recent history, right? I think Spirit are being humble, and they're saying they haven't only played eliminated teams, but damn, they look scary. So if you can compete with them, you're competing with the top 3 at the tournament, and that bodes well for your potential lower bracket run here, as both these teams are in the lower bracket. Still surprising me, but here we are. Upper bracket for bitches, indeed, as they're going to try and prove everybody wrong and seal the deal. I like this draft. I think this draft's very interesting. I think both teams got a lot of what they wanted, as Blitz was mentioning. I think Gaimin, they got their Necro counter pick, but they don't get it last year, which means Nisha has an opportunity to respond. I think they have tools to deal with the Necro with the Dispels, the Vessel from Invoker, and a lot of physical burst damage coming in later off the Bug and the Luna Aura going through in the nighttime. Gotta remember that. You're contesting 6 and 8 and 10-minute power runes against Gaimin. You have to bring everybody those runes. You have to be able to fight them. Luna helps you do that with a pretty damn good amount compared to almost any other carry. I expect a lot of clash around the mid lane here, and I expect that to have it happen fast, swift, and
here
strong.
It comes. Bounty runes out the field. Immediately, Liquid are going to try and battle Gaimin Gladiators, but it's going to be Insania who's looking close to dying first. Tofu, he barely managed to live long enough. Holds on so Quinn can claim that coveted first blood. And even Boxy, who does have the Shikuchi, yes, but they have the Bloodseeker. They see him, but they can't hit him, at least not yet.
He's just going to have to suicide, though, I think. I don't know if you can play the lane with this little regen. The upside for Liquid, you give Quinn first blood here, but you did drain a lot of mana off him, and...
Okay, managed to dodge the dead shot, but again, still the vision from the Bloodseeker allows them to claim a second kill of the game. So not only did they get a 2-for-1 there, but they also managed to get the first blood, and they also walked away with even bounty runes. So big win for Gaimin Gladiators right out the gate.
Nice way to start the lane, especially when you have Bloodseeker. Any of these types of trades, you set the equilibrium up in a way where people are already missing regen or they come to lane half HP. Dyrachyo is going to be very happy about that, and this is a lane where he can just dominate, I think. Kunkka's not going to pose too much of a threat on him. I mean, you're building up some attrition with, you know, Tidebringer going through, but Bloodseeker's just going to heal through all of it. So I kind of expect Gaimin's laning phase to be incredibly strong here. And I think it's going to become a question of where can Liquid make the moves with their supports, gain some momentum back, and hopefully get Nisha activated. Because I think if this Invoker has a really good first 15 minutes, he can take a lot of this early game over. I mean, the mana burn is going to be a problem for Quinn. The Tornado is going to be a problem for the Ghost Shroud. And a fast Vessel in this game to negate a lot of the healing could just win you some of these team fights with the back of, like, good Ghost Ship, Torrent Storm in the mid game, especially with Luna Aura coming through on all of it. It's a very strong 5-man group up from Liquid if they can get it going.
Yeah, Nisha starts off really strong. It's 4 denies already and a lot of damage onto the Necro. If he can keep that kind of pace, then he'll prevent the Necro from being able to get that regen. But it does become harder over time. They're going to jump on his eye here, hitting their level 2, while the Kunkka is still shy of that. Zai will manage to walk it off. They actually get pretty low here. Boxy's going to take advantage of this. He should easily be able to pick up at least 1 kill. Celery pops the Fairy Fire. Zai's coming in as well. Can he hit the swing required? He turns back to Dyrachyo instead. A torrent to the side and catches him. Boxy will now be able to finish him up. Dyrachyo can somehow keep himself alive from getting last hits, but no. Run down by the Shikuchi. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Tofu picks up yet another kill, but Insania's already back into it, shows up with the Blood Grenade. They'll have their revenge, perhaps, but Mickey may cost his life because he's going to try and limp away. Ace, dive in the tower.
Oh, it's a bad dive.
Now he gets a little bit of a stun underneath the tower. What a turnaround. Liquid will manage to pick up a double off of that, when it looked like for sure it was going to be a trade-off 1-for-1.
These are just brawls of a lane, man. And already we're seeing this Aura do work bottom. Pugna with such high move speed, such good attack animation, just kiting them around. This is the type of laning setup you want versus Gaimin. Do not give them a head start. Do not let them run away with it like we saw yesterday. However, Quinn pushing in mid. This is an oppressive laning hero right here, and we're showing exactly how much you can do with it. Quinn is not afraid to play this hero blind. That is a scary thought.
Yeah,
right
look
now,
at he's
I mean, this is insane pressure right here.
He has fully recovered this setup now where he was low on CS and low on regen. Managed to get a bunch of last hits all in a row, and now he is commanding this lane and will probably continue to do so.
He's gonna have to even TP back. He just got stuck. Remember, this is all thirst for Dyrachyo, which should be winning you this lane as well. So the more Quinn wins mid, the happier his carry is also gonna be. That's why that kill was pretty valuable up top. Really good for Boxy's early game here. I mean, this is an interesting Weaver setup because they didn't want to play a core into the counters that Gaimin had, particularly the Bloodseeker. Even the Centaur can be a little bit annoying. But you put it on support, I like the idea that you have the Luna Aura to back him up in the mid game, right? A lot of bonus damage on a hero that at some point is putting out 2-3 attacks on everybody with Shard, Sakuchi through. Sounds pretty damn good to me.
That'll help him threaten those backline supports. I assume that's what we're looking at for this support Weaver, right? Get to this Phoenix or this Muerta and just try and force them to use their ultimates to defend themselves.
Just cause chaos. If you can ever kill an egg too, I'd be really happy about that team fight. Still Gaimin, this lane phase. It's 3 lanes going pretty damn well for them. It's been hard to stop this tournament, and that has been one of the biggest problems a lot of teams have faced. Trying to deal with the early pressure. They'll continue to get stronger and stronger here, especially as they get the first set of items.
And
I'm thinking
nighttime
about
falls, right? That's also a very big point. We have 2 levels of the Lunar Blessing already, so you get that
strike back.
Yeah, that nighttime global.
And that's what I'm saying, these rotations. I'd like to see the Pugman and the Weaver combine a bit on the map. Get some like ganks going, especially during this nighttime. Enable some of the cores. Either Mickey or Nisha, I think, is what you're going for. I think Zai, he's going to have a maybe slow game, but he's a cook. That doesn't really matter too much. But if you can get these ganks going, you're really going to enable your supports, bring some of the CS advantage back.
Yeah. And Zai was well known for tanking a lot of terrible laning phases back when he was on Secret, right? Like a lot of times they would just leave him out in some pretty rough ones. A lot of times he was playing like Dragonite, Kunkka here, very similar type of hero.
I mean, yeah, it's a Yapzor effect.
And with that mobility, I mean, I love the fact that Weaver kind of operates like a Monkey King when it comes to the mobility aspect of getting through those portals. So maybe he can link up with Insania like you were talking about.
I mean, that's one of the strengths of support Weaver, is the rotation capability. Like, every one of his points, just at level 1, is powerful in a go-on situation. And the question is, I mean, if you can pressure Dyrachyo, you'd be happy to take that. But I love when you kill this guy and take him off the lane. I just don't know if he's going to get chipped hard enough, and it's going to be Celery making the first move to bottom. This is not what I expected out of Liquid. I expect Boxy to want to respond to this, or at least create pressure on Dyrachyo, try and bring him back. That's what they're doing. They're going for the kill on the Bloodseeker right now.
Forced to TP away. Barely makes it. Meanwhile, here comes that rotation, but TP immediately coming out from the Weaver, so Gaimin Gladiators may not be able to go for this dive as much as they want. Nice hits, though. Celery landing all of the Fire Spirits on Mickey, and that'll finish him off. Boxy's going to try and trade out on Celery, but Ace is trying to protect his support, staying close by until the dive is ready to go. Celery gets out, so kind of a trade. Like, would you rather, in that situation, be straight up dying as the carry and then TP back to lane instantly, or do you feel like Dyrachyo is not too happy about TPing out of the lane and missing so much CS?
I mean, I think Dyrachyo's happy with that. He's not giving a lot of XP to Zai. It's the better of the outcome, especially when the Phoenix made the first move.
Nisha going to be in some trouble. Instantly hit with the silence, and that's enough. Lock him down with the Reaper Sight underneath those ghosts. And while Zai is being run down by Dyrachyo as he made his way back to lane pretty quickly, thanks in part to those phase boots.
This mid lane, it's just been all Quinn. I'm surprised with how well he's done in this matchup. I mean, this is a matchup where Invoker generally has done okay, or at least okay enough that he can get into the point in the mid game where your spells are really good versus Necro. But this is a wide lead to open up, and of course Gaimin are going to take advantage of it with the quick roam, get the gank going, translate that pressure into experience for their supports. Do have that nighttime hitting full stride here, 3 points in the aura. So this is when Boxy's pretty strong on the map. Even Insania getting these extra right clicks in it does hurt when you have low armor heroes.
Got him with the bugs, pulled him back in, but missed the torrent timing there from Zai. So once again, Dyrachyo takes some damage, but he will be able to heal up a decent amount with CS directly under the tower.
You're going to rotate your supports off the safe lane. Again, it's like you rotate 3 to kill Dyrachyo, and if you're not, you got to create the pressure somewhere else. Seems like you're giving Celery a lot of room on the map right now as he's just lingering bottom. He's just waiting to see if Mickey shows here again.
Quid knows there's
bounce.
a ward up there, but missed it barely off that sentry placement.
Now Dyrachyo is starting to feel the pressure. So this is where the trade-off comes through, right? You're going to sit on the bottom lane with your supports. In theory, Dyrachio's not going to get as much. How long does Mickey want to sit down here? Do you want to bait the dive with another box rotation? Nisha can also counter-gank these plays. It's the strength of Quasflex at this point in the game. Liquid should be happy to take these defensive-oriented fights.
Yeah, they are diving in so damn deep. In fact, they're still back there. Ace just feeling like, thanks to his Vanguard and 17 Magic Wand charges he's built up.
He's just chilling. Smart not to force it there. Liquid were pretty damn ready. You do not want to give Nisha some big turnaround kill in this game, right? Because that's going to give him the earn charges. Then suddenly he can go into the Midas or the Vessel, whichever one he opts for. Ghost ship used to no avail. Dyrachio is still just walking off the pain. He's been left to the wolves. Tough trade-off. I mean, the big question here is, can you accelerate your Luna across the Bloodseeker? If you get Ancient stacks up, that's another route you can go here. If you're Liquid, just play a defensive game, get massive stacks up, put Mickey in a position where he's the #1 leading net worth in the game. And we saw him carry some crazy games with Luna this tournament. Definitely not out of the question. It's a hero that can stand your ground with Butterfly Satanic timing, plus that shard in the late game. You could put Gaimin in a position where suddenly they're the ones lacking the damage.
Here comes the smoke gank on Anisha. Ghostwalk goes out, but they do have detection already laid down from the Sentry. He's going to try and duck away into the trees. Man, to dodge the dead shot, cuts down a tree to be able to cut a path away to freedom. They're going to have to pop the Stampede to make sure they do not get caught here on their way out.
Another kind of poke attempt, another attempt that Boxy instantly responds to. He's so ready to take into these fights. I think he almost wishes they would dive. Like, please give me the cleanup opportunity with how hard I'm hitting right now.
Yeah, again, because it's nighttime, right?
Yep, and this clock will hit 10. So now Gaimin, they want to group up and push with a Necro and Centaur. I mean, the opportunity is going to be there. But Liquid, they're just holding the wall, holding it steady, farming it up. The question is Nisha going to go for this full Vessel? Is he just going to go for a Midas and try and scale? Like, how does he feel the pace this game is going? Zai makes his first move with a boat. Should be enough damage here.
A lot of heroes, but Ace also has a lot of HP, and Gaimin Gladiators are coming in force. Beautiful torrent that hits on 2. Zai still chasing, but the rest of his team is backed away. Now that he's been hit with the Rupture. Caught in place, and Quinn, he sees his opportunity to get at least 1 kill out of this one. Immediate Reaper Sight put onto the Kunkka to get that stack, and they'll call it there. Good enough for them. 1 kill for no trade-off.
Okay, I thought they had way more damage, but there's no like early swarm hit on the Centaur, and he just walks it off. 1600 HP in the early game, way too much without the extra spell damage from Invoker willing to make that rotation. I mean, you're not going to bring 5 to kill Ace, right? It's way too hard. Upside is, for Liquid, you did get this tier 1 top during all this mess that was happening bottom. So even if these towers go out, you're trading the map. It will open up some space for Mickey later off, you know, triangle rotation into that top lane. They have some room to play with here as game continues to get slowed down, which if you're Liquid, you're probably happy with. You know, if Gaming don't beat you in 20 minutes, then all of a sudden, will they beat you if the game goes to 50, 60? It's not been their wheelhouse at this event. That's where they've struggled.
Considering the pace they took yesterday, when you're talking about the Spirit Vessel versus Hand of Midas, I immediately was like, please go Spirit Vessel. Don't go Hand of Midas, because we saw the way that got punished with Nouns.
Right. It's just about how you feel this game's gonna go. And it's an instinct. Pure instinct read. Quinn will go for the bots first on the Necro. So we've seen him do this, I want to say almost every game here. I think it's just a map mobility thing. Keep the farm up. Be able to join these plays. Continue to get the Reaper stacks. It just feels natural. It does make him a bit susceptible.
Burns out Celery, but Phoenix operates without mana.
And the siege will begin. The Pugna siege.
Yeah, they already got that top tower earlier. We didn't really mention it, but now that bottom tower is going to die for Gaimin Gladiators. They're evening things out. But mid tower is under assault a bit from the Pugna.
It cost him some time on Dyrachio, who he suffered in that no, of course, because he got kicked off that top lane. You went for the trade, and this is where Mickey's going to start to pull ahead of him. So how aggressive do Gaming want to get to try and disrupt the farming pattern here? That's a big question.
What is your timing that is it like Blink Dagger on the Centaur? Ace is pretty close to it.
Yeah, it just has to be, right? But the thing about the Centaur Blink this game is what's your damage fall going to look like? Are you bringing both supports in that smoke? It's probably going to be a bit obvious. It's hard to bring the Necro in there. And the thing is, the Necro also wants damage to come out first. So if you get some early sustain or healing on Liquid, they have the Pugna for that reason. I can see the burst not necessarily being that easy in this type of environment.
Sure. Especially given the mobility of some of the Liquid heroes. They just like stomp and then straight up egg, then you might be able to just run away from all that. Reset.
That's why the calling is going to be a very vital spell for all these gangs.
Rupture and Reaper Scythe is a deadly combo for anybody caught out like Zai is. He's going to use the boat almost immediately. See if he can get enough heals. There is going to be that boat buff to be able to help him out. They're going to pop the Supernova. They go for the Reaper Scythe kill onto the Pugna instead and leave Zai for last. And they're going to have to dive him underneath the tower. Darachu's pretty sped up here. Mickey's trying to help him out, but the Stampede is going to run over Zai, and they finish him off and run through all of this. Deadshot going to miss from Tofu, and now Nisha starts putting some damage back onto Gaimin Gladiators. With Boxy coming in from behind, there's potential here, but if they're fighting into the Necrophos, it's going to be pretty tough with all that sustained. So they opt not to try and break Gaimin Gladiators there. Losing 2 heroes.
Caught a little too deep, but there's just no damage turnaround at this point in the game, right? You're still missing the vessel. You don't even have the charges. And Mickey, he's gone for the farming Luna build here, which you can't blame him for. I mean, this is standard, but no Eclipse that's coming out in some crazy turnaround. So right now, it's Gaming's opportunity to make.
I love this for Gaimin Gladiators. Keep the pace up.
Straight
you
back.
Caught him out with 2 heroes dead. They probably TP'd out the lane, and Nisha is going to be caught alone with no response, and they will quickly take that tower as a result of that pickoff.
Ace dictating the pace of this game right now. He had a free lane, a free tower, and he has a very fast blink Vanguard that instantly went to work. We'll take another tier 1 off the map with the group up. That's that Necrophos Centaur combining. It's going to be a problem to deal with at this point in the game. It's just way too tanky, especially with Sunray behind him. You have to fight into Muerta spells, which have been problematic for a lot of teams until you get, debuff immunity and BKBs or something. That's a far way down the road. Yeah, lane mail for Zai is going to be nice in terms of running in and tanking. It's also going to be pretty good versus the Rupture that has been going on him for most of this early game. It's a damn good blade mail game. That'll give you some fighting power. And
Definitely
once more,
will, but
Nikkei takes pole position here.
Yeah, he does. Barely over the Centaur. Ace, once again, man, he's getting so much farm out of every single one of his laning phases. It is doing so much for Gaimin Gladiators. I feel like it's the biggest reason why they're able to take the pace, the super fast pace that they beat out everybody else at this tournament with.
They want to go on him. This is the tankiest hero on the map. They finally have the vessel. Just what's prompting this, and yeah, there's the damage, right? This helps by a huge amount. Suddenly you're back on the board. You can open up some space. More charges for Nisha. It's going to propel him into the Midas. It's time for Nisha to strike back here. He's had a very slow early game, but it doesn't really matter on this hero if you can get some big core.
Get a lot of vision. Boxy, Swarm on 2. They have some magic damage throw around. Tofu's going to have some problems with that.
Yeah, he's gone. A couple Gemini will clean him up. Early Medallion for Boxy, giving you some extra minus armor.
And as you get those kills, that'll turn into a Solar Crest. So the minus armor is really ramping up with this Luna damage. This 15 to 20 minute window is pretty dangerous for Gaimin Gladiators.
I mean, that's the big question. Is Liquid happy just going ultra late with this Luna with all the buffs they have behind him? Remember, this is going to be a Luna with a Pugna behind him, a Boat Rum, Torrent Storm around him, and potentially Alacrity to throw on. This is one of the best Alacrity heroes in Dota because it is a ranged cleaver. It's pretty much only the Luna, the Gyro, and the Medusa, and 2 of those are not in the meta, so you'll take the 3rd. But damn, does it start to hurt when those glaives start bouncing around with the extra attack speed and damage here. It's a great combination to go late game with, especially with the buildup you go for now with the Shards, the Satanic, the Butterfly. You just become insanely tanky if you can't get the initial burst damage out.
At the same time, I feel like it is kind of a single core lineup where they've got 2 big percentage-based damage dealers on Gaimin Gladiators. Tofu, he'll deal with that ward. Tornado is going to catch a mid-stampede. A bit unfortunate there, but it looks like they're going to try and catch the Invoker. They got him from behind. Ace shows up, and Insania, there's no way he could do enough heals to outdo that damage from Gaimin Gladiators. They will both die.
Every time Liquid starts to push back, it's Ace coming in, shutting them down with another 2-man stomp, setting up another Reaper stack for Quinn as well. He's already up to 4. You cannot let Necro get to that like 10 territory, right? The hero just becomes an abomination of Dota with Ag's Heart plus extra regen stacks.
Yeah, you may have Spirit Vessel, but you don't have that much anti-heal.
And now Daracho starting to pick up the aggression as we expect from him, just getting on the Liquid side of the map. Not really afraid of the jump here because what is the jump? I mean, it's going to be X. That's it.
Yeah. It's definitely more of a counter punch lineup, right? And I think that's mostly off the Invoker.
It is.
They try and jump somebody, then you get a Tornado. It's a great way to be able to respond to that. Easy jump there. Rupture plus Deadshot is a nice combination.
That's the thing, it's mainly just been Nisha running around in Ghost form trying to make something happen. But the downside with Quasflex Invoker when you're the initiator like this is you just fall behind in farm.
Yeah.
And his net worth is plummeting down the chart here as all the gaming cores are picking up the pace. So you got to go back for this Midas because it's the only thing that keeps you up there. But all the time you're looking for these ganks, it does delay it even more. And now it is gaming taking the smoke to you as they want to get Quinn involved yet again with this Necro. Doesn't even have the Reaper up. Just wants to abuse the shard while Duracio's cleaning up some Ancients.
Feels like Gaimin Gladiators rarely miss on their smokes, at least when it comes to these lower bracket games. They've had a clean run. 6 games in a row they've won. But this one will miss as Liquid do manage to get through the portal in time.
Well, Liquid did leave their obs up there. So they have pretty good wards to smoke back to in the top lane. They can switch the map up again.
Dude, they are just targeting Nisha so hard. He shows up. Again, Insania's behind him with the heals, but it's just not enough, man. Way too much damage. And again, it means Insania, because he couldn't heal up his core enough. His core dies, and so will he.
And this was Liquid responding. They brought Mickey, they brought Zai, they brought Box into this bottom lane to try and turn this. You talked about their lineup being a great defensive turnaround lineup. I mean, if you're not there, then you're just wasting even more time. As once more Ace finds the opening, they clean it up with a Reaper kill, stack number 5, and that heart is almost completed here for Quinn. He is keeping pace with a Max or a Glaive Luna, who's had some Ancients.
You've got some serious damage problems now that that pipe is introduced. With a heart completed on Quinn as well, I think your mid-game damage is just out. You have to wait till the Luna really comes online.
And this is what gaming have done to a lot of teams this tournament right now. Create a situation where your EHP just outpaces enemy damage and you drive it down a lane. And if you don't have outspam, if you don't have capability to take the fight, you run into
get that heart recipe.
That's a big one. I mean, you gotta go.
Feels so
it,
good.
Right?
Do you see it? Does he see it?
Oh,
he sees it. He's gonna go for it. Does manage to get it. So, no heart just yet for Quinn. That will buy. I'm not even sure if it buys him any time, because I feel like Gaimin Gladiators can still do whatever they want.
I mean, it's a lot of effective net worth off the map, right?
Sure.
It's a big courier kill. You're buying time when this ball was starting to creep up for gaming, and hey, I mean, that's probably the happiest Liquid fans have been in this audience for a while.
That is
you
true.
Get the morale back on your side. Every little bit counts.
Having a lot more fun in the road to TI than TI itself so far. Liquid, maybe they could change that narrative though. 2,000 net worth lead for Gaimin Gladiators, so it's not like they're falling that far behind. It's just the fact that all 3 cores on Gaimin Gladiators are looking strong.
And of course, a single fight can just open up this game for Liquid, right? If they get a good team fight where Mika gets to stand his ground with everybody behind him in the formation they want, where gaming jump him and he survives, you turn around with level 2 Eclipse, which is now up, and you translate that into a Roshan, all of a sudden this game looks completely different. That is always in the cards if you take a bad fight, especially with Ags on Zai. It's a pretty fast Torrent Storm for an offlane Kunkka.
Spotted Boxy. Love the fact he's carrying his own dust. Time lapse straight back into the silence of the Blood Rites.
Nowhere to run in this matchup. Absolute death sentence.
Look at all this deep vision that Gaimin Gladiators has up to.
Yeah, they even have the cheeky tier 2 ward bottom, which, you know, I'm still debating whether this ward is actually supposed to do this, but hey, it's in the game, why not use it?
Definitely one of the most value wards out there.
Absolutely. Open up this tier 2, almost no defense when you have this option, you just see everything.
Yeah, you get some sort of vision, some sort of support or something sitting in the bottom part of the tower. You have that ward up on the top part, you see everybody that could TP in.
It's going to be Tormentor for Liquid, it's going to try and push Mickey towards his BKB. That's going to be the big go time for Liquid. You have BKB on Mickey plus this Torrent Storm, that's your team fight. It's all coming together. If you can fight behind the Luna with the debuff immunity, you're going to be really happy in that situation because it is a lot of magical bursts coming out on gaming.
Yeah.
You just got to pray you can hold your ground. BKB force from Duraccio.
That is definitely a small win here. Even better if they can get the egg in time, and it looks like they've got it no problem. Oh, Ace! It was a good attempt. If he hit Zai 2, there was a chance for the Phoenix to survive.
Another X
now.
Yeah, he got him.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get him off the vision from the Sunstrike. He gets him off the X, pull him back in.
Oh, nice.
He's going to land. Mickey pushed back by the dead shot. But Ace, he's going to be left alone. Gaimin Gladiators cutting their losses, and I think it's a smart play. Liquid did catch them out there, and they accept that.
That was a nice attempt at the stop. If that hits Zai, you maybe get something out of that engagement, but it's very deep, especially when Duraccio had a TP out of the top off the BKB, so you know the Bloodseeker's not connecting to that fight. Yeah. That's just a green light for Mickey to join it. Gets the cleanup. This will push him towards that BKB, flying out right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have it though.
Yeah, where is it?
He has pushed that tower without actually having that one. He's going to be in some serious trouble unless this Torrent can stop the Reaper side, but Quinn is way too tanky. He's not dying to this, and he does bring down Mickey. The BKB only works if you get it out of your stash and into your inventory.
That is a big timing to give up right there. And another big Reaper kill to give away. Quinn's regen just starting to get out of control. When he's under that Sunray with Heart plus all stacks, it's like plus 140. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't see you ever bringing this Necro down unless you get him in an isolated situation with the Vessel on top of everything else. That means the front line's going to be very strong here. Zai's going to take a poke at it. Oh, he's thinking about it.
Once again, trying to pull heroes out of position. Gaimin Gladiators are not afraid of fighting under this. They have a high ground ward.
Yeah, he does. He wants anybody but Quinn right here.
Yule Scepter to hold Zai in place. Quinn, Spirit Vessel put onto him. They have the Torrent Storm, but he gets away thanks to the Shard. But they do manage to pick off that support. Tofu goes down, and they back away. They check for high ground vision. It's not there. Terraccio, he's actually cut in from behind. Zai's already so low. The boat's coming in trying to help him out, but I don't think Liquid can really fight this anymore. Too many heroes from Gaimin Gladiators, and yeah, they're going to be losing 2 off this one. Godlike spree for Quinn. The man is just absolutely untouchable, and Terraccio, his aggression is very off potentially here as he's going in so deep. Oh no, that's too much, Terraccio. They will maybe still catch Nisha's. Yes, the Rupture holds him in place. Maybe he feels that's worth it. Maybe he's not the real carry. After all, Quinn is the one dictating the strength of Gaimin Gladiator in these fights.
A little bit of a Terraccio throw. I mean, you gotta have a little bit every game, right? It's just too far with the BKB down, not respecting the Luna buyback, not reading the timer there. Mickey just gets a free cleanup.
Also not respecting the Shard pickup of the Luna. That does add some extra damage when you are in melee range of that Luna. It's dangerous.
That type of fight over extension is probably what Liquid are looking for in general, right? Because their run-up burst is not great into the Sunray, into Necro heal. You're going to be fighting into a calling. But if you can bait Gaming into an extended fight like that afterwards, suddenly that turnaround can be very swift, very painful, especially once the BKBs are down. So that's something Gaming have to think about. How far do you chase in these scenarios? Do you clump up and give Mickey a really good fight? Because it really is all coming down to this Luna, right?
Yeah.
And he stand his ground, output the damage, get good eclipses off, just do everything.
Sometimes these team fights can be a mess, and it's hard to decipher what exactly is going on. I think it's clear what Gaimin Gladiators want out of their team fight, right? Jump in on somebody, burst them down. What does an ideal team fight look for Liquid, though?
You somehow save that or like get BKBs off and get the supports, right? You take the Mort out, you take the Phoenix out, or force an early egg and kite it. That's the situation where you can draw Gaming out in a long extended fight because the supports are dead. Suddenly the Necro's not as tanky. Suddenly your go attempt with Mickey manning up isn't necessarily putting him in a position where he's stuck in the calling after his BKB goes down. It's about kiting it, right? Find the supports, kite the fight out, extend it as long as you can, and then you're in a pretty okay situation. That's why Gaming wants the burst here. They want to jump with Ace, get a Reaper kill on a big core, and set the fight up for Terraccio. Even if that hero does not die initially to Reaper, you're going to put the Bloodseeker in a position where he's thirsted so far up, he might just clean the fight up anyway.
From my point of view, I feel like Tornado is like the biggest spell for Team Liquid, right? I think it's the only spell that really allows them to be able to reset off of the initiation from Gaimin Gladiators.
Tornado, EMP, the Ice Wall, all these control spells from Nisha are going to be huge. You just got to recreate that gap. Yeah, we saw that Ags on the Necrophos completed. Man, he is far in this game.
Yeah, you can't kill him, and now he's outputting crazy damage with that Aghanim Scepter over time.
I mean, Quinn he's shown he's willing to play this hero in basically any game versus any matchup. There's a reason why. It's looked pretty damn good. 9-0. It's a big streak if Liquid can collect it as well.
And I think Liquid are recognizing the fact that a tough fight is coming their way. They're trying to cut creep waves. You can see Boxy's playing in deep while Zai's using some X marks the spot shenanigans.
They don't want to give up this Roshan. That's the problem, right? Like, this is a great Roshan for Liquid with Solar Crest Swarm if you can get in there. You're giving up position on it. It's going to be an egg Roshan contest now. This is pretty damn difficult because your opportunity to find supports on the backline and start on them is very limited around this pit.
Celery deep in the corner. How do you get this guy out of here?
What a torn.
Though. It's all three. That's beautiful, but immediately the BKB going off. They are doing a lot of damage. The Necrophos is getting low. Can they finish?
Oh, dive.
Low, and he's just cleaning up with the glaze. And Celery dove on through the pit, but he missed the Aegis. He was barely outside of that range. Gaimin Gladiators, they thought we are too strong to be beat right now, but that hubris cost them a massive fight.
Never clump blind in the Roshan pit. If you don't expect it, you should have, because Zai just gets a 3-man Torrent into the boat and cleans them all up here with a Torrent Storm. What a read, what a move from Liquid. That is not an easy Roche contest. They just believed they had it, and hey, they did. Even gobbled an Aegis at the end on Mickey. You can't ask for anything better here, honestly. Everything lines up. You even got like everybody stuck in this meteor trying to run out of the pit in the direction on top of an ice wall. Nisha just cleans house.
I think the funny part is that Quinn pops the Ghost Shroud, but then that just leaves Duraccio and Ace getting shredded by Glaives. It just bounces between the two of them.
There was no getting out of that the second that Torrent hits.
Great timing for the Butterfly. Part of that, they'll heal up Mickey. So now we've got a little bit of sustain options here as well, but the Necrophos isn't here quite yet. Gaimin Gladiators may have jumped the gun, but they do have the Supernova well positioned. Liquid have to retreat, but the Rupture is preventing Mickey from doing so, and the Necrophos is coming soon. Quinn's gonna be here. They've got to start retreating a bit.
You have a second life on Mickey, but that's it. Butterfly did get delivered though. He's damn strong right now. Level 20 talent as well.
He's going to take down to pretty much nothing as the Coco Rum wears off, and they have the vision of this too. They got him outside of that Thirst vision, but Gaimin Gladiators have enough of a read to know where they're generally at. Fox is going to try and run interference while Mickey goes for the escape, and they get out. They had vision on that high ground. Quinn was so close to being able to get that Reaper-sized stun in.
He didn't Death Seeker it.
Oh,
maybe they couldn't get the gap closed properly, you know, with Stampede and everything, but that was very close to Mickey getting caught. They're lucky to get out of there. Gotta respect this Thirst and how low you get, right? That type of fight, it goes good for Liquid because they get everybody in there during the duration of the bow, Torrent Storm, and the BKB for Mickey, and they just line it all up. Nisha also just got to sit there in his BKB and right-click everybody. You get in these chase situations where you're low HP, that's a very different story. Formation means a lot for Liquid right now. With an Aegis, they perhaps did not expect to have at this point in the game.
Oh, this is interesting. Boxy, they gave him all the farm that's coming in bottom lane. He's building a Linken's. So they're going to try and protect their Luna, even more buff ups. You say, you know, you've got so much to put on this Luna. You start putting some item upgrades in there like Linken's. That would help do a lot to protect against Quinn. He just jumps in so deep there. The Eclipse is going to be doing a lot of damage to Meteor on top of that one. With a quick full heal. Mickey aiming to finish off that tower. The Reaper sight's going to go off, but Mickey still had his BKB, and Quinn is getting burned out here. They couldn't even get through the Aegis. And over 7 now, Duraccio thinks they're just diving after Mickey, but again, he has the extra life. Even if they succeeded in that, it was still a failed plan for Gaimin Gladiators right outside of their own base.
And Ace left wondering, guys, on the initiation, what the hell are we doing here? It's just too much hubris, right? You think you're too tanky, you think you have too much regen. But the BKB timings and the Vessel's doing work here, and now they're gonna drag you back in. Gaimin.
Full Celery out of position.
Gaimin is crumbling for them very fast. He comes back
down to the Tornado into the Sunstrike, pops before he can use the Supernova.
All it takes is one bad Torrent to ruin your day here. As Zai has just turned this game around, and now all of a sudden you're facing down the barrel of a Luna with Aegis, a Butterfly, Grovo looking for that Satanic and taking your racks. And this is where that alacrity starts to go to work. All of a sudden, Nisha, he's a second damage source. He can make Mickey even more powerful. You have to think about the Glimmer on the Reaper. You have to think about the BKB on the Reaper. It's not so straightforward anymore. This is where this ball lineup strikes really hard.
And the problem's going to be is Aegis expires in a minute. Liquid can get a lot in that minute of time, but then as the Aegis expires, he picks up a Satanic. So even if that second life is gone in 50 seconds, he will have additionally a second life thanks to Satanic.
You got to wear through this. You're looking down a second lane potentially. I mean, Mickey is just taking names right here, plus Sunstrikes.
Oh, and a Manta Dodge stops Ace entirely from getting that initiation. They're going to keep the pressure up. With the barracks being revealed, they're going to try and burn out Mickey from a distance, but Insania can keep him healed up, even if there are no heroes to life steal off of. And they're actually just going to be able to walk away. There is a period of time here. The Aegis expires, but Gaimin Gladiators don't have their full squad.
Don't have any smokes either.
Yeah.
No punish available here for Gaimin. That'll be 2 sets to Liquid. They just walk it off. Mickey, his item timings got so damn accelerated off these last few fights. He is in prime position now, and I mean, this just felt very casual, right? You can see the bait here. I mean, Quinn is incredibly tanky with Ghost Shroud, Sunray coming through. Ace is here, but you're just in an awkward position because it didn't start with you going on a court and bursting them, and you had Aegis the whole time, so even if that happens, you're going to get stuck in an awkward engagement. And at this point, I mean, Duracio's trying to clean up something that there's nothing to clean up there. And yeah, what the hell are we doing, guys?
Hey, we've all been there in that moment. I think everybody in this stadium recognizes those emotions. Just a bad plan for Gaimin Gladiators, which is surprising to me because I would have thought Liquid getting knocked down recently to the lower bracket, I thought they would be the ones perhaps with a little bit of main stage jitters with elimination on the line and such. Gaimin Gladiators been playing clean through this lower bracket, but that was very uncharacteristic slip up from them.
Game has definitely fallen out of their control. Liquid, they did an immaculate job of bringing it back. They took the right fights, they took them in the right way. That's what counts on the TI main stage. Nothing else really matters if you can't clinch those big engagements when they happen. Right now, this ball lineup is clicking on all cylinders. Just a question of how much more you can get, right? Because now if you get this next Roshan and you're able to push that last lane, you might just close this game out before it gets into any type of ultra late game situation.
Liquid to turn this game around. Let's take a listen to what their comms are like.
I'm running a dangerous way, but fuck it.
But fuck it.
The boss of this game.
You are the boss of this gym.
Go, go.
Wise words from a team, but fuck it. Yeah, that's an attitude to be able to take for this game because Liquid are in full control of this. I don't think Gaimin Gladiators can really take a straight up fight against them anymore. But we'll see whether or not that actually comes to fruition here. Nisha, he's trying to find a pickoff to make things a whole lot easier for them in the high ground push. Even forcing out Duracio's BKB would be a big win. Duracio holds it for now. He actually is running back into them. He wants to be able to play around this high ground area.
And it'll be a smoke from Gaming. So they're going to take this fight. What they're looking for is a big core kill. Burst it on the jump from Ace into the Reaper. Even through the saves, you got to remember there's a full Linken's on Boxy. He can throw this out to block a Reaper or Rupture. There's not much else to pop it here. And it might be something Gaming are not ready for. If you don't find this Weaver, he's going to protect the core on the front line, especially with Glimmer and the suck coming out from Insania on the back.
Big wraparound, but Boxy, he ruins it. Shikuchi straight into them, breaks the smoke, and gets out. Gaimin Gladiators, they knew they had to get something over Liquid, and it was going to be an initiation on the back line, but ruined.
All TPing out. They're going to get caught.
Close call, but everybody does get away safely.
That was not a high ground you're willing to go up if you're Gaming here, especially with two other lanes pushing into your base. Somebody has to go back at some point. You relinquish all this map control, however. Looking at a Wisdom Rune. I mean, Tofu wants it, but
no way you're getting. Oh, really? They're gonna try for it. Sally is like, sorry, Brent, it's not there anymore. Dead shot to try and cover his retreat, but Ty has the vision thanks to the swarm. He's gonna be able to catch him on the side here, the opposite side of the barrier, but maybe with some of the range damage, Sunstrike coming in, he knows he has to use the Supernova, and Liquid is more than happy with that.
Really good bait by Zai, baiting out the Yules, gets the Torrent after. That'll force an egg off some really small plays from Liquid, gives them another little advantage here. Again, this is all setting up for next Roshan. There's no way you're pushing high ground without an Aegis on the Luna versus a burst-oriented lineup. And yeah, Boxy gets to Ags, changes a lot as well. Now you have the Linken save plus an Ag save to deal with Rupture damage, to deal with Reaper Sight damage. How much can Ace do, right? He's on a hero that, it's not like those Tidehunter games where he can just blow the fight wide open. You get one jump, you're a pipe, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Nisha eyeing him up.
Spotted here. This is what this Invoker, I feel like, has been so good at throughout the tournament, is being invis, running around the map, and finding these heroes who are trying to find some...
Duraccio!
Oh, Duraccio, what happened? Gone in an instant trying to help out Ace, and it looks like somebody must have... Oh, screen bug. Well, at least it wasn't Duraccio.
Yeah.
No excuses there.
Pause and look for him, but he ain't there. And that was very fast. He is instantly gone. I feel like Duracio's read of where the Liquid heroes are in these fights has just been a little off, right? He's just been getting in very deep into these melee range, especially versus Mika, and maybe not respecting that new Luna Shard. That makes these man fights a difference. It's a different beast.
And the Liquid fans will fill out the pause with the chant, as they can sense the end is nigh for this game one. Liquid in a great position. Whether this pick off of the Bloodseeker does it for them and they straight up go for the high ground from here, they're likely to still catch Ace as they've got him dead to rights in so many different ways. The X marks the spot, the Torrent to pull him back in. Yeah.
By the way, that was double damage on mid-game, so that's another reason that Dyrachyo just got shredded there.
So
the upside is this was on top lane and not bottom, otherwise I think Irax is gone. But Liquid, that'll secure Roche for them. That was your Roche fight, right? Just gone in the blink of an eye here.
They're respecting the fact that Gaimin Gladiators could have buyback. Better to just play for Roshan. Of course, we know they actually don't. So Liquid could have ended the game right there, at least gotten Megas. But they're going to play it very disciplined. Get the Aegis and cheese.
Assume there's buybacks here.
Yeah.
Don't know where the gold is. And this Roche is just absolutely free. Mickey full slotted pretty much. Give him an Aegis, let him go high ground, and throw every buff you have on him. It's not a bad strat here at TI. Even level 20 for Zai, just gonna amp up this Torrent Storm and the chaos in the fight. We're talking about the control that Liquid has when it's on a straight 5-on-5 when the BKBs go down. If you don't get that burst and shorten the extension of that fight, Zai's gonna take it over.
Quinn,
the problem with Kunkka.
He was trying to cut waves because he knows the final push is coming in, so he's hoping to be able to buy a few more seconds, but he's gonna get caught out here. He is 100% dead, but he does have buyback. So he's gonna have to use this for some desperate final hold from Gaimin Gladiators. They can't afford any pickoffs, but if they could get a pickoff on Boxy, that would help delay things a little bit. The Lincolns, though, is gonna prevent the Rupture, and he's out.
Not today.
Now that means Rupture is on cooldown when this push comes in, and Mickey is approaching
55 seconds.
He is fully slotted out here.
I mean, you're talking about this Necro's buy. Quinn has 5,300 gold. He is buying another item. He just doesn't know what the hell he wants in this game. I mean, it's got to be BKB. He's trying to get close on both. He could sell and get it here.
They're going to wait for the initiation, the attempted jump from Ace. Once again, a Manta dodge is able to get away from that hoof stomp, and they really cannot seem to
Quinn
do
got dragged.
And he got pulled out from the tidal wave. Quinn's in trouble, but he does manage to use his shard to get out from the side. Still, though, buildings are exposed. You can reset all you want. Your buildings are still going to be in some trouble here, down to half health. But again, he has that Aegis, he has the Lincolns, he has Satanic to full heal him. Nothing is going to stop Mickey from claiming the Megas.
Can keep going here if you're Liquid. Can reset, gain some resources as well. You have a lot of time. That'll be the BKB bought out from Quinn. Did not have it for that fight.
Doesn't actually save him, though, because Mickey's physical damage that he outputs is pretty intense.
And part of the problem is how do you get through the saves now? Like Boxy's itemization in this game with the Lincoln's Ags is closing in. You have the Glimmer Cape. You have another Lincoln's on Nisha as well. So this is double Lincolns that can go through against Reaper, Rupture with, like we were saying, not a lot to pop it beforehand. And these are long cast animation spells that you can honestly hit them pretty reliably if you're just looking only at that and not worrying about anything else here. Block potential is very high. Final push will come. Once more, rally around your Luna. Let him do the work. Let the Glaives do the work.
And Luna is so good at being able to siege down tier 4s with those bouncing Glaives. Getting pretty low already off that bit of burst. See if they can get him again. The Manta dodges. Mickey, he is so on point with it, but he does get burned out anyway. Second life. BKB and Cheese are going to be ready to go for this one. Immediately feared up, though. Does get off the BKB. Turns around, fights Dyrachyo. Dyrachyo has to get out of there.
That's BKB down, though. Ace, he wants to punish it. He doesn't get the stomp, though.
They need to be able to slow down Liquid, but Liquid actually going to turn underneath the Supernova, though. That one is going to be a little bit sticky, and Quinn jumps forward, takes his opportunity. The Reaper sight, but no! The save comes out just in time. Back to full he goes. He gets the cheese off, and now he's ready to rumble.
Ah, what a time-lapse timing. Just when you think you're going to get a Reaper kill after all the BKBs and the Glimmers are down. No, Boxy is waiting for you.
Picks up that Aghanim Scepter just in time for
Yeah, that was literally just blown in. And they'll get another buyback out of Gaming here. Ace, the next to pay the price. 2 cores on cooldown for 5 minutes here. Did take your Aegis, did take your BKB.
Final push is coming in. Let's take a quick listen in on Liquid, though.
I'm just tipping. Be brave. Just run. I'm Giga Brave. I'm running in. Just protect me, guys. Yeah.
Mickey understands his strength. Chad just wants to run in, protect him at all costs, and that's what Liquid did there in that push.
now he has a refresher. So this is a level 25 Luna with full 6 slots, double BKB, double Satanic, double Manta Dodge. You can get them both. I agree, put everything on him and let him end this game right here, right now.
They've got a little bit of window where there is no Supernova, even the BKB on cooldown from Quinn. But Liquid are a bit hesitant. What are they waiting for?
Waiting for the call.
Waiting for the right opportunity to present itself, perhaps.
Waiting for another Tormentor. Why not?
Might as well take away those resources away from Gaimin Gladiators. After all, they're in no position to be rushing things too much. They can take their time if they need to. Now we have the EMP pull-in, so not only are you dealing with the constant Torrent Storms, the Tidal Wave pushing you back, but the EMP is also dragging you away, out of position constantly. But to see that attempt there, though, always the Death Seeker ready to go for Quinn to get out.
Just start poking him down. Create a situation where you force Ace to jump, and then Mickey's gonna have a good fight.
There it is, pull him out of position, hit him with the nullifier. See if they can get that BKB out of him, but Quinn doesn't hit the button. Hold strong for now, but they are taking damage on their tier 4s. The Megas start streaming in. Nice Torrent into Cataclysm, a beautiful setup, and that's going to be Ace going down with no buyback. And Mickey sees his opportunity now to be able to hit the tier 4s. Gaimin Gladiators back away. The throne is going to be exposed. Roger tries to come in, sliced and diced by the Glades. No contest whatsoever. They can take down anybody they want on the side of Gaimin Gladiators. Liquid will complete the comeback in style and take it at 43 minutes.
And for as strong as that Necrophos looked for a lot of the game, he doesn't even get a Reaper off in that last fight. Luna just outputting way too much damage for Dyrachyo to deal with. Gaimin, their lineup, it ran out of steam. They hit a couple roadblocks. They got 3-man torrented in the pit. And that was all she wrote, right? There's just no coming back from that point because all of a sudden the paradigm gets flipped. You're the ones who lack the damage. Your Centaur's running out of the ability to create the initiations that give you the burst damage. Who's setting up for who, right? You need a Necro that needs damage to come in. You need a Bloodseeker that needs damage to come in. And the Centaur can't do it for you. This Pugna is causing you a lot of problems on the back line. Boxy with the itemization between the Lincolns and the Ags providing double effective save on these cores. It's just a nightmare to play this single burst lineup into.
You got to imagine a bit of shell shock there from Gaimin Gladiators. They looked the part too. They know that Roshan fight, that's going to be haunting them for a while, but they've got to be able to reset. Elimination fully on the line now. Since they've been here, they've been into 2-0 through all of this one, but now they're one game away from being knocked out of the International, and they're going to have to clear their minds. We're going to clear our minds as well as we head to the panel to break down that game 1.
Thank you so much, Cap. SVG game 1, absolutely dominant from Liquid, a strong performance for them, but it was only game 1. We've had a bit of a change up on the panel as well. We brought in the big guns for this series, for this showdown again. I got Aoi and Matu joining Effie and myself now. Matu, you didn't get to see Liquid win this series yesterday, but at least they're one game up this time round.
I mean, it feels great. T-Gunner was already making a stat about like Liquid win rate without like Matu on the panel, and with Matu on the panel like 0%. So like, I mean, this feels great. Let's go Liquid.
I love to hear you still cheering on your old team there, but Aoi, let's break this one down because it looked like Gaimin Gladiators' game to win, especially from the draft, and in the first few minutes of this game they had that gold lead up until the first Roche fight.
I think these types of games are actually sort of the hard ones to lose because you feel like you should have taken this game and you're not too sure like where, I mean, they know where it went wrong, but like what led up to that. Were the comms weird? Were we feeling off? You could sort of see after body language, after they lost, like I felt like Gaimin was uncharacteristically down. Even before the game, I felt like Quinn looked a little nervous, and that's not usually Gaimin's standard. Usually they're a very good, strong mental team, which is why they've had such consistent success.
It could be tough. I mean, it's the penultimate day. This is a lot of make or break for them, and it's going to be a long day for them, even if they do win this series as well. So a lot of build-up for themselves. But in that game, in that Roche fight, specifically, Aoi, did you see what led up to why Gaimin weren't able to be successful in it?
I think people are like not, I mean, I think all the pros know this, but like when you take Roshan, it's about controlling the high ground. Like Gaimin Gladiators, they sort of lost focus for a bit. They had 5 heroes on the low ground in the pit, and I don't know, it's just such a free fight for Liquid. They had no one scouting the pit, they had no one like prepping the fight with buyback. I'm not too sure what happened in their comms, but I think they're letting their emotions sort of get a hold of them. They're not like thinking about an objective, like, oh, we need to break the smoke. They come, they can take this fight. We need to be ready, focused.
I feel like they're just playing sloppy. Like it's just bad play, you know. Like laning stage is mechanical, and afterwards, like this is the first team, that actual good team that they're playing on the main stage. No offense to anyone, but like after getting out of the lanes, you have to play like real Dota, and they're playing super sloppy. Like they're just making basic errors and giving back the game to Liquid, and Liquid is happy to take it.
But there is something to be noted about the sloppy play, because Liquid played very well. We talk about Gaimin Gladiators' mistakes, but I think only a team with very strong mental endurance could have come back that game. And honestly, it was the little things around the map even before that Roshan. I mean, the laning stage didn't go the way they wanted it to. The early aggression from GG looked very hard to control, but Luna was farming the entire time. Like, Luna's farm was not shut down. She was in the triangle. She was in both of her Ancients. Gaimin did not play on that side of the map, and there were some really key pickoffs that happened, I believe, in the bot lane around minute 20. So I think Nisha and Voker forced the BKB TP from Bloodseeker in the top lane, and then Phoenix had a really aggressive dive, and then Zai just cleaned it up. Right? They got the kill on Phoenix, they got the X on Centaur, and they were finding the kills wherever they could, even before that Roche fight.
The difference in the space that both of their carries were given, and something we talked about too, a difference in win conditions between the two teams. But we're going to break it down a little bit further. It is going to be Purge on the sideline.
Thank you. Yeah, the crucial fight of this game was that Roche fight. So I wanted to show you guys some of the crucial things that led up to that moment, because that was an uncharacteristic mistake for Gaimin Gladiators to be initiated on like that. So if we take a look at the clips here, it's normal to set up for Roshan with an Observer Ward. Now this ward is very important. Keep an eye on that and keep that in your mind here. Celery comes into D ward. They push out the creep waves. And over on the bottom side of the map, they even see Invoker teleporting away. So they know that Liquid's going to defend this, but crucially, he doesn't actually have a BKB yet until after he TPs. So they don't know that he's got BKB. They probably think they're going to be able to fight. And Boxy's doing Weaver things on the right side. He's putting an Observer Ward down. They see where Gladiators are. They know they're in the Roche area. He's going to cut the next creep wave. So it's just very, very obvious to Liquid that's going to happen. So we see them basically smoke into approach to land the combo, which was a Torrent first, followed by a boat. But they didn't react to it properly, and the reason is because, take a look at this Observer Ward here. This is the vision for Gladiators. This is what they see. They see him throw the boat, but they don't see him throw the Torrent. So they just don't get a reaction time. And the reason for this was this Observer Ward vision. Look at how much it covers. It only covers this little edge right here. If they instead place that ward like here instead, the vision would be something like this. Then they would have caught them at an earlier time period. They would have been able to stampede, split apart, but instead it just gets them being caught by Liquid and losing the fight, and Liquid gets back in the game.
Who would have thought just that small amount, millimeters between where you place a ward could have been enough to change this game for you? We can talk about it a little bit more because there's more to the game than just that Roche fight. There could have been ways for Gaimin Gladiators to get back in, but first, Slax and Tsunami also want to have a little bit of screen time.
It's us and a bunch of people in the crowd right now. How we doing? It's day number 2 here in Climate Pledge Arena, and we are filled to the brim right now. And a lot of chants going on in the audience as well, Slacks.
Yeah, you know, we've been hearing it all series. All right, guys, we know that you know how to do it. Can we get the Let's Go Liquid, please, my friends?
Let's get it out of our system. Let's go Liquid.
Let's go Liquid.
All right. We hear that all the time.
All the time, and I feel bad. I mean, Gaimin Gladiators are here, and they don't have a chance. In fact, I saw some GG fans over here. I feel like we need to make one for them. Hello, my friends. How you doing there? Huh? Oh, put your signs down. You are blocking. Okay, no, it's all good. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right, rough first series. Do you have any ideas for what we as a crowd can scream at Gaimin Gladiators to get them excited?
That's obvious.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go, go, go!
I mean, that was okay.
What do you got?
Okay, I have some ideas. All right. Let's try this one out. Can you hold up my microphone right here? All right, check this out. Die! No.
Stop trying to sneak Liquid.
Here we go. D.R. Doraccio! D.R. Doraccio is here! D.R. Doraccio! D.R. Doraccio is here! Now, yeah, that could work. And if he he's like not doing good, you can always continue the song, you know? He has no farm. He has no TP. This carry is...
No, wait, that's enough.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Well, the crowd's able to yell what they want. No problem. We won't control it. I do like the DR Duraccio, though.
Isn't it shouldn't be D-Y Duraccio?
I can't spell tsunami, but maybe our panel can. Panel, how do you spell words? Back to you.
What sort of question is that? To be fair, I thought he was just going to take the Let's Go Liquid one, and he was just going to go Let's Go Gaimin. That's what I thought.
I like the Let's Go, go, go.
I mean, that sounded better.
You like the Let's Go, go, go a little bit more?
I mean, most definitely Slacks. I'm sorry.
I mean, who had the better cheer, though, overall? The Let's Go Liquid is just nice, stock standard.
I mean, I love Liquid, though I'm ultimate bias here. I can't really speak an ill word of him.
Readjusting. Well, lucky for you, Matu. I don't know if you know the players that well, if you know much about the org, but we have a video for you that's going to fill in all the missing pieces of information you might have about Liquid.
I think the tier that hurt the most was probably TI-10, mostly because I feel like there were a couple plays in that last series that, you know, just like really regret.
And well, Puppy is going to get the disruption off, gets stuck inside the bramble, pops the Ghost Scepter preemptively, but he's going to die shortly after. Great curse. Yep, that's a huge curse onto 3 heroes as Team Secret get RP from Collapse, and the right clicks are there from Yataro. Triple kill for him. Mission an ultra kill. Will he get another rampage at TI-10? Absolutely.
We felt that we were good and that we could go all the way, but we just, you know, we just got outplayed and we got beat, and it's hard to take anything out of that besides ambition to get even better.
No thunder opportunity. They pop the cheese on Jab, but without a Terror Blade, there's really nothing left for Talon. They're going to call it here. GG, Team Liquid.
To be a TI winner, I think a lot of things have to fall into place. I'd like to think a lot of it has to do with mindset and belief. That you get to a point in the tournament where all of a sudden you have such like undying faith in your ideas that you kind of just go with it, because then you escape all the, you know, what if they do this? What if they do this? You know, we have to counter this. They're gonna play this, and instead you're just like, oh, they're giving me this. It's free game. You know, you're gonna give me Wisp. You know, we'll win. I think that's something that OG proved. That kind of when they got their things, they're just cruising. That's when you're really there, and I think everyone's kind of trying to throughout the tournament trying to get to that point where, you know, you figure out a couple of heroes that just really click for you, and once you have that, you're sailing. You put a lot of time and effort into it, but I don't really think you at any point deserve to win it. So if I'm deserving or not, I think it would mostly just be because I've been doing this a long time. You know, looking back at what I've done throughout the years, it would be nice to kind of get the last one in and be able to call, you know, myself a tier winner.
I'm not gonna lie, pretty emotional piece about Zai there. You know, he's always made it so close, but never actually in the grand final for himself. So this is it. He's in the lower bracket, but it could potentially happen for himself. It all starts with this series going a way of a win for themselves. Game 1 was it. And do you think that they've hit that state now, Owie? They gave Mickey Luna, and that was it. That was we got this hero, and now we can win this game.
Well, I actually have a question for Matu.
Oh, okay.
Because you're in Liquid's head a lot. You played with them last year. So this game, I feel like they had a good strat coming in. They tried to shut down Gaimin's offlane. They did that pretty successfully. But I would still say that Gaimin sort of reached like a winning position this game, and Liquid had to clutch it.
I mean, I also feel like that. I felt like Gaimin got everything they wanted for the first 20 minutes, and after that, like, I mean, they threw the game. They didn't play good. They played quite literally shit. So if I were Gaimin, I would just run it back with the same ideas, and I think like if they just like get their heads straight, they're gonna win the next game.
Do you think Liquid would want to change though? Because even though they won this game, I don't know if I'd be as comfortable. Like I feel like they clutched a win that they didn't necessarily deserve.
You're right. They have to learn it. There's nothing left to say about that.
Would you want to change like Liquid strategy though?
I mean, I think they should come up with something that would, I mean, it's hard to say, right? It's like they have their own idea, and I'm not quite sure if this was their idea of like not quite doing well on lanes, and after like when our heroes come online, we're gonna win the game anyway, type of thing. So.
Do you have an answer for your question, Owie? Like if you were in the
I have no idea. It's weird. It's
I
weird
don't know
when
if
you
you
win,
would,
but
yeah.
you're not sure if your strategy was correct. I think you'd probably want to switch it up a bit anyways so that gaming can't learn. But you know, who knows?
I mean, in that sense, maybe they could just address the hero that they felt put them in that losing position in the first place if their laning wasn't atrocious. Maybe the Necrophos, most teams didn't let it through. Maybe getting that Necro on 18 for Gaimin Gladiators caught them off guard, and if they just think about the potential threats of these cheese heroes coming out, they can stick to the Luna.
I know that you said that maybe it was a win that they didn't necessarily deserve for Liquid just because of how well the early game went for Gaimin Gladiators, but they were still able to stay dominant in that later part. And now I kind of want to focus on that before we get to a Game 2 draft, because they weren't giving any space. Quinn's Necro still was doing a lot of work, but he even got picked off, he even got caught out. So what exactly was it about Liquid's late game that made it really impossible for Gaimin to get back in?
I think first I should say like deserve was probably the wrong word. Like
That's
they
right.
obviously played all the things they had to do.
We
but
all
like
use
from
the
like
wrong word
from a
sometimes.
theory standpoint, like they weren't supposed to win, you know. I think I'm not too sure, Matthew. What do you think? Like,
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I'm not there in the booth playing, but
Let's say we replace Blitz with you, Matu, and you're in the Liquid booth now.
I would pick good heroes. Like, let's start with that.
That's really smart.
It's like that's what I came here for. I came on to tell like good hero, bad hero, just pick good heroes and win. You know, simple math.
I think
put it.
saying something like, okay, the draft or the early game might not have gone that well anyways, but we still managed to clutch it. This game, we're even going to have a more robust draft, and the game will go even more smooth to give them some confidence. I think that would go really far for Liquid, because and these teams, they played each other a lot this year.
Yeah.
And other than, I think, Riyadh, like, it has mostly gone Gaimin's way.
You know, they've matched up 12 times throughout the year. I think it's one of the biggest matchups that any two teams have had in one calendar year of competitive Dota. So it's a massive matchup for them. And you're right, it is normally going Gaimin Gladiators away in those 12 matchups, and it's going to be a hard reset. But Effie, do you have any ideas for hero changes, ban changes even?
I mean, if I were going to look at hero changes for Gaimin, I thought everything but the Bloodseeker looked fine, because Bloodseeker didn't give them that late game safety blanket. Earlier you asked Owie why you thought Liquid remained so dominant in the late game. It's just because their heroes scaled better, and they were at the point where they had the map control, they had their solutions to Necro, and Bloodseeker fell off. So if you can you can still play aggressive while also having late game security. That's what carries like Luna give you. So I would bench the Bloodseeker.
Yeah. I had that one down as well. It's like, Bloodseeker, is there a reason we're not seeing it? And maybe this game is a really good example. Marta, you said you're here for the good hero, bad hero? Or are you putting Bloodseeker?
Bad hero.
Okay, so don't pick it again.
No,
on either team.
I mean, there's a reason why it's not picked very often. They're trying to find solutions for some heroes in Liquid's lineup. I mean, they're hyper-focusing on the lanes, first of all. They see, like, Honka going off lane. They want a Bloodseeker that. It's going to be a really good lane for Bloodseeker. And hopefully, they're going to scale off just a good early game. But they just completely, like, whiffed it. You know, that Roshan was atrocious. Like, this is not supposed to ever happen in a pro Dota game that you go Roshan like that. Someone has to be scouting the smoke and popping the smoke, run out of pit, and then take the fight. And they just got blind torrented by three people. Unreal.
Yeah, it's pretty unreal, and we're going to see if they're going to bench it, what lessons they've learned for that game 1, and what's going to let through in game 2 draft.
Team Liquid versus Gaimin Gladiators. Game 2.
Now we can get to the nitty-gritty of the drafts, coining bad heroes, good heroes, as Marta likes to put it. Pugna, where do we want to put him? And is he now a first phase ban-worthy hero?
Omega good.
Omega good?
Yeah, more Pugna, more Luna. Is Mickey like undefeated on Luna? Let's see more of that.
Okay.
That's what I like. I want undefeated heroes on my boys, yeah?
I think Liquid's idea this series is going to be shutting down the Gladiators offlane. I think Pugna, as Matthew said, Pugna and Luna, they're probably like the strongest safe laners, right? Like, I don't think anything really matches Pugna in lane. He's just really fast, he hits hard, has a good nuke. And I think we saw last game, like, when I saw them get the double kill onto Ace and Tofu, that's why I thought the game was like starting to go well for Liquid. Obviously, Gladiators made some really good rotations through the gate and sort of stabilized that lane, but I think their plan going in was really good.
I just want to see Nisha have a good game. Like, he had a very big mid diff, as we like to call it, like mid difference. They picked in.
Thank you, Mazu.
Yeah. Just to make sure everyone understands. Yeah, they picked Invoker in the Necrophos, and he just like completely got stomped on that lane. They can fix that. They can maybe bridge the early game better.
Let's be fair to him, though. You know, the mid-diff, the lane matchup is really difficult ever since Invoker lost his Quas regen, laning into a Necro who's constantly like, harassing you with his abilities, with his passives. It became a lot more difficult for Invoker, but he was able to come back after the mid-diff, you know, have the impact on the Invoker, Matu.
I've never doubt my boy Nisha. Best player in the world. Let's go!
This is a Liquid plant on the panel.
Yeah, it really is, really is. I mean, you stop being more like Gaimin Gladiators or something like that, you know?
I have been very neutral.
Well, not anymore, not anymore, okay? I'm coining that you're allowed to be biased towards Gaimin Gladiators.
Should I be the Gaimin cheerleader?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I find... Okay, go Quinn. Let's go. Get
amazing, amazing.
I mean, I think that, honestly, Gaimin are a great team, but I do wonder, Curtis was talking about earlier how he felt that the game was uncharacteristic of them. He thought that their body language coming out was very disappointed. And the thing is, when it comes to Gaimin versus Liquid, up until the Riyadh Masters, Gaimin were always in a winning position, or they felt like they had their number. Starting off a elimination series, one game down, I wonder how that's going to affect them mentally, because we haven't seen Gaimin in a lot of positions where they have to recover from situations like this, right? It's usually Liquid who are on the back end.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty happy with how Gaimin are approaching this game, though. I think it's very easy to lose confidence in what I would say is their best strat, the Murta. After you lose a game, they see the Pugna, they think that, I would think from their perspective, like they would even think they would do better in this offlane this time if they got someone like a Murta Centaur versus the Pugna. And something else that I think is interesting for Liquid is, I think that last game they felt like it was awkward that they couldn't ban the Necrophos in the second phase because they wanted to ban the Chen. But this time they've actually opted to ban the Chen earlier so that they're more free on the second phase to ban a hero good against the cores in the second phase. I like this approach a lot because especially if you're going to first pick a support, you want to focus your bans on the core slots.
It's good that they don't overthink it. They're quite literally sticking to their guns right now. Exact same first two picks, and like the game was going great, like last game.
Do you think Liquid are going to go back for that Weaver, or are they hoping to maybe put Boxy on something he's a little bit more comfortable with? That's not to say he's not comfortable on the Weaver, but we have seen him do a lot more on other pos for heroes, and that Weaver was supposed to go to Mickey and sort of fell apart, and they recovered it well.
I would personally think they should go for a different route. I think that if you pick this Weaver, you're sort of committing on winning the lane on the Weaver. It was a really good matchup versus Phoenix, and I think they had the idea of putting it potentially safe lane, having a strong lane there. But I think the Weaver sort of made their post lane a bit awkward. I think Boxy is like a lot better when he can help his team move around the map, and I think Weaver's more of like an independent solo hero.
Also, they did end up trading the Weaver for the Centaur on Gaimin, so I don't think that trade worked out for the favor of the Centaur. So if you just take this Weaver out at this stage, it opens you up to not have to consider the Centaur the way that you did in the last game. So now you can just even go for a potential double support opening with the Phoenix, which is still a really great hero for Gaimin. We know it's a Celery specialty. It gives them team fight. It gives them map control. They just fumbled on it a little bit.
We're going to see what Liquid are going to pick up for themselves, and we've talked about all these changes, all the different ban orders and what it leaves open for them now. So, Aoi, what would you like to see? Actually, no. Marta, what would you like to see?
I just want to see this Phoenix like answered like directly, no like roundabouts about it. I want something that kills the egg, or some heroes that just don't care about the egg. Liquid's last loss, like last year's loss, they lost against Phoenix. They had 0 answers, and this hero is so contested that you really need to answer this support hero. Otherwise, the game will naturally just crumble.
Yeah, we often see teams neglect to not so much address the egg because they're busy trying to create synergy in their draft, and they do regret it. I feel like Luna is enough of a solution. I mean, Matsu said run back the Luna. Mike owned on it, very 100% win rate, so here we are, but it's a good BKB carrier. It can focus on the egg. Like natural agility items are also bought for this hero. On the side of Gaimin, they also had the Morita Phoenix backline, right? We talked about how Pugna is addressed through heroes that jump on him. So now you have these two potential backline supports with no frontliner to get on top of this Pugna. That really needs to be solved.
Alone Druid, Matu, I see your eyes. There's a glint.
Yeah, and they're glowing. I love this hero. I'm known for this hero.
Yeah?
It always gets me excited that somebody's practicing this hero and playing, because it's definitely not the most played. It's somewhere down there with the Chen. I mean, definitely Liquid having the Pugna and Luna, like just what I wanted. Maybe they heard me. That makes me happy too. But this is one of the Ace's best heroes. Gaming thrives through the lanes, and it really fits the picture how they want to play. And I'm a little worried for Liquid, honestly.
How does it fare versus the Pugna and Enchantress supports? Like, how do you think Lone Druid deals with them when they're pushing towers? He can just run his bear into it?
Yeah, he can. They don't really have any relation. Lone Druid is... he hates stuns, but these heroes don't really stun. They're just there hanging out, supporting their boys, so... looking good.
Aoi, you've had a little bit of time to think about this draft, so how are you liking the matchups of them so far?
I think the Lone Druid pick's pretty good. I think that Enchantress, he wants to sort of come from a winning lane. When you win your lane on this hero, you get to like go into the enemy triangle, start pressuring both mid and the safe lane. But Lone Druid's a hero that can put a lot of pressure on your carry, so you feel like you have to babysit him a lot more. I also think that this Pangler pick, Gaimin Gladiators Classic, they'll just see like two supports that don't really mess with his game. And I think they'll have a really good time on Gladiators. Their lineup right now, all they need is like for the safe lane to be stable, which I'm not too sure like how this Pugna versus Phoenix matchup goes. I haven't seen it that much, but I'd assume like it's sort of whatever lane for both sides. And yeah, good Kunkka pick. I feel like every time I see this hero and he has a decent lane, the hero is Unreal Imbus, so we'll see how it goes into team fights.
And X is a super valuable spell here versus the Pangolier versus the Phoenix. And Quinn does get his Pango. It is that backline jump to address this Pugna, make sure that he's not sustaining his cores. What happened in the last draft actually was they preemptively picked the Kunkka so that the Earth Spirit, Earthshaker, Pango options didn't look that good. But they just went for the Pugna here the Pango here as early as they could, just so they could make sure that they don't have issues with the backline. But Kunkka solves it very well. The Torrent Storm is also just an excellent spell versus Lone Druid. It makes it so the bear has a very difficult time hitting heroes. Matu, you mentioned it doesn't like stuns. Does it like being pushed up in the air for the entirety of the game?
I totally agree. If I were a mid laner, I had a Kunkka, I see these four heroes, I think easy game, guys. Just go next. Like, job well done.
That's simple, huh?
That's simple. It looks amazing. Like, you can't just deny it. It's like,
it is a pretty good Phoenix game though, right? Like, I feel like Phoenix is one of the only heroes where when Kunkka presses Torrent Storm, you don't have to panic, you don't have to spam all your BKBs. If you get a good egg off, like, you might be able to weather out the storm. I think this game, a lot of it is going to depend on Liquid safe lane. Like, how does Enchantress and Luna do? If they're able to free up the Ench a bit more and she's able to roam onto this Pangolier, I feel like they could have a lot of pressure on mid. It's very rare that you see like Gladiators in a position where they're the one who's sort of going to be forced to do things on mid, and they don't have the best supports in my opinion to respond to this pressure.
So how are we feeling about the Morita flex to safe lane still, and then you just respond with a more active support to absolve some of the Enchantress pressure?
It could happen, but I think most likely you should take a hero that's easier to leave alone. I think in your eyes this game, there should be like a lot of fighting with this Kunkka and Pangolier mid. The runes are really important. So if you have a Morta in the safe lane, I think she's sort of easy to rotate on. I think they'll end up picking like a melee hero that makes the lane a bit more stable and they can leave it alone. Also, using like the very last pick on the support, like you have to get a lot of value out of the support, or like they have to have messed up against the core flex.
I super agree.
Probably won't happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, in theory, Morta carry is amazing here. Like, he's super good against Luna, super good against Kunkka, and Pugna, no cares. But I think Gaming's biggest problem this game will be that they don't get ran over. Like, if they don't get ran over, they have a fighting chance. So Morta carry doesn't quite fit that picture, because Morta needs like 5 items to be useful or something like ridiculous. Like, they're like the ultimate hard carry of hard carries. So.
So if Alec gets taken out, you don't want to run back the Bloodseeker. CK is never going to be given in a pool, and there's no Weaver. What kind of self-sustaining carry can you put on the safe lane for Gaimin? I mean, Spectre is an option when you're looking at like squishy heroes in the backline, but the Tidehunter comes out, so you can't Spectre anymore. So that's one of the only good options, also taken out.
Okay, I don't really want to see them pick it, but I know they've ran Lifestealer in situations like this. Like just someone who's going to sit there independently. I think the lane can be sort of not good versus Tide. Like he's going to outfarm you a bit, but I could actually see them picking it.
I mean, that hero is on my good bad hero list.
Yeah?
I'm not quite sure, you know, it's
You're not
somewhere
sure?
in the middle. I'm leaning towards a bad hero.
Well, I have a more
right now.
important question though. How many good heroes and bad heroes are on each side right now?
Like each side?
Yeah.
I feel like Liquid...
Just say like good,
Liquid
good.
has 3 good heroes.
Three good
Tide,
heroes.
Not good heroes.
Okay.
Gaming Alone Root, obviously, good hero. Phoenix, good hero. Murta, good hero.
Is like Lone Druid like a double good hero, or like how does that?
Like, yeah, just double it.
Okay.
For the sake of it. So
Just double the overall score.
Gaming has 4 good heroes right now. Pango is not one of them.
Natu, Void, is that a good hero? Faceless Void versus a Tidehunter? Do you hate it?
It could be a thing. I would like something like really faster hero, like faster paced hero.
But what's left in the pool right now with the Alchemist, Terrorblade taken out? The Spectre, I feel, is not really a solution versus a Tidehunter.
I feel like Curtis is more like qualified for this question, having coached Tundra.
I honestly, without
like
the,
just
without
being
the
amazing
heroes,
coach all around.
without the
Very
heroes,
good.
I can't function. But
He needs the
honestly,
spring.
I'm happy with like whatever they feel confident in that can hold the safe lane versus Tidehunter. Like I just don't want them to feel like they're collapsing to this pressure. Generally, the picks versus Tidehunter traditionally are like Ursa, Slark. These heroes, actually Tidehunter doesn't have a bad lane, and they have a Pugna as well versus Phoenix, so I feel like they're a bit sus right now. I think you just need to pick something that's stable in the lane that will sit there and allow you to go pressure the enemy mid. Oh.
That's a fast hero. Let's go. I like that.
I mean, for sure, this hero has eventual pressure on the Tidehunter. Like, if you find that you can leave it alone, you think that they won't rotate on him, I could see the Razor work out really well.
He's a bad hero, but he's really...
It's a bad
he
hero?
looks, yeah, he's a bad or let's say he's a bad hero, but he looks amazing this game. To be fair, you know,
This
bad
is a
heroes,
really good Razor game.
yeah, it's like bad heroes can turn into amazing heroes given the right game.
And I think if we see the re-emergence of the old school like BKB refresher build on this Razor, they could play on a very early timing and they could handle the threat of the Luna, and he can outfight the Kunkka with the Torrent Storm and the boat debuff. But he's going to have to make sure to just win that lane. If the safe lane loses in any way, if there's any kind of sneaky twin gate rotation, it could be scary for Gaimin.
Alrighty. Well, we've had our drafts now. Thank you guys so much for all of your information for the good, bad hero rankings. But we're going to hear from the Gaimin Gladiators coach himself.
Hello, everybody. I am here with CY from Gaimin Gladiators. Give it up for the boys! You see this, sir? I have questions here. They're all gone after I see that last pick, Razor, going down to the end of the reserve time. As Matu said on the panel, garbage hero, but pretty good this game. How are you feeling about it?
I mean, I feel pretty good about it. Like, sometimes you can't fix, like, it's a good lane against Tide, also historically. Sometimes you can't fix these kind of problems with bad heroes. So I think Razor is an okay hero. It's not an OP hero by any means, but if Tide has a really bad game, I think it's pretty good for us.
All right, as Trent likes to say in the back whenever he sees you pick Lone Druid, this is our they don't want to lose hero. Is that how you guys are kind of feeling in this draft?
Lone Druid is just kind of like, Ace feels it. He feels he's going to own with it, so we trust him.
Okay, well, I'm sure the team trusts themselves very much as well. This might be the last time that we get to talk to you. I hope not, though. So any words out there? I'm not, come on, I'm just saying. Any words out there to the fans?
This won't be the last time.
It better not be. Let's go into the game as we take it with our casters.
You're goddamn right. I hope it won't be the last time we see CY. We all want to see a game 3 because it would be a shame to see the most dominant team of this season go down in a 0-2 fashion. Right, Avery?
That depends who you ask, but I tend to agree, yeah.
I think the Liquid fans behind me wouldn't mind, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of Liquid fans in this arena right now, so they would definitely not mind.
I don't know, maybe we can test the crowd. What do you think? You guys want to hear a 2-0 or do you want to get a 2-1? You want to see a game 3? That's what I want to hear right there. But are Gaimin Gladiators going to be able to do it, Avery? They picked up the Lone Druid. They trust in Ace. I feel like if anybody on this team you're going to trust to carry the game, I feel like Ace has been rock solid for them all year. Why not?
Not a bad option to go to, right? Give them like actual carry hero. They can push objectives, take the pace. You're looking for that diffusal harpoon build. It's going to be pretty terrifying in the fights if he gets away with it and just has his way. Yeah, I kind of agree with the panel's assessment. Like, this is another draft from Gaimin where if the lanes go well for them, if they get these solo matchups, the Razor versus the Tide, the Lone Druid gets a lot of solo XP, they can run away with it again. They're kind of just going all in on these like lane domination into the tempo, going higher around 25-30 minute mark. Liquid, they're going to present the same type of formidable ball against them. Luna back on the menu, and of course Tide and Kunkka to just buffer up with the Pugna behind. It's a very similar setup, right? So Gaimin know what's coming. They're trying to address it a bit differently. Razor's one of these carries where we saw Duraccio suffer last game with the Bloodseeker versus the Luna matchup. I think Razor can do very well versus Hero. If you get fast BKB, you just run in. Luna sometimes not ready for you. You suck all his damage away. What happens when the 4 protect 1 is protecting a 1 with no DPS?
Yeah, I love the, like, I've always called Razor kind of an anti-carry in that regard, that he just latches onto the enemy carry and negates them entirely. Especially the way Duraccio got ruined by the shard pickup of Luna. Those glaives were destroying him. Here we've got a range hero, but also takes away the attack damage of the Luna. You make a good point. Honestly, I feel Gaimin Gladiators have a really nice setup here. The panel definitely focused on that. The fact that Razor may not be the best hero in the meta right now, but it is a good late Razor game.
I mean, of course, Matu is on the panel, so you have to pick Lone Druid. You know, get that bias in your direction. Doesn't hurt. But a lot does come down to the first 10 minutes here. And we saw Liquid go toe-to-toe with Gaimin in that game 1. Now, Gaimin came out a little bit ahead on
Duraccio, you can't be forward to die already in this lane, but he does.
That is not a kill I expect. This is a double range lane versus a Tide with Gush level 1, and you just find a first blood that easily versus Plasma Field. Razor's not that squishy of a hero. Hero's good stats, decent armor. This is supposed to be the last pick lane matchup that goes Gaimin's way. So Liquid just immediately strike on these lanes, get a really nice start for Boxy, who is on that Pugna this time instead of Insania. So this is a hero that Liquid's very confident playing 4 and 5. They just like the heals and the sustain the hero brings to the table, not really caring about any of the counter matchups. And it had a decent amount of impact game 1.
He's going to take a lot of damage here too. The Plasma Field does keep, well, it doesn't actually stop Boxy. Boxy's like, I don't care about you, Razor. I'm going to chase down Celery to the ends of the earth if need be.
Might get him here.
Yeah, he's going to be routed a little bit. He's going to back away, does leave Tide alone in the 1v1, and that's not where he wants to be. He does not want to be in a situation where he's just a simple melee hero against the Razor, but Celery does get run down eventually. Boxy claims the second kill of the game.
Already 2-0 for Mr. Pugnaman, and yeah, Zai did get punished on the backswing. That's the downside. He also went for the fast boots here, which means a little less region on this bottom lane.
Yeah, Gladiators, this is going to be enough. The final shot, not quite. Insania does hit his level 2, and Nature's Attendance keeps him up just enough.
This is a scary safe lane for Liquid to play going into that like 5 to 10 minute mark. If they get a lot of XP on Ace here, I can see him kicking Mickey out, particularly off a rotation from the Pangolier mid. If Quinn gets some runes, it's going to help accelerate these side lanes a lot. That's normally what they look to do with the Pango.
Oh, Quinn.
Double water rune?
If he dodges the torrent, he gets the second water rune. So that is a big buff for him. Almost losing his courier, but it's fine.
Well, the creeps, they won it.
Well, does mean he misses out on 1 CS there, but probably worth it, seeing as the Kunkka versus melee matchup is usually a bit of a game of sustain.
Okay, surely if Gaimin go out, not that I'm cursing them.
No, of course not. Got a little bit of fight in top lane first.
If he goes out on Pango of all heroes.
You know,
surely
Quinn
there's some
does
iron.
not want to lose on a Pango.
Yeah, I can assure everybody I will never let him live that down personally. And, it'll be interesting to watch, but so far he's doing quite well mid.
Yeah, the millions of dollars wasn't enough motivation. The public humiliation may be too much to bear.
Never underestimate it. He's looking to punish Nisha for the lack of regen. Damn, this is where you wish you could just like roll mid early, but these silings are way too important as Zai getting pushed back again. He's had to buy his own salve. So he's getting a lot of regen abused on this lane, and while that lane looked great for them at the start, this is where that Razor matchup just becomes incredibly painful as you try and get to a ring of health. Boots first. I mean, it's great for dealing with the, you know, not feeding away kills to the Razor. It's not great for staying on the lane. So Liquid running into some regen problems on these lanes as the war of attrition heats up. Gaimin starting to strike back.
You know, I want to talk about the versatility of roles here for Liquid. They, you talked about the Pugna. They swapped it between 4 and 5 this game, but also the Kunkka, right? 3 position for Zai last game, now running mid. What do you think that gives Liquid when they're able to have that kind of versatility in their draft. Do you feel like it gave them an edge somewhere?
I think it's what Blitz talking about. Like the versatility helps you the most in the draft, right? You get to hold these flexes till later, and you can see more lane setups. You're not going to get punished in matchups as hard. You make sure you're winning at least 1.5 or 2 out of the 3 lanes, so you don't get run over. I think that's a big core component that Liquid had to figure out over the course of the year playing against Gaimin in all of these grand finals. Right? A lot of those games, not everyone, but a decent amount, Gaimin just beat them in the first 10 or 15 minutes so hard that there wasn't any Dota to play.
Yeah.
So if you go even in that phase as Liquid and you get into that mid game like we saw last time, get one good team fight, all of a sudden you can just win a game off that, especially with a hyper carry like Luna that they have shown can be pretty nasty given a lead. And that's what Mickey's going to try and do here again. Now, he doesn't have as many crazy buffs behind him in terms of damage. I really like that Invoker pairing with it, just because I think the control and the alacrity does help you in that end game. But Kunkka and Tide, they're going to give you a lot of extra sustain here. And he doesn't have to worry about as much burst. There's no big Reaper coming out on this Luna this game. It's just going to be the Pango going in with Rolling Thunder.
And it gives you maybe a better winning matchup, but maybe not against the rotation coming out from Celery. Quinn, he needs to be able to hit this swashbuckle to finish off Nisha, but the regen is already kicking into play, so Quinn abandons that idea.
This is just fighting for that 6-minute power rune. I like the fact that Boxy is not letting Gaimin get away with bringing more heroes mid on Nisha, especially when Nisha was falling behind in that region department early with the water runes. This lane is completely evened out. They're both very close to 6. I think Nisha's he's gonna hit it off this catapult. Wouldn't be surprised to see him try and get a cheeky kill with this boat.
And Quinn, even if he does get it off of 1 or 2 creeps here, he needs more mana.
Oh yeah, they're looking for it just out of range. So decent tower damage. And again, 6-minute power rune. No way Quinn gets this. They will get the boat connection.
Pull him back in with the Decrepify. Healthy amount of burst magic damage. They need the physical swing in from Nisha, and that's going to be denied for the Fire Spirits for now. Nisha can't get a swing in. And thanks to Tofu making his rotation out, makes things a little awkward for Liquid.
Quinn just has no resources here. This is a 3-man rotation for Gaimin without any mana on the Pango. You just can't take the fight. And it'll be an Arcane Rune into Nisha's pocket. A very nice one to pick up here.
Mickey in some trouble. Fought for the Lotus. And he will maybe die for it. No, the Lotus is actually what keeps him alive here. Ace also has to rotate back because Boxy was cutting through the river with the other support of Insania.
This is where that solo matchup it's a nightmare, right? There's not many carries who can stand one-on-one against the Lone Druid. You need a very specific one. And even in these situations, as long as Mickey can get his XP and eventually retreat the jungle, he's going to be happy. But I do expect both these silence to kind of open up for Gaimin over the next few minutes here. This 5 to 10 period has really become a big nuisance unless you're bringing numbers to combat it. We see Zai, he's still continuing to struggle in this Razor matchup. I mean, he's just hoping he has some ancient stacks or something to fall back on at this point. It's not going to be one of those tide lanes where you get a hammer and just start beating down the tower. This
First rotation coming out from Liquid, double supports, but at the same time from behind, there is going to be this Pango showing up. If they can finish off Dyrachyo, it'd be worth it, but they can't quite get him. He's hidden away into the trees. Dyrachyo's out of sight, and now Zai gets bumped back. He goes for Insania instead, an easier kill for sure, and Dyrachyo is the one to claim the turnaround kill.
It's just such a hard kill, even with all the supports coming bottom for Liquid. This race is way too tanky. I do like the idea though, right? You want to bail out these side lanes in the one-on-one matchup by just bringing numbers, outnumber the core, create a situation where if you get the big kill on these tanky boys, you get so much XP back.
Yeah, so they make a move bottom, and if that doesn't work, make the move on top with Nisha. And Ace doesn't have it level 6, so he's pretty squishy once caught by some disables.
This is exactly what you want to do. Just find these cheeky core pickoffs, because every time you do, you can leave the lane. Now you can leave Mickey top for some solo XP. He'll catch back up, right? And suddenly he doesn't have this Lone Druid pestering him or pushing the tower. Meanwhile, you can just get Boxy room mid. I like these rotations from Liquid. It's giving their cores a lot more breathing room in this early game and nullifying what Gaimin want to do, which is isolate the one-on-ones here.
It does come at a cost, though, because it means they give up control of the power runes, right? And Quinn, well, he got an armor rune. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to use that quite as well as some other ones, like an arcane rune, but it is still something to note that Quinn's rotation is going to be all the more powerful.
Yeah, but look at this. Ace round 2.
Ace hit his level 6, but chose not to level up his ultimate. He's doing a lot of damage. He has to back away. 1 versus 3. Now they know the rotation is coming in from Quinn. He's to get it with the swashbuckle. Oh, clips Nisha. Not quite finishing up Mickey. They'll get the kill on Insania instead. Deep in though, Courier spotted, and they know Nisha is still trying to get out of here. Unfortunately, he's just a bit too quick for Quinn.
That dead shot almost hit Mickey as well. That is very close to losing the Luna and just translating this completely into a rout on the safe lane. Gaming, they read that pretty damn well. The move from Liquid, if you get another kill on Ace there, he has no resummon. He's completely out of the game for a minute. So that is a lone druid you have to protect. You have to smoke them. Make sure Ace can get this tower early. This is the game plan. Let him bulldoze every objective on the map, uncontested, because the Tide Hunter is too poor to contest. If you set that situation up for Ace, he's probably going to run away with it. That's what they're trying to create as the Pine Cone. We'll send a siege shot.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. It is
You waited all year to hear that one, yeah. Maybe.
Dreams do come true here at TI.
Sometimes.
Nighttime is about to finish up, so that, a little bit of strength they get from the Luna is about to go away. Gaimin Gladiators also probably feeling pretty confident with the Pango pretty well on.
Look at these stacks down here. This is an unconventional place to have this many stacks.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. I mean, you wish you were an alchemist right here, but look at another round.
There is plenty of stacks.
For Ratio.
Liquid jungle, their triangle, they also have some, which is something Zai is probably going to need. Or maybe not Zai at all. Maybe Niche is going to take it, speed along to that Aghanim Scepter. Not taking a pit stop for the Blade Mail, which we've seen so much of. Why do you think that is?
It's just not a great blade mail, right? You can't really reflect anything into this Pangle here that reliably. The Lone Druid doesn't care. The Bear's just healing. The Razor one's okay, but Razor's a fast BKB hero, so it's not necessarily that good for that long in the early game. I kind of agree here. It doesn't strike me as a blade mail game, but it is just a well-rounded hero, or well-rounded item on the hero. Fast Torrent Storm could be interesting. You're not going to buy BKB on Lone Druid. And if you catch the Pango, he also doesn't buy one. So in theory, this Torrent Storm could do some work in the early fights, help you defend towers against the Lone Druid push as well. It's also an item that can sometimes catch the backline, right? You're looking at a Morta Phoenix lineup. If you can catch these two supports back there and take them out of the fight, even with a single Torrent.
They caught it just before the Rolling Thunder gets off, but still, saved by the silence from Tofu, and they could still try and chase down Nisha here. Hit him with the dead shot, push him into the Bear. The Phase Boots chasing after him, slow him down, immediately got entangled, but he did have that illusion rune. Quickly dispels that. Rolling Thunder on its way, the big ball. It's Nisha once, twice. Ravage, though, on the side, though. No follow-up to this Rolling Thunder. Quinn's going to be left alone now as he's caught in the X. That magic immunity will not last forever, and he's pulled back into his death.
Sage is just going to push up here and give him the vision and maybe just push in the mid-tower. How much firepower they have, but that is a well-used Ravage from Zai. Very happy to clean up Ace with his start right. He gets the best start for Gaming, gets the kill with the worst start from Liquid. It's a massive golden XP swing here. And again, Gaming just overextending a little bit. They thought they were the ones that connected, but Liquid are happy to bring everybody these tower defense fights, particularly for this tier 1 mid. Because if Gaming get that tower, it opens up a lot of the map for the Lone Druid to occupy, but when he makes that rotation and it fails, Ace gets shut down again on a big objective. And all of a sudden, you have the Luna and the Kunkka leading the pack, which is exactly where you want to be. Ready to take the defensive fights, continuing to get the economy going with stacks on your side. And Mickey, he's going to run away with it again. We saw him do it game 1, right? And that was with a much worse start. Here he's leading already pretty early in the game. He has Mask of Madness, he has stacks waiting for him.
I like that. Uses his own illusions to cut the midway, pull it to himself in a safer part of the map, but they're going to try and catch him with this 3-man smoke of Gaimin Gladiators.
Still no defusal on the Pango. This is where your skirmish power is a little limited. If you get stuck in these long fights versus the boat run, right? That's been one of the biggest problems here. Like, how are you dealing with the damage? Game 1, you had a Reaper to just cut through it before it did its work, but here, this is a very deep smoke. Very important smoke for Gaming if they can hit this. They are a little too slow.
Oh, Mickey might walk back into
or
it
are they?
Here.
The greed.
Perfect opportunity. Mask of Madness going up, but Mickey cannot get far enough away in time. The dead shot repositions him right into that, not even needing the Rolling Thunder to hit a few times. And Duraccio already made this rotation over, so kind of similar to the move that Liquid did earlier with Zai. Came in with the Ravage, they immediately pushed the tower. It looks like Gaimin Gladiators can exert some pressure of their own.
Patience pays off there. So Mickey just wanted one more Ancient stack, and I'll pay the price. Also, I think the itemization on Gaming, it's interesting, because you went this Midas on Duraccio.
Yeah.
So this is, not the BKB rush. He's not going to join some early fights. Another boat on Quinn with Decrep Ampin. Whew. See you later.
There's a good reason for the Torrent Storm there as well, I guess. When you have a Pugna amping up magic damage, that Torrent Storm can actually do a lot.
Turning this hero into a burst hero.
Yeah.
That will keep you out of there. But they went the Midas on the Razor, and they're going Radiance on the Lone Druid for Ace.
Okay.
So this is a classic Bear build going back to, what is it, TI3, TI4? Yep. It's very good at the farm acceleration. It'll clear a lot of the map. It'll help them keep the scale and the rate up. It's okay in the fight here too, right? The one downside is you get like a fast pipe on Zai or something, you're going to mitigate some of it. We'll see what they decide to do with the timing, because that's going to be a big one for Gaming. You get this Radiance on the Lone Druid, you want to take the fights into the Roshan and get that going, as well as just clearing out more of the map. That tier 1 being up for Liquid is still a big deal. We'll see how much Gaming prioritizes, but it looks like they're just giving everything to Ace here, putting everything into this bear, and hoping it wins them that big fight with the Radiance burn. Also, AoE missed chance for the egg.
Yeah.
Never bad. The old Kuroki Radiance coming into play here.
He's going to get that Radiance pretty damn quickly. Liquid seemed more than content. I mean, they're probably looking at this as a repeat of Game 1, where they just sit back. Eventually, that Luna is going to get to a point where she can carry the game. But it does feel like Gaimin Gladiators, with the itemization you pointed out, they're definitely playing to scale better than they did in Game 1, right?
Yeah, a bit more security. That's what I feel about it. Like, this is not just all in. Now, they can hit that really strong timing push around the BKB on Razor and the Radiance on Lone Druid, but it's not like they completely fall off after that. As double damage on Nisha, prompting a Liquid Smoke, looking for the Razor down here with the duo that has bursted cores the whole game. Gonna be an awkward angle. They should get it.
They got him. Magic damage coming in, it's too much.
Man, this single combination between the decrep and all the magic damage, very effective, very efficient on the map. You're not committing numbers for these ganks. Look for Mickey mid, get some mana burn. Quinn again diving very deep.
Rolling Thunder gets off, but he's already at half health. He's gonna have to run away, especially with Nisha showing himself on a double damage. Nice dead shot to keep him away. They want to make sure the X marks the spot, doesn't hit that Pango, and get him pulled back after the Rolling Thunder. Instead it hits Celery, but he immediately pops the Supernova, and they're actually kind of in a bad position here. The Torrent Storm does well. That's going to help. Dead shot, push him back into the silence. Quinn's trying to limp away. That double damage is dangerous, but he doesn't have the attack speed to get the swing in.
Liquid overextending in the river as Ace makes a backswing. Beautiful calling around the egg. That combination is deadly with the attack speed slow, and Radiance right on time at 16 minutes here. This is really damn fast. They gave him so much ancient priority around that triangle. It's go time for Ace. He needs to take this game over in the next few minutes.
Oh, the sentry in the corner. Boxy, no doubt he doesn't know exactly where that ward is. He's going to try and get out of the way, but the Plasma will nix him, and the Radiance will burn him down.
And that's a 3x streak, so more gold into Ace's pocket. Already back up to 1,000 directly after that reveal. That's just not a fight Liquid were willing to take, because the Tidehunter was also taking a tier 2 bottom.
Oh, like, wow.
Zai is your biggest team fight presence right now with Blink, Meteor Hammer, Ravage. He took a tier 2 bottom. He's really happy about that. You get it for free, but not if you're giving up heroes in the river at the same time. And remember, a lot of this game to me is about the Lone Druid pace versus how much the Tidehunter take the fights.
Blink gets disabled. He is tanky though. Making his way back to the tier 2. Nisha's here on top of that one. He's going to throw it. Oh, what a hit!
It hit them all.
With the follow-up of the boat. Isn't enough burst damage, though. It's not quite enough. They need a little bit more. The heals start coming in onto Nisha. They prioritize keeping people alive. Well, Zai jumps forward to try and finish up this bear. And the bigger bear, Quinn, rolling interception, trying to stop these heroes from pushing in, but they kill the bear and the big one, and they both go down together. Gaimin Gladiators will lose both their supports and this Lone Druid that they have funneled so much gold into.
That was your big Lone Druid Radiance fight, and it went horribly wrong as Zai just ravages your entire team into the boat in the Torrent Storm. Look at the damage output from this Kunkka right now. You were asking what that Torrent Storm can do. That is exactly what it can do. Send you back to your fountain packing, as the damage is just ramping up way too fast here for Liquid. And normally this is where Gaming, they'd have a bunch of sustain, they'd have a Sunray, they'd have this big Lone Druid who's healing off dealing damage to heroes. I mean, the sustain is not nearly enough right now as you just walk into a hammer. This hammer also hit on 3 plus a bear, by the way. That is some insane value coming out from Zai, who just walks it off and says, all right, team, I set the plate. Come and feast.
I love the fact that he jumps back in. Bold, knowing the fact that, you know, once he hits him with that anchor smash on the Lone Druid, it really doesn't do that much anymore. Not to the Tidehunter anyway.
Another reason to go this Radiance build, right? Then maybe you don't care about the anchor smash as much. You have a bunch of bonus damage on the bear and you get this burn going through.
Yep.
It's one of those matchups that's been played for a very long time. So far, I feel like Zai is doing so much with the start he's had to deal with. He's paid it back already. Itemization, early blink, doing some work. As Gaimin will continue to look for this BKB on Dyrachyo so they can just man up in the fight. You know, that fight might be a different story if Dyrachyo is able to commit there, be in that engagement, and have his presence felt, right?
Yes.
But it's just how Razor functions. You need BKB to go into this fight. Otherwise, you're just stuck on the Torrent Storm with everybody else.
Gaimin Gladiators not shying away from aggression, though. Now that the Ravage Zon's cooldown, they continue to play on the same part of the map that they're trying that last fight into. Want to take down a tier 2.
They're still quite strong at fighting around Ace if the fight develops in the way they want, which is a defensive egg, baiting some Liquid heroes in, you get a calling around it, somebody gets dead shotted, somebody else is rooted or ward. There's a lot of team fight disruption pre-BKB that Liquid has to deal with, particularly on their two big beefy frontliners. This Sunray plus the Radiance burn, it's gonna add up, plus Pango poking through with some swashbuckles and the mana burn. This was a smart push, and you're still looking for Roshan in this game. That's the biggest objective for Gaimin to throw on this type of group up push lineup. When you take that and what you do with it, vital to your game plan here as the Liquid ball continues to grow. And of course, Mikke is just having a free-for-all in these Ancients, man. He's continuing to climb the levels. Level 16 on this Luna right now, 3 ahead of the next on Gaimin. That is the power of Ancient Camps and stacking them.
Yeah, that one death early on. The only kind of action he's really had to worry about. Dyrachyo again. This is the second time in this series that he's picked up his BKB and immediately has to use it defensively.
It's just not what you want.
Trying to jump onto Quinn. Once again, the X stops the Rolling Thunder. The burst magic damage is so good against this Pango. They have just enough disables and just enough magic damage to finish him off.
That was perfectly executed. You cannot ask for any better timings there on the X-Torrent. Not an easy kill either, and right around tier 2 for Gaimin. So if that game goes wrong, it can go really wrong. Aggressiveness paying off here for Liquid, and just so much space for the Luna. Absolutely untouched in this game.
And Liquid, it felt like that Ravage fight earlier. Gaimin Gladiators, if they don't lose that fight, they take a tier 2. Maybe they could take the Roshan after taking that tier 2, but now it's switched over to the Radiant side here, and Liquid had that lane pushed in. They're going to take full advantage of it, and Gaimin Gladiators, they know what's going on, but with Quinn dead, they just can't get there in time, not with their full force.
Not a Roshan you wanted to give up if you're gaming with this lone true timing. One Mikke is happy to take, a bit easier this time, claiming that Aegis.
Avery, this is looking like a Liquid who could hit high ground pretty damn soon.
Yeah, they can. They absolutely have a lot of push power behind the beefy frontliners in the Pugna. That's what they like about this lineup. You can take the push to Gaimin, and sometimes these push lineups don't deal well with getting pushed back. It's one of their weaknesses.
Unfortunate bit of RNG there. I think Gaimin Gladiators would have definitely wanted the Phoenix to get the shard. Instead goes to the Muerta. But here comes that push. Liquid gonna start taking more tier 2 towers. We'll see how bold they are when it comes to hitting the early high ground.
Maybe how bold Zai is in terms of willing to jump. Because you can let the Luna push these objectives, but you do kind of want to just blink Ravage and take the fight. Sure. You feel like you can burst a big core target. Nonetheless, they'll get a tier 2. Open up more of this map, take outpost control, and see how far they press it here. Level 18 on the horizon for Mikke as well. Level 3 Eclipse would feel pretty damn good here if you're going to end up in a drawn-out team fight. They'll switch to bottom. You can also just siege it up with Pugna, right? I mean, that is an option here.
Yeah.
Alpha Wolf giving Mikke even more damage as well with Pack Leader. This is a strong push. Catapult's going to remain up. I mean, where's the poke? They're letting Liquid get a lot of damage for free here. No swashbuckles, no fire spirits.
Luna Siege, it is all the more dangerous once your tier 3 is down and you start getting those mounting glaives into play. Exactly. Trying to pull Dyrachyo out of position, almost got him, but he pushed a little bit over to the side instead. Harpoon pulling in the Kunkka. Now
committed rolling.
Follow this one up.
He has no BKB, you gotta remember.
Yeah, this is gonna be Nisha dying straight up immediately. Now Liquid left in a 4 versus 5. He's gonna stand his ground, but Quinn, what a hit on through with a swashbuckle. Almost finishing up. The Radiant's going to run down Mikke on his first life. He's going to come back, and there's nobody left alive. No
absolute disaster.
Whatsoever of Liquid. They are absolutely going to be losing 4 here, and absolutely nothing claimed on the side of Liquid. What a disaster.
Didn't even get to use the Ravage, didn't get Torrent Storm off, didn't use the Luna BKB, because what is the point after everybody's dead? That siege went horribly wrong very fast with I mean, Nisha just being too far up, right?
Yeah.
He ended up in their base almost on the high ground, stuck in a calling, can't really get out. There's no repositioning. There's a single 4-staff on Liquid. That's pretty much it. And you don't have a BKB on Kunkka, so you can't just man up in the front line and all these AoE control, especially when that bear just starts running at you.
That is a nasty combo, though. The calling on top of the harpoon, so Nisha really just couldn't get much off there.
I mean, he has Arcane Rune here, so he's like, I want to fight, but yeah, Harpoon drags him in there. He can't even move. That just sets the whole fight up. I thought this Rolling Thunder was a bit early, but of course, no BKB. You can just fully commit, and then you're all clumped on this choke point. Just a disaster on the back line for Boxy. Can't reposition. That's just an easy fight cleanup for the Pangolier with an Ags delivered at the right time in this game, giving you the extra damage, and all of a sudden,
that's
a
like
lot
a
of wind
4K
out of your
network
sails.
swing.
Yeah,
that
was big. Gaming have a lead, in fact, at this point right now. 1K up after that failed push attempt.
Yeah.
That's a big one to give away. This is a lineup that, remember, Gaming were itemizing and building to scale. This is a Razor that can be 5-6 slot in this game and be a massive threat. And you're still playing pretty much a single core damage lineup if you're Liquid. Yeah. It's all in on the Luna. So if you have anti-carry heroes in this Razor, in this Morta throwing down a calling, Pangolier disarming you, whatever it is, it's not as easy as last game for Mickey to just 1v5 here.
We've also hit, I think, one of the biggest spikes when it comes to Lone Druid power. 25 minutes. That means you start picking up all these Wraith Bands for your hero with double the effectiveness. You get a huge boost in armor for yourself and your bear. That Luna is not going to be able to deal with the bear nearly as well as she was just 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Things are aligning really well for Ace. I mean, he is still gigantic in this game, right? And the benefit of the Wraith Bands here is he already has his 2 big items completed. So it's not like he's hurting the timing of anything here. He just gets free armor and Agi galore. Another Rolling Thunder on Nisha.
Nisha could force half up to the high ground. Helped out by the supports. They have the anchor on Quinn, but they don't feel good about taking this one, especially with Dyrachyo getting right in the middle of them with his BKB. They pop the flop still, and Mickey is actually okay with fighting this one for now, but they retreat.
Yeah, but look at Ace.
BKB.
Look at Ace in the back.
Away, and yeah, Ace sees his opportunity. He's going to be able to catch up to Mickey, slow him down. The Torrent Storm trying to help him out. Another 4-staff, but he won't get far enough away. The carry of Liquid is dead for 60 seconds, and they're on the run now. 2 dead. Gaimin Gladiators playing some clean Dota now after a bit of a rough game 1.
Man, sometimes Ace's positioning on these team fights, he just comes out of nowhere. You don't expect him. He just cleans it up. You think you're okay. You get in one bad trade, and suddenly Luna off the map for 50 seconds here. Another fight where Mickey just doesn't get to show the true power of his hero right now with a full Hurricane Pike BKB Eclipse. Just gets the damage pumped into Dyrachyo, and I mean, Dyrachyo doesn't care, right? He knows he has other damage sources in this lineup. As long as he soaks up the Luna BKB, he's probably happy with that exchange, assuming no one dies in a Ravage. And speaking of Ravage, when was the last one, right? It feels like that Ravage top was the last time Zai felt his big teamfight impact felt in this game.
Yep.
We haven't seen one for a while, and the opening just hasn't been there.
I mean, you don't get that kind of hard initiation. We saw what happened. Gaimin Gladiators, they saw BKB plus the Shard, the Moonclaves active out for the Luna, and they said, okay, we're not going to make the same mistake of like trying to commit on that hero like we did last time. Dyrachyo learned his lesson. He said, kite it out. That's all we have to do.
If you get it to a point where the BKB is down for Mickey, you don't have anything on the other cores, but Rolling Thunder becomes a big problem. You're just going through with this Ags, burning everybody's mana. There's no control for it. We see Zai throwing the anchor out on Quinn. I mean, yeah, that's great when it expires, but only if you can punish him when it expires. The whole duration, it's going to be free. And Lone Druid, he's becoming a problem in this game. If you don't burst him off the Ravage, he gets true form off. He's incredibly tanky in these engagements.
Yeah, 2 Wraith Bands before that fight. After it, he's now got 4. Big armor upgrade. 27 armor now on the bear, and his hero has 25. So they're mitigating most of the physical damage coming their way.
Double neutral item as well.
Be big pickup. They need that initiation. We talked about it. Getting a jump on a Quinn would have been the best, but they know Quinn was a target. The supports protect him.
They also know that this dead shot hit. Another thwarted jump for Zai, who did finish that pipe. It's a great pipe game if you can use it. And the best way you use it is you push. But are Liquid confident enough to just push straight up right now? I mean, they're sieging high ground with Pugna. This is pretty ballsy, especially with how that last push went. They don't even have Aegis here.
Yeah, seriously. But they do the damage pretty quickly, and they got the glyph out. So now, Gaimin Gladiators are put in a position where if they mess up this next team fight, they could be losing 1, maybe even 2 lanes of bears.
That was a value glyph. Absolutely value here. Gaimin, they're smoked. They want it to flank. Want it to backstab that push from Liquid. You know if they get on the back line, they're happy with the fight. You take this Pugna and Ench out. Daracho, he is just going to run in. Man does not give a damn.
But he gets ravaged.
Or does
and they
he?
burst him down in time. The Rolling Thunder is going to try and stop things, and Daracho gets off his BKB. Now he's going to be able to fight back. Mickey forcing forward, trying to put the damage onto Daracho, but underneath the Supernova, there's Dragon's Eye back into it, and Mickey has to start running away, but the Bear is on the other side.
Clean it house.
Sandwiches Liquid in this, and they are done for in this fight. They cannot stop the Bear. Liquid, another aggressive engagement from them, another utter disaster. They trade 1 for 5. They don't need the Razor to hit high ground. The Bear is coming to clean house.
Oh, he's coming. That is just a clump that you did not want to have happen there. You're stuck in the calling, stuck in the Sunray, stuck in the egg. Pango rolling through all of it. These choke points have been a nightmare for Liquid, as the AoE is just fully controlling them. And that's why Daracho just runs in here. Didn't even get the BKB off before the Ravage, but there's no chain stun that comes out. And all of a sudden, you're stuck down this ramp, and this is not where you want to be if you're Liquid, right? If Mickey cannot man up and kill that egg, which he didn't want to because there's a drain coming out on this Razor, you're in trouble. You are in absolutely big trouble here, as he is not strong enough to fight the Razor through 90% of his HP and the Bear through potentially a resummon.
Speaking of that Bear, that's going to be the casualty of this push from Gaimin Gladiators. They do not manage to get the melee barracks, but obviously a massive win for them nonetheless. Tier 2 and Tier 3 go down. And soon a Scotty on the table for Gaimin Gladiators. That's going to make the Luna's life so much harder. We're already seeing that the damage is running out a bit for this Luna. You get hit by that attack speed slow, which is twice the effective on range heroes. That's going to be rough.
The attack speed slows have done work for Gaimin.
Yeah.
The Fire Spirits, the calling, stacking these up. Honestly, Tofu has been a big problem in the fight for Liquid, just committing into Morta in these types of positions. It's deadly. It's very difficult unless you have multiple spell immunity, and right now the pipe is just not keeping them alive long enough to man up versus the multiple physical damage sources. This is why this type of lineup for Gaimin scales a lot harder into the late game than the previous one. They're not relying on some single target magical burst. If you can deal with that, the fight becomes easy. You have to deal with 3 cores who are all scaling up here, have pretty good synergy with the minus armor coming through from Eye of the Storm. And potentially 2 Bears if FaZe can stay alive, which so far, they have not been close to jumping him and killing him first. His positioning has been very strong. Throwing Aegis on top of this might just be too many lives to get through. Can Liquid make magic happen around the pit once more? They're late to the party this time. No blind 3-man torrent for you.
They're still going to try and take a fight. Though it seems like Gaimin Gladiators are aware of this situation. They are going to be pushing it.
It's all on Zai. You need a good Ravage jump on support.
And he gets the green initiation. It's just the Phoenix and maybe that lone druid. Backline still got up the Supernova, and now comes the Rolling Thunder. The egg dies, but are you going to be able to fight this one? Once again, they're trying to kite out this BKB of Mickey. Daracho's in deep, though, wanting to make use of this Aegis. Clear space for the rest of the team.
Oh, that's
Torrent Storm. Disarming a lot of them, and Torrent Storm bouncing off Gaimin Gladiators up
Bear
in the air.
dead.
And this team fight is too much.
No summon.
The Bear dies before Daracho's back into play. Well, they're running out of firepower. Mickey's low, but he's getting the heals out from Boxy. Is he able to stay alive here? Another tidal wave coming in, trying to help him out. The Disarm helps a bit, but they realize it. They have run out of power. They start retreating. They cannot save Mickey. They'll leave whoever is left behind. It's going to be 3 down on the side of Liquid, but it was a fair engagement to them. They were trapped up against an Aegis, and they still managed to do okay.
I mean, honestly, a pretty damn good fight for Liquid. They get a buyback off the Celery Phoenix. Egg went off, so that engagement started off pretty rough. You have to commit longer with your BKBs and just sit there while Daracho's linking you. And yeah, you get the Aegis off Daracho, so you eliminate some of that high ground pressure. Ace going down as well. Big pickup there. He did not have a resummon to take the longer end of that fight. And you got to remember, you're down to 10 or 12K going into this, right? It's just all Kunkka in that engagement. Torrent Storm did mad work.
Problem's going to be is this fight, the end result is not good enough for Liquid to change the narrative of this game. Gaimin Gladiators are still going to hold a pretty decent lead here and still have pretty good map control off of just having enough heroes up. Daracho, I mean, great Torrent Storm, better Tidal Wave. I mean, that was a sick combination.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn also gets cheese off there, right? If he gets maybe hit by one more of those Torrents and goes down, that's a different fight as well. He might get out of there with Mickey. The fact Quinn gets a full second life, full refill here and can take Mickey down at the end. That's what felt good about it for Gaimin here. 2 lives on 2 cores basically expended. But what can you do? You were not at the Roche in time, which means you rather fight here than at your base, right?
Yeah. And you also took down probably the most important hero to bring down first, the Lone Druid. So even if you do lose that fight, it's not going to be able to take your buildings immediately. All they lost was a tier 2, but Gaimin Gladiators still have the 13k gold lead, and now they have the Ayascati. They didn't have that one in the last team fight. That bear has become significantly tankier and much worse for the Luna to deal with.
Got 5,000 HP with 26 armor here.
Oh yeah.
He's going to harpoon you, he's going to slow you, he's going to provide the mischance. This is the Lone Druid problem right now. Do you try and burst Ace off a jump, or do you just deal with him? Woo. Yeah, that win probability has spiked significantly after that Roshan. We're still looking for the next item for Mickey, by the way. This has been about 10 to 12 minutes. He's trying to build this butterfly. He is struggling.
Yeah, he is. At this rate, he's going to get that butterfly, and we may see the MKB counter coming in from Gaimin Gladiators pretty quickly. Butterfly is here, though, so they have a window, perhaps, where the evasion can come into play.
You need to make sure the positioning is on point here when you jump with the Ravage, because the chain stun limitation is also something that's hurting Liquid on these goes. Like we saw there, they got Neg off, because what's your chain stun off Zai's jump? It's potentially a Torrent if you can line it up, and a Lucent Beam. That's it.
Well, there's a little bit more chance of chaining that stuns with a refresher done for the Kunkka. So we're going to have double Torrent Storms going on.
That's one way to control the fight. If you get to the other side of the Razor BKB, there's not much else outside of the Rolling Thunder, of course. That's going to save these heroes in double Torrent Storm. Cannot underestimate it, but you need to make sure Mickey is up, right? You need to align the control with the damage here for Liquid. Protect Mickey, get him to a point in the fight where the Torrent Storm and the Ravage are controlling heroes while the Luna's hitting them. Sounds a lot easier than it is at this point, when Gaimin can just run a frontliner in like Dyrachyo or Quinn and not care about anything. Of course, if you can find the supports, that's a big ticket as well. Taking this Mortar or Phoenix out of the fight opens it up a lot, especially when you know Celery does not have buyback here for 4 more minutes.
And he's going to try and protect that situation by getting an Aeon Disc. He's already bought out for it, so chance of you getting this guy before he gets off Supernova, I think, are pretty low, but we'll see.
Nisha shows on a D-ward off the gate, so Gaimin are aware Liquid are in the bottom of the map. Smoke will wear out as well. Triple 4-staff for Liquid, so they have some kiting potential.
Yeah, and
they're gonna need it.
If they know that, hey, hit the high ground really, really quickly, and you can get some buildings before they can TP back in time. The ranged barracks is the first to fall.
Just let the bear do the dirty work here.
Yep. The bear is perhaps expendable, though it does give up 300 gold. They've got a second one. This is a little bit of a dangerous point, though. Worst part would be losing your bear a second time, and then there goes 20,000 of your net worth.
You can't siege. Upside of taking that fight outside the Roche pit as well, right? You got rid of this Mega Aegis period that would have caused you some high ground potential problems. We should mention, however, that Topu has picked up a full BKB, so he has started his path towards true 4th core status, which I think is something that really cements these games in the current meta when they go ultra long. I'm not saying this game's going to go 80 minutes, but if it does, you know, having a carry Morta in your pocket, not too shabby.
Certainly helps.
And he's far. He's like 2k behind Zai here.
Zai, who's about to complete a Shiva's here pretty soon, so get some attack speed slow on their own side.
It's a very valuable Shiva's game. He's going to buy out for it. Martyr's played as well. Tide very tanky right now, but not if he just gets linked and gone on by the Razor. And of course, we saw Dyrachyo pick up the Refresher. This is the Razor dream right now. Double Satanic, double BKB, going in with a double Eye of the Storm. He will absolutely decimate the fight if he gets away with it.
How do you feel like this Razor scales? I'm looking at that level 25 talent. That looks so scared. He starts taking away attack speed too.
I think he's scaling like a beast in this game.
Yeah.
There is not a lot to deter him. If your Luna were ahead and can provide a big enough threat with something like Daedalus, a Refresher, some Ag synth you're eating, okay, maybe you can take that type of fight, right, with multiple 4-staffs kiting out the links.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that deals with Razor scale is survivability, either in utility or being able to stand your ground and fight him back. Lotus Orb is another big one here if Liquid can get it. But they don't really have natural Lotus Orb buyers. It's the downside of their lineup right now. Both these squishy supports don't really want to build it. The armor's not that great on them. And both these frontliners, they just need better items to be able to sustain the damage. So you're not ever reflecting Link in this game, which is, you know, breathing room for Duracho. He runs in, he links anybody. You're getting a Link. Just a matter of Forstaff potentially breaking it and resetting the fight. They'll continue to scout out the map here, try and get the lanes in. And farm it up. It will be that MKB for Ace to deal with the butterfly on Mickey. I mean, if you're Mickey, you just want at least one good fight out of this butterfly.
Yeah, but how do you actually get out there and do it?
If Games don't push your high ground, which it looks like they don't want to do without Roshan, then it's going to be that Rosh contest, right?
Yeah. Almost feels like Liquid are going to have to bank on a fast Roshan. Otherwise, that MKB could be done before the Roshan actually spawns. It's got 4K in the bank right now. Third Rosh, it actually spawns instantly for them. So
is going bottom, however, is it's going to shift the daytime here. I mean, it's good for gaming with the buyback potential on the outpost, but they don't have it on Duracho. They don't have it on either support. So there's some jump burst potential from Liquid. Take advantage of the lack of buybacks right now if they want to take the gamble.
There's a double damage on Duracho.
Yeah, there's also that looming in the bottle right now. And he's just ninja gearing in.
Zai puts himself on the front lines. They're immediately going to pounce onto him. Seeing if they can chase him down, slow him down, pull him back in as much as possible. They're trying to reset. He did manage to get a blink away.
Good
so they
reset.
are fully resetting off this one. The refresher immediately put to use. Duracho.
Oh, it's a man fight.
One fight against Big A. He's going to be able to win it. He is. No problems there whatsoever. And he doesn't give a damn about your water park ride, Mr. Kunkka. He's going to fight through this one. Oh, the rap's coming up. He's going to maybe be alive. He gets a little bit of life going out, but Duracho is still up. The last little bit of damage coming out from Insania is not going to be enough. Duracho this time. He mans up this time. He challenges Team Liquid, and he is the one left still standing in the end.
Puts Mickey in the dirt with that second BKB. No way Luna wins that man fight in round 2. It was good kiting initially from Liquid, but the longevity here in the items, the satanic. And this Razor aggression has paid off in game 2.
And with the bear, they can end it right here, right now. Liquid, they don't have the buybacks. I think they're just hoping Gaimin Gladiators don't actually go for the throat.
Not even close to buybacks. This is a game 2 win for sure here. We're going to get a game 3 between these two teams. An absolute beauty of a series right now as Gaming strike back with a lineup that very similar setup in terms of the push power, some sustain, but they made sure they had a lot more scale in the back pocket and were prepared to take those 30, 40-minute team fights in the 5-on-5 scenarios, right? And I think this game showed it felt a lot more comfortable for them. And Liquid, they went with this Luna 4 protect 1 type of strategy round 2. Didn't pay off in the same way at all because Mickey just couldn't take those later man fights versus the cores.
Yep.
And you didn't have that big Roshan swing to regain a lot of the momentum for your carry.
And dare I say it, Avery, a lesson from this series does feel like the fact that both times, game 1, we had Gaimin Gladiators, they took a lead, they tried to hit high ground, they lost control of the game. Now it was Liquid who had the early lead.
Oh, yeah.
They tried to hit the high ground, they immediately lost control of the game. It looks like in a situation where, unlike maybe some other series, this is one that cannot be ended quickly.
That's a high ground push that's going to haunt you years from now, right? Like, what happens in that game if we play it slower, go for a Roshan fight, or just take that fight better? Because that is a fight Liquid can win. But damn, did they get punished on that choke point.
All right, what are we going to be taking from this moving into game 3? I mean, what do you feel like was the winning factor for both of these teams and their victories?
I mean, honestly, I want to say it's probably going to slow down because I feel like a lot of times at TI, when teams go for these fast lineups, they fail the high ground, something goes wrong. They tend to go, okay, let's just pick a little more scale, play it a little more conservative, play to our wheelhouse. Maybe this third game is going to go the distance, so we don't want to fall behind in that regard. Both teams have failed with that tempo push, right? So that's something that's going to be in the back of your mind. But again, we are seeing some of these tempo heroes come out and played in a scale way like the Lone Druid for Ace this game. So it's not necessarily about the heroes. It's about when you're taking these objectives, how you're taking them, and making sure you're disciplined about it.
Well, we can leave the rest of the analysis to the brilliant minds on panel heading into game 3.
I'll make sure that I ask them all the questions about why Gaimin Gladiators won this game number 2 and why we're seeing a game at number 3 in this series. Matu, you wanted the Pugner and the Luna for Liquid. They ran a similar strat to what they had in game 1, and that was a win, but it didn't work for game 2.
It looked good until it didn't. So, got Aegis, tried to push high ground bottom, didn't quite work out. I mean, that was terrible. Nothing else to say about that. It's like, you tried, you failed. I feel like you shouldn't close out games like this in this patch. Like, you should take the advantage, retain it, farm the map more than the enemy does, and then when you're absolutely certain you can take it, you take it.
What was a factor of that uncertainty, Aoi, that they couldn't close out that high ground push and that it failed so miserably?
I'm not too sure if they didn't know that Quinn hit his level 15 in eggs timing, but I think that was just sort of them pushing into Gladiator's strongest timing. I think even if they didn't go high ground there, like Gladiators were going to look around the map for a fight, and it just happened that Liquid sort of gifted it to them.
That is a bit unfortunate, and from that timing, Liquid being set behind, was there just no space for them left in the rest of the game, Effie?
I think the fights afterwards for Liquid just went unfortunately. Like this one that's playing right now, they ravaged the Razor, but they couldn't quite kill him before he could BKB and turn the fight. Like, if they managed to burst Dyrachyo here, it might have looked very different for Liquid. They could have won it, but they just fell short on the damage. And later on, we saw that there was this one fight where Luna's BKB got forced before they could actually engage in any kind of fighting, so they chased Luna into the high ground. There's a beautiful wraparound by Ace, and Gaimin just found the good fights when it looked really bad for them.
I want to talk more on the Razor because, Marty, you were given the good, the bad of what heroes were. And Razor's normally a bad hero, but you said even a bad hero in the best game can look good. And it looked great.
I mean, it was amazing. If you find a one Razor hero, one Razor game during the whole tournament, it was definitely this game. Good performance, just going for the catch-up Midas. Lane didn't go that well, but in the end, like, this hero essentially counters like all 3 cores on Liquid, and it showed in the late game.
Yeah, especially when Razor got to that really critical point in the game where he had Satanic and the Refresher Orb, so if he wasn't getting burst down in these fights, he was BKBing, using the Satanic, refreshing, BKBing Satanic again. Like, it became a very big hurdle for Liquid to burst down this Liquid because every time they want to take the fight, they have to commit all of Enchantress's mana pool, they have to commit the Luna BKB. Kunkka does the bulk of the team fighting when the Rum buff is up, and Razor just outlasted all of that.
Is this what you wanted to see, Aoi, for game number 2 in Gaimin Gladiators? You're a little bit worried about how they were looking at the end of game 1 and walking into the booth for game 2.
No, for sure. I think it shows the resilience that they've shown all year. That's why they won all the majors and all these tournaments. I think something that really interests me right now is I feel like in game 1, Gladiators sort of had this game and they sort of threw it away. Game 2, Liquid sort of had this game, they threw it away. And it shows that, like, the amount of pressure on these teams at this type of tournament, sometimes it makes you do things that you look back on and you're like, oh, what was I doing? But it happens. It happens all the times, even to the best teams. And that's what really excites me for game 3.
I'm excited for it as well. Marta, do you want to talk about the Lone Druid, Ace's Lone Druid? Do you want to hype it up a little bit more?
Of course, Lone Druid, best hero ever. I have no bias. I never played that hero myself. Double good, as I said before the game, and it turned out to be triple good, quadruple. I mean, just bring it on.
Keep piling it on, just keep multiplying it.
Exactly. Oh my god, I'm so happy.
Look, we might be seeing it in the game number 3, but before we get there, Gaimin Gladiators, they clawed a win in this series. It does mean that we're going the full distance. We'll be going all 3 games. So let's know a little bit more about Gaimin Gladiators.
Gaimin Gladiators versus Evil Geniuses.
Definitely a very interesting game. Also the start felt a bit off, a bit shaky. I don't know if it's like nerves, pressure, or just the setup feels a bit off. The first 10 minutes were like a bit all over the place. We tried to get through with like our usual communication, how we do things and how we want to proceed.
They're going to try and go on Ace here. The Bristleback try and shut him down early, and they do just that. Because and Panda pick up a counter kill.
It didn't really work out, and eventually the game got stretched into a really long game and eventual base siege.
So you've seen EG be very patient about holding the high grounds going in these late games, right?
It does look like this is going to be a marathon.
We tried to go high ground, and they had the task kicks coming in, Willow shooting, they had like some Earthshaker, Dawnbreaker, so whenever you get too close, you get super smashed. I think we failed like 1 or 2 attempts horribly. Then we had to try to, while progressing the game, come up with a plan on how to eventually end the game. We tried splitting for a bit, reading, waiting for another Roche, coming with another attempt, feeding again, waiting for another Roche, and then we tried to let our Bristle get kicked in with some Pango rolls coming to create chaos so we can take one building at a time. Quinn was complaining, oh my god, this Willow is crazy, it's like she's just shooting me all over the place, and then it's like, oh shit, how are we gonna do this?
It looks like they may not even be able to get a single lane of barracks out of this.
Skelly Boys, meanwhile, are cleaning up a tier 3.
They're going to take the tier 3 tower. Who's pushing who here?
And then, I don't know, it took us like 4 ages to eventually break through.
5th Roshan of the game for Gaimin Gladiators. Their building is going to be hits, but it's Panda and Because, the P duo against Gaimin Gladiators as a full 5
does feel surreal in a way. For me, actually making it there now is an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything else.
The trials and tribulations of lower bracket, but also late game Dota there. I remember this game. We listened into their comms as well, and originally, pre the 40-minute mark, it was Gaimin Gladiators saying, focus on the heroes, don't worry about objectives. That's not really going to win us the game in the long run. And then it stretches out to almost 70 minutes, and they're like, all right, let's just focus only objectives. And that's the change, that's the shift when it does get to that late game Dota, Owie.
Yeah, I think what Gaimin Gladiators have done really well, like every time we hear the comms, is they're really good at identifying their win condition. I think we saw versus maybe Nouns it was when they were pushing out bottom, Quinn was just saying, oh, they need to run into us, we just need to stick as a ball. They're really good at talking about it before it happens, which leaves them more room for communication of fights to do the right thing.
Talking, that's the key point here, and I know two people that love to talk. It's Slacks and Tsunami with the crowd.
Hello, thank you so much, guys. Hello, how are y'all doing after that game? Game 3? Fantastic, and we have a wonderful opportunity here. We actually got a chance to talk to the real Team Liquid about that game. They're letting us listen to their comms right now. In fact, we have an interview with Nisha talking to Insania. Nisha, any words to Insania to cheer him up after that series?
In Game 3, we're going to hear Liquid are doing it.
That's the most words I've ever heard Nisha speak in my life.
Oh my God, Nisha, your camera presence has brought out so much.
This is incredible charisma that we're witnessing right now. Insania, you're here, you're supporting the entire team. What are you saying right now?
We can do it, boys.
Interesting. A little bit more feminine than I remember Aiden looking, but I respect it.
It was so real. It sounded just like him. Boxy, what are you feeling, bud?
My friends, I believe we need to ban the bear.
Oh, very smart. Zai, do you agree?
Crush your enemies.
Wow, don't show that camera angle. This is real. All right, go ahead.
Crush your enemies. See them driven before you and hear the lamentation of their women.
Wow. Wow. Nikkei, fine. Any last words, please?
Quinn needs to learn a real hero.
Okay, take it easy. That is not good team chemistry. I don't know. That's not great.
Teams seem a little bit combative here, but everyone loved the Inside the Pod segment, so we're getting inside the head right now.
Yeah, there's got some big heads on this team, but no worries. All right, guys. Well, before we get into that final game, can we let everyone know what they're missing out on in this arena? Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for your Game 3 one more time? They seem pretty excited out here, my friends. Pretty excited. Back to you.
I'd say that's a pretty overwhelming response on a game number 3 between Liquid and Gaimin Gladiators. Matu, you've been in positions before where you guys have your backs against the wall. You've been in that position. You got Blitz, you got Jabs, you got all 4 other players with you. What do you think is the conversation? Like, how, when you've been in this position, has the conversation piece gone? How positive is the environment?
I mean, definitely there is some discussions to be had after a game like this. Essentially just fumbling the game away in a manner that wasn't like really close. Like this high ground push wasn't close. So now you have to make the adjustments. Were the heroes bad or was the play bad? I would come to a conclusion that the play was bad. They did exact same thing that I scrutinized gaming in the first game as well. Like, you played your lanes good, you played the early game good, but now the real Dota starts, and what do you do with that? You go high ground with Aegis, minute 20? No, you don't. In this patch, at least, you gotta wait at least 60 minutes. That's like the unspoken code of Dota 2 currently.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're doing all that in 15 minutes?
You have to. I mean, you cramp it up a little bit, guys. We play like shit, let's play good.
That's it. That's the morale boost that you'd be giving it. But Ali, we talk about the lane domination. Martin mentioned it. Game 1, it was all for Gaimin Gladiators. In game number 2, it was for Liquid. So we've seen the efficiency in lane here. This is the rankings for this TI. And we're seeing no Liquid players, but Quinn is up there with 0.89.
What does this mean?
That's a good question. I'm hoping production is telling me in my ear because I don't know this stat either.
It's like their chance of winning the lane, or is it like how many creeps they get? Maybe it's how many creeps they get. Ramsey actually got 90% of the creeps in the. That's crazy.
I'm waiting. You just got to keep talking while we're waiting for the information.
Creeps to denies, maybe? I mean, efficiency could be a lot of things, but I would assume if it's a stat that can be measured, it's creeps versus denies. Let's just assume it's that.
Yes. Let's assume that.
I think there's not much for Liquid to talk about after game 2. I think it's something that would be really healthy for them to do is say, oh, we threw game 2, so what? Like, we're still in this best of 3. All our practice is already done for us. All of our learnings are already done for us. We just need to put into performance what we practice. They can reset like that. I think they were like on an upward trend throughout the games. They came back game 1. They looked really good game 2. If they can just pretty much ignore that this misplay happened, then I think game 3 will look good for them as well.
There's some hardcore pros on this team. A loss like this won't phase them. I mean, they've been here countless of times. You know, Zai played more pro games than I did, so I'm somewhat of a veteran, and just brush it off. Let's go game 3.
The pure number comparison of how many games these players have played, how many times they walked out on this stage is immeasurable. But Evie, we saw a similar strat for Liquid coming out, at least in the Pugner and the Lunar, maybe not so much in the rest of the supporting cast. Would you like to see them triple down on that, I should say? Or is it like, okay, it was a tough win for game 1 and it was a tough loss for game 2, maybe we look at something else for game 3?
And I think just approach the draft as it unfolds, honestly, because there's nothing in Liquid's draft that I would look at and try to change. Like Matthew mentioned, there was some issues with the play there, but honestly, I can see why they did it. They had such an insane net worth lead at that point in the game, and sometimes you're just in that side of the map, and one of your players goes, guys, I think we can go high ground, and you just follow suit, right? But I do think the Luna looks great for them, the Pugna looks great for them. They wouldn't be bad at all if they ran it back. Whereas Gaimin, even though they just won game 2, I think they definitely need to adjust the draft that they just played, because even though both teams in that last game were trying to make equal amounts of moves, Gaimin was just getting out-farmed, right? I saw Gaimin make smoke plays. I saw them use their Phoenix. I saw them rotate with their Pango. It's not like they just sat there and did nothing, but the Tri-Core of Gaimin could not out-farm the Tri-Core of Liquid. The Tri-Core of Liquid just racking up net worth, even though Gaimin was making moves. So they need to correct that. I still think they need to fix their late game scaling.
All right, well, the tempo was the question coming into this series. If Gaimin Gladiators were able to hit the same style that they did against Nouns yesterday, and it's already been answered in these 2 games, so how much do you focus then on lanes for themselves, Aoi, in drafting or that late game?
I think Gaimin lanes are important because they're very comfortable for the position that they usually end up after lanes, which is a bit ahead. Something that I think they need to look out for is I feel like they've been playing with a bit of desperation. I mean, the fight that made them lose the lead in that game was when they chased a Tidehunter like 1,000 range into his tier 2, got 4-man ravaged and meteor hammered. This is not a play that you would usually see from Gaimin Gladiators. So I think they should sort of think back to their practice, like what makes us the most comfortable so we can perform at our own peaks. It would be important. I think for them, that is having a strong offlane. I think that is like being able to rotate to the mid runes after they do on lanes.
And is that why we might not see too many changes when it comes to bans between these 2 teams? Primal, Bristleback, Spirit Breaker not getting let through in either of those 2 games?
I think so. I think the Pugna might be an interesting ban. We saw that Liquid in game 2, they shifted the Chen ban up in priority because they thought that 1, it frees up the ban in the second phase, 2, Gaimin might take it earlier. Pugna might also be similar because I feel like if Gaimin want to have strong lanes, there's a support that sort of nullifies any aggression.
Yeah, also the Kunkka, I feel that hero looked great in both games, even though it just lost. It just does so much by way of countering Quinn's hero pool, and it makes it so that Liquid always have this means to take team fights, even if they're in losing positions. So I think I'd like to see this Kunkka either taken or addressed.
I am actually very surprised about that Kunkka because he's been so disruptive in both games. The boat, especially in game number 2, put them in that position to get Roche to try and push high ground in the bottom lane of Gaimin Gladiators. And even later down, when Gaimin Gladiators were up in gold lead, the Kunkka was still having quite a lot of impact. Maybe not the burst damage they needed, but still a lot of impact and disruption to fights.
Kunkka is great. I just hope they don't stack up heroes like Kunkka and Tidehunter together. Like, essentially, like there are 2 big circles. They create these stuns all around them, and they have 2 heroes doing the same thing. Ideally, you have like certain jobs for heroes, and you don't really want to stack them because it's redundant. It's like diminishing returns. Like, it just doesn't work.
I like that point a lot, actually, because at the end of the day, if you look at their 3 cores, if Razor links Luna, you have 0 damage. but your damage is completely limited. You're not going to touch anyone on Gaimin Gladiators. That's sort of what ended up happening. Thrasher at the end, as long as he got the link on Luna, he could literally run in 1v5 and kill everyone, and there's just nothing stopping it. I think once you pick these Tidehunters or Kunkas, you need to make sure that the other core is going to provide a lot of damage as you already have the CC.
And the thing about that Luna too, as the game progressed, is there was just so much non-committal damage coming out of Gaimin, where Luna had to commit her defensive, items and her BKB early on, and then she just couldn't turn around. Like, there were some fights that looked decent. When Razor had the Aegis and they managed to burst him down the first time, you felt a glimmer of hope as a Liquid fan, right? But then all of a sudden you're like, wait, why are they taking so much damage? It's because the Phoenix is throwing out spells, the Quinn is throwing out swashbuckles and shield crashing in, and then all of a sudden, even though they committed to a kill, all of them are 30% HP.
Well, let's see what's going to happen for game number 3 as it's popping up.
Team Liquid versus Gaimin Gladiators. Game 3.
I'm so happy that we got a game number 3 between these two teams. It would have been a bit of a disappointment if we saw either one eliminated in a 2-0. So they're one apiece right now. A lot lies on this game number 3 if they're going to be able to keep their run alive in TI 12. Is the Kunkka going to get picked up again? Are we going to get a surprise Razor last pick? Or maybe Matu's favorite, a Lone Druid?
I hope they just don't tunnel vision this Kunkka. I mean, it's a great hero, but it can be countered. No Dota 2 hero is ever that broken that you just like pick it and he has nothing going on. I mean, maybe sometimes, but this is not the case for Kunkka. We're talking about. Like, it's a normal hero after all. So
balanced, you would say?
Balanced. I mean, Dota generally is balanced when it comes to TI.
Bad hero?
Kunkka, it's like, it's a good hero.
But only by like 5 or 10%?
No, I mean, there's only 2 definites.
Oh,
it's a bad
there's
hero
nothing
or
in
it's
between.
a good hero. Obviously.
There's double
like,
it's only one.
Oh, I see. I thought maybe it was like a sliding scale.
We used to be pro players, so like this is what we know that the audience doesn't. It's good or bad?
Kinda. There's no in between.
We'll get in the inside of the ex-pro player minds over there. With these bans, nothing is being changed up at all, actually. They're running it back for game number 3.
They are in a position, though, where Dazzle is still in the pool unless they choose to ban it out themselves. Oh, they prioritized the Pugna over the Dazzle. Honestly, nothing was wrong with Liquid's draft or play in that last game, so I can understand why they go back to this opener.
One adjustment I'd like Liquid to make is last game they ended up with the Pugna 4 and Enchantress 5. I feel like they were pretty all in the lanes. Like, we're sort of sitting here and we're talking about the high ground, but they might have felt a bit desperate because you have Pugna Enchantress versus Morta Phoenix. I feel like the enemy 2 supports can fight your heroes with buybacks and more. Like, you just don't have any contribution mid and late game. So I like them. Like, game 1 they had the Weaver, which scales a bit more than like some Ench or Pugna. I mean, it depends who's Ench, but I'd like to see them pick up a bit more like scale on their supports.
Are we gonna see Morta again for gaming? Just stick to their guns?
I would think so. I wouldn't see any reason not to. I mean, Tofu was 6-1 last game. He had a lot of impact. I think, again, to be honest, the lane went a bit worse than expected, which surprises me because historically I feel like Tofu and Ace have always done really well, specifically versus Liquid in their lanes. I think, I mean, so there was like the no Smurf thing in Dota. So Ace started playing all his games on like a rank 1k account, and he was like struggling because it's like not the Dota he's used to. So that might have affected the synergy, because I think usually they get to queue into a lot of games together and play a lot. And I think because of this no Smurf thing, like Tofu and Ace have not played together as much as before.
It could have been. I mean, Ace is the cornerstone in my eyes for this team. Like, everything revolves around this one hero. I mean, one player. He's like very specific type of player. Like, he's very greedy. He wants to win his lane. Like, I mean, he almost has to win his lane.
I think he has to.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if gaming wants to win a Dota 2 game, Ace has to win his lane. There's no...
Which has happened like every single lane though, right?
Exactly, that's funny. Gaming, like normally in Dota, you can't win 3 lanes. You have to make sacrifices. At most you usually expect to win 2. But gaming always tries to win every single lane. And then they just play off of that.
Striving for perfection, you know, win all 3 lanes. Hopefully the game is easy from then on out. Do you think that that's what they were contemplating then for that first pick? Do we go Morta, or do we try and pick up a stable Ace hero that is going to have a really good time in lane, and they're going to have to try really hard to counter in draft?
I sort of feel like they feel like the Morta Force is the strongest laner. So if you're going to go in with this philosophy of Ace needs to win his lane, you should feel like, oh, if Mortis the strongest laner, there's no reason for us not to pick this hero. We think it's going to give us the most stable lane. We think it gives us the best chance of winning the lane. Why would we not take this hero?
I'm sure they were debating it, you know, like the conditions to have a good game. Are we gonna run it third time again? I felt like they could have won the first game, but Liquid did. Liquid could have won the second game, but Gaming did, and they're like, oh, I mean, let's give it a chance. Let's just keep the pick same and let's play better Dota. That's what I like.
It's the most confusing when it's sort of like that too. Like you're not too sure if you should be changing something because the games are like a bit wonky. And you can't learn on the spot because you don't have access to the replays after the game. You have 15 minutes between each game. You need to reset, you know, use a washroom, maybe eat a banana, whatever. You don't have time to actually do real analysis of what happened. You just have to go with your gut.
I love eating bananas.
I know.
Is that what you were doing in your 15-minute break?
Partly, yeah.
Probably.
Just half a banana and I'm ready to go.
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, sugar like decreases the amount stress affects you. So you need something with a little bit of sugar.
That's it, you had bananas on hand. Well, Effie, all the way down there, you've been a little bit quiet. The Lone Druid, it's getting banned out. It's getting a little bit of focus. And the Faceless Void you brought up as a potential last pick for Game 2, and now it's making its way in bans for Game 3.
I mean, it makes sense that the Void got banned out here because I think they were taking a while just to talk about this banning phase, because if they were going to run back the Phoenix, that Void wouldn't have been banned out, right? But they decided to go for the Weaver themselves, which now you have two strong support into carry flexes in this Weaver and this Muerta. And Zero got ignored in the last game, but it still fits into that hyper-aggression of game and we talk about. But now that the Centaur is taken away, which was a potential with the Muerta, or it could have been the Phoenix opener with that Muerta, the Centaur Pugna is one of the strongest lanings you can have in this patch, and I do not think you can put a Muerta carry versus it. But that is the trade-off. Like in the game 1, we saw them trade the Centaur for the Weaver. It didn't work out for Gaimin, but we'll see if it works out this time.
Something that sort of surprises me, I think, has Trine been ignored like all 3 games?
No, he did get banned in Game 1.
Okay,
and then he got banned in the second phase for Game 2.
Okay, well that hero's open. I think the Muerta versus Centaur, that matchup, I sort of agree with you. Like Centaur has a lot of threat on him, especially if someone starts taking the gate. But I have seen some angles versus Centaur where like you go for like an overwhelming lane versus him, like some Muerta Tuskar, maybe a Muerta Trine. I think that actually could be something they can look at if they want to end up running this Muerta carry. I think it's just a bit awkward if the... Because I'm not too sure where Weaver's going, because I think you should probably not put him as carry versus Centaur. He's very reliant on winning the lane, but then you have to put the Muerta carry, and I think if you do that, you have to commit on the lane really hard.
I mean, it could still be a double support duo. I mean, you could pick something like a Grimstroke to enable this Weaver on lane and potentially play for kills onto the Centaur. Like, that could be a potential option for sure. But I just feel like Pugna plus Centaur, no matter who you put them versus, they are going to find ways to pressure that lane.
I like that they picked the Skywrath. I think the Pugna 4 for Liquid, it doesn't do enough for them. Like, it works really well for some teams. I think, like, VP, for example, they ran, like, Pugna 4 really well. Same for Batboom. But I think for Boxy, like, he wants more options on the map. Pugna's a very static 4. You'll look at the lane, you'll maybe look at some stacks, you'll maybe check the rune, but you don't have any real kill threat on your ganks. You don't really, like, make the plays. I think Boxy's important to Liquid in that sense.
It also gives you damage to kill the Muerta, right? And now you have a silence to potentially deal with the Weaver, and you can just chain into the Centaur stun, and you can look for mini plays around the map that don't necessarily involve these 5-man team fights.
If this is an offlane Wraith King, then this fits the description that you were talking about, Owie, of how Ace likes to play.
I think it's still, like, flex a bit. Like, the Wraith King can go to carry as well, but honestly, I wasn't even thinking of the offlane Wraith King. I think, yeah, that would be pretty good for them here.
I mean, the lane would be rough for him on safe lane. I feel like Centaur Sky might just over-harass him and he can't really farm.
It'll be really depend on your first wave, right? Like, if you get the Skeletons going, like, the Skywrath is really easy to kill, but I think, like, Centaur Skywrath is one of the strongest lanes in Dota. It's not easy to just go in casually. You need to have, like, either an equally strong lane or sort of, like, a plan about how you're going to cheese the first levels.
I'm super worried for this Sky Mage. Like, in paper it's good, but I feel like in the game, like, they need some real, like, protectors, like policemen, that stop the criminals from entering Skywrath mages and Pugna's territory here. Like, you need, like, just like
the security guards, the
security
big
guard,
bloody
exactly
guards.
what we have here all around.
This Weaver, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's support or core. Like, this Weaver's going to look to get on your backline this game. I think one thing that really helps is the Centaur Stampede. I've always liked playing these squishy range supports on the Centaur. It feels like it's so easy to position in a fight. But I can really see a game where, like there's like a very thin line between like having a lot of impact in the fight and you're just too far up trying to have impact and you just feed.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering why they would go for the Skywrath Mage instead of the Phoenix, which also seemed to be a popular hero this series, because I feel like Phoenix plus Centaur can accomplish similar things, but maybe they are just scared of Weaver's ability to pressure Phoenix early on.
I think the Phoenix is not quite the same like boxy type hero, that's why. Like I think on another team I can really see that Phoenix as well, but I think he really wants the ability to move towards mid and impact that matchup. Yeah, and we can see like the lanes are sort of set for Gaimin, I think. Like some Weaver plus Furion and Morta plus Wraith King, but honestly, they can still make adjustments to their lineup if they think that the matchups aren't good.
Do you think the Nature's Prophet is better on 5 just because Morta's a better 4, or Weaver's a better 4, or is it because Nature's Prophet on a 5 offers more to the map and the rotations?
I think it depends on the team. Do you have any idea, Matthew?
Not really, no.
I think there are like teams that play more for the safe lane, and you have the Furion 4, and you can really snowball that. Okay. Like the 4 Furion, I think it's a bit less committal when you rotate mid because all offlaners are more like set for being left alone.
Yep.
But some teams, I mean, my team was one of them. Like we really liked it on 5, for example, because we felt like you could like pressure into the lanes that you wanted to pressure more, which is usually our offlane. I think something I'm not too sure they're going to consider is like if they can like flex their lineup to put this Morta carry against Terrorblade. I think that's one of the best matchups in the game when, I mean, Terrorblade does nothing to Morta and you just kill him in 3 hits.
I would really like that.
Like, just wondering how can they do it though? Like, are you gonna have Weaver Morta lane? Maybe like Weaver 4, Wraith King 3, Furion 5?
I guess you can't do it.
It's like a scary lane, like Morta Furion versus Skywrath Centaur, right?
I don't think you're ever running a Furion mid here. That's
for sure not Furion.
Yeah,
like,
it has to be a Queen hero last pick.
Yeah.
So.
I'm just thinking about this Nature's Prophet, honestly. This hero has really fallen out of favor, and I guess when you look at heroes like Skywrath Mage and Pugna, you think that you can punish them very easy on with a TP into Sprout rotations, regardless of where you're laned, but as the game progresses, if Liquid picks some kind of jump hero on this mid lane for Nisha, something that can punish this Nature's Prophet, which I hope he does. The Earth Spirit gets found out, the Kunkka gets found out, but heroes in that archetype, then Furion just doesn't really provide that much for Gaimin's draft, so it feels like they're just all in on getting these early kills, or maybe they're kind of boxed in later to just playing for pushing lanes and trying to play them up with their Weaver, their Wraith King Skeletons, Furion cutting waves, but to be honest, I don't like this Furion pick. I feel like it threw a wedge into the draft a little bit.
Looking at the last phase of bans between the two teams, Kunkka taken out now, Earth Spirit taken out, Necro. Any other big Quinn heroes that are sticking out that Liquid really need to be careful of?
Quinn heroes?
Yeah.
Oh, Pangalier's out.
Yep, Pengo, Necro.
A lot of them have been taken out. I feel like we're gonna see some wild picks here. I'm hoping Dazzle was banned, unfortunately.
Okay. So TA ban straight into a Puck pick for Liquid.
The mid pick is not easy here, I think, because they have so much magic bursts on Liquid. Like, you can't pick any of these. I mean, DK's not really a hero in the meta right now, but the example versus Puck that you think of.
I mean, you could see it here, because it's objectively just looks good. Yeah.
Looks good?
Yeah. I feel like they need a tanky dude that goes in and does damage, like all the other mid heroes.
For sure you need some fight start here.
Yeah. I mean, this Puck pick throws a wedge in a lot of Gaimin's potential last picks, because Pango would have been a great pick versus the backline heroes of Liquid. It also would have been a way to pressure the Terrorblade, but Puck's coil makes it hard. And this Void Spirit is a Quinn specialty hero from the days of old. The hero has fallen off, but in a sense, it provides the same burst that you need against the Sky and the Pugna. It can also pressure the TV early on with rotations, but I mean, traditionally, Coil also counters the Spirit heroes. It does counter Void Spirit. We'll see, though.
What are you guys laying with these two drafts now? Al, if you want to go first?
I honestly feel like it's really hard for Gaimin to scale into Liquid. I feel like this Terrorblade is going to have a really free game, and unless like Gaimin do super on the lane, which they can, I think it'll be hard for them.
All right, look, Mato, I already know that you're going to go for Liquid, so instead of asking your opinions, we'll let Blitz speak for himself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the Blitz from Team Liquid. Give it up, crowd. Come on, please. Blitz, it's been one hell of a journey throughout the entire year, and we've come to this moment, of course, a Game 3 between you and Gaimin Gladiators. I mean, this is how it always works out, but I do want to talk about your guys' confidence. There's a lot of flex picks happening, Muertas, Weavers, things like that, but your draft, this one, especially this game, very locked into what everyone's going to do. Is that confidence in yourselves, or is that confidence against the enemy?
No, we have a lot of confidence in ourselves. I mean, obviously Gladiators has had our number in finals, but this ain't the finals, so I mean, I think it's gonna go pretty well. I just don't like making definitive statements, and I don't want to like lock in and say, oh, we're gonna smash these guys, because I mean, I like them too, and I think they're good people, and there's no hate between either of our teams, even though we see each other in the finals all the time. So.
All right, and as you've noticed, you have a lot of fans out there in the arena, so I did want to give you an opportunity to say something to the Liquid fans and everyone watching at home.
Oh, I just want to say thank you for coming to support us, or if you're just here to support Dota. I think regardless of whatever team loses, we live very charmed lives. We're super lucky to do this. I mean, I have a bunch of friends in there that I hope win, but regardless, you know, there's a lot of family and friends to us, a lot of management here too, just to support us. I mean, I think we're super lucky, regardless of what happens.
Absolutely, and we are lucky to see this Game 3 between these two teams one more time. Take it away, our wonderful casters.
The 37th time in games that these two teams will match up against each other, and it's the last one of the season. 21-15 is the current score to the favor of Gaimin Gladiators, but like Blitz said, this is no finals.
It is definitely not, and that means it's going to be a grudge match. It's going to get down and dirty, no way around it. Neither of these teams is going to want to leave this tournament empty-handed. So I'm looking towards a long game, some action, some pace, and of course, the jaws of defeat. Who can manage to escape them in this lower bracket elimination match?
Yeah, because we heard from panel, we heard backstage, we've been talking about it. Game 1 and Game 2, that was not the best form of either one of these teams. The TI pressure cooker, man, it definitely gets to people, and these teams have both slipped up and lost control of the game when they had it firmly in hand. And we'll see whether or not what happens in Game 3, whether or not they're going to elevate each other or if the pressure breaks these teams down, and who's going to remain the strongest in the end when they need it most. Ace is going to be in some trouble here, surrounded by Liquid members, and that'll be first blood to Mickey.
Nice little positioning by Liquid. 5 heroes to a rune can almost never go wrong, and I'm surprised we don't see teams do it more, because when you split up, you are giving a chance for that first blood. It'll go straight into Mickey's pocket. We talked after Game 2, what are these teams going to go to? I thought they were going to go to more scale, and I mean, what scale's harder than a Terrablader, right? This is one of the ultimate late game heroes. You have Puck to back it off. Back it up, a lot of pick-off damage between the two supports in terms of magical burst. And I kind of agree, like, the scale looks difficult for Gaming. However, we have seen Weaver just decimate heroes in the late game, right? This is not the same Weaver you're used to seeing. With the talents, with the shard, these Geminate hits come out, you get crits on them, anybody disappears. And of course, a Void Spirit for Quinn. One of his signature heroes and a hero he goes back to in crunch time when everything is on the line.
Deadshot gonna try and scare him away. Ace does manage to pick up that bounty rune. It is going to be a split. So we're going to see a situation here where, yeah, you gave up first blood if you're Gaimin Gladiators, but they also found one of the observer wards, and they still managed to go 2-2 on bounty runes. So a relatively even start, particularly since Nisha wasn't the one to claim the last hit. That would certainly change how this matchup goes between Void Spirit and Puck.
This is a very non-one-sided matchup. It's very skill-based. If you give Nisha first blood here, he definitely would probably run away with it. But now, Quinn has a decent shot to just win this lane. This is a matchup that he's played 1,000 times, I can guarantee it. He's very used to it. Had the block advantage to such a degree, it got under the tower though, so it's gonna push it right back into Nisha. We'll give him level 2 advantage, but I'm pretty curious to see how this plays out over the long run, because I would think Quinn can win it a little bit, but Void Spirit's just not a hero that's been in the meta recently at all. This is a hero that fell off very hard, got nerfed very hard. These Spirit Brothers are getting hit left, right, and center. He's like one of the last ones standing at this point as Ember has vacated the premises. He used to scale very hard, so this could be a Void Spirit if it gets to 60 minutes, can do some work. And yeah, Furion struggling on this bottom lane. I mean, we saw the panel talk about these side lanes for Liquid, right? They are very strong, particularly around those level 2 and 3 timings. If you don't cheese the early waves, as AUI said, these guys are probably just going to out-regen you, particularly the Skywrath Centaur lane that has been a struggle for Celery early, though he is surviving it. Of course, you had a little XP advantage off the first blood. Those things make a big difference over the long run.
I want to go back to this mid matchup just because I think the story between these two is pretty interesting. Nisha, for the longest time throughout his career, he's been heralded as the best player in the world. Maybe he still is that, maybe he's not. But Quinn has been rising. His stock is incredibly high right now due to Gaimin Gladiators' performance throughout the year, and he's long been heralded as one of the best laners, first in North America, and then the rest of the world. He's proved it this year. So going up against Nisha, I think, is a little special for him. And a chance to be able to take the throne away from the current best mid in the world.
He's also talked about playing in Europe this year, gave him the confidence to go against these players and rise to that occasion, and we're seeing it here. The lane going Quinn's way in a matchup he's very comfortable with. 13, 14, and 3 to the 8-0 on Nisha. So he's taking an early lead. This is what you want to see in this matchup. Be able to contest those power runes later on and deny the tempo away from Nisha on maybe the slightly stronger rotating hero here. I mean, if Puck gets a really good game here, there's not a lot to stop him, right? He's going to cause problems for Dyrachyo in the fight. Ace can't guarantee have the lockdown for him with a Wraith Fire Blast. It's just not the best stun in the world.
Yeah, the calling can sometimes be a little bit hard to hit. Dead shot's unreliable.
Yeah, I mean, the calling might be their best tool to deal with him if he runs out of, you know, Blink Johnson and everything, but this is a good Puck scaling game if it goes really late. Both these mids can have crazy impact down the road if they get there with the true 5 to 6 slots.
Good use of the calling to block out heroes from being able to grab that Lotus.
Still, we're seeing Ace struggle up here, man. That first blood did work for Mikke, and I mean, Liquid are continuing to abuse him on the lane here. Wraith King, not the strongest level 1 and 2 hero. You're really looking for that 3 to 5, and you really want to get kills or good lane pressure out of the skeletons. Just hasn't happened for Ace so far. Back
gonna be in trouble here. He gets one last stomp off before he goes.
Level advantage. Yep, double range, both level 3 to the level 2s on Liquid side, so Boxing's Eye eventually getting out XP down here, and I mean, this is a very strong lane of its own. Gaming decided to meet this aggressive lane with even more aggression. Sprout into Swarm, into just go on you, slay you, send you back to the fountain before the Vanguard can come out on Zai. Double ring is solid for the armor, but there's just not enough regen.
Yeah, Centaur starts with 0 armor, so the physical damage of Weaver is actually kind of a problem here. Picks up the water rune away from Nisha. Quinn continuing to have Nisha's number.
Box?
Looks like they're going to go for this Furion kill and get it, but it's going to be a trade-off. Boxy gives up his own life, and Dyrachyo is going to be happier for it as he puts the damage back onto Zai as he tries to get out of the way. Ring of Health is picked up, and he's got a healing sound, so he'll be able to stay in lane healthy.
Oh, we got the
but Dyrachyo takes away part of that healing cell.
Extra Geminate point as well. Opted not for Sakuchi cooldown. Just packing the raw damage into Zai here and taking advantage of early Falcon Blade for some regen. This is a very strong start for Dyrachyo, top of the board here. These extra kills mean a lot for Weaver in this early game in terms of a snowball carry. This is probably the best one in the meta. They're straight back onto Zai bottom, and it should be a pickup here with that blood grenade taking him out.
It's great reads from Gaimin Gladiators. In fact, they get the kill on the top lane as well. Seeing the Skywrath Mage TP mid, they knew it was perfectly fine to be able to dive a Centaur like they're doing, and now they're just trickling in one by one. Boxy underneath the towers being assaulted, and they can't really do much about it. He's going to try and hide, healing salve a little bit just to stay alive long enough for the Centaur to get here, but it's too late. Zai cannot punish Dyrachyo.
And the creep wave went past that tier 1, so Zai lost the flag bearer creep. He lost XP on that double salve down the drain. A huge amount of economic damage done bottom. I mean, it doesn't reflect in the CS, but Dyrachyo just took 1,000 gold lead over Zai on this bottom lane at 5 minutes here. This is an explosive start for an explosive carry in this patch. And we also saw Ace use the skeletons well top, right? That's at level 3 Wraith King timing. They found the opening there as well. So Gaming once more showing their prowess in the first 10 minutes here. One of the strongest laning teams in the world for a reason. This is the time to make use of it, right? They did not want to play these long games at TI. They did not want to play the 70-minute Midas Farm Fest. They wanted to use their strengths as a team, propel themselves to a podium finish. So far in this game 3, it's looking solid.
Power runes well controlled by Gaimin Gladiators, it looks like. Top lane.
Oh, that's a big rune.
Double damage. Quinn trying to pounce, misses out thanks to the phase shift, but does manage to nade him with the remnant and the dead shot from across the screen. Shows up for Tofu to get the last hit, but if they can get Quinn in return, Quinn knows he can't get away, so he'll accept his fate.
I mean, he's probably happy to get the kill on Nisha, shut Nisha down. That's a big swing in XP for him that is unfavorable towards Nisha, but you know he would have liked that double damage rune. I mean, both these mids are really good rune abusers, so that's what they're really fighting for here.
Got the silence onto Dyrachyo. The burst damage isn't going to be quite enough. He gets off Shikuchi, almost killing Zai in the process, but he respects his own life more than
1v2 and
kill.
Falcon Blade Bracer. A lot of early tank on this Weaver trying to survive the burst, and it's paid off here. Dyrachyo continuing to have a solid laning phase, dealing with the aggression. And I mean, look at the levels of Celery. That's the other factor of this bottom lane. This Furion's level 5 before the 7-minute Wisdom Rune. This is a crazy pace for him. If he can rotate to mid, there's just pressure on all 3 lanes now for Liquid. They have to deal with this, get through this period to where their heroes hit that mid-game stride and the Terrorblade can join the fights.
Speaking of that Terrorblade, close to the Weaver in net worth, hasn't gotten the same number of kills that Dyrachyo's been able to be a part of, but has done well in the CS. And one of the only heroes that really isn't being pressured in the lanes right now, though I'm sure Gaimin Gladiators will change that narrative at some point.
Man, Quinn just keeps on bringing the pain to Nisha. Does not want to let him have high resources on this map. Wants to continue to push the wave in so he can contest these power runes. This is what Void Spear can do in this matchup. You just spam the pulse. Very hard for Nisha to win these trades over the long term. Even the raindrop just getting broken down here as Quinn hunting for this next wave into the power rune. Tofu lingering around as well. I mean, this is one Liquid want to contest for sure. They're going to break both supports.
They know this time is going to be coming, trying to pull him back into the calling, and it was enough. Beautifully executed by Gaimin Gladiators. Just as Insania and Boxy were making the rotation through the river, it could not have been better executed. It could not have been better timed.
This is 8-minute rune going into Quinn's pocket, unless Boxy with a heads-up TP can deny it? No. So that's both supports rotating to watch their mid die and not get the rune. This early game shaping up to be very favorable for Gaimin. By the way, the whole time that happened, Ace just took your top tier 1 with some Skelly boys. So that tower's also gone, which will push Mickey farther into this jungle, open up the rotation to mid if Ace really wants it, which would not surprise me, as I feel like he's going to play this Wraith King like another lone druid. Go Radiance and hit the objectives.
Yep. And I wonder if he's going to go for that Aghanim Scepter that we've seen a lot from this off-lane Wraith King. That'll be pretty interesting considering how reliant Liquid is on burst, right? Their first 4 heroes we see in this game are all magic damage burst. They want to be able to get the numbers advantage. That Aghanim Scepter could ruin that entire concept. Coil underneath tower. Calling hits him a second time with the dead shot, pushing him back in. Tofu is playing this Muerta beautifully.
Showing the strength of it too. This is just not a spell you can dodge, and Nisha is struggling in this mid lane, getting outnumbered constantly, not winning the rune battles. Quinn outlaned him slightly and it created the advantage.
Oh, didn't get the silence off in time. He got off the Shikuchi as a result. And now they're going to turn. Quinn's going to show up with the Astral Steps and catch Zai. Going for more now. Dyrachyo offering the high five as he picks up the courier instead of going for the supports.
Liquid supports getting routed on the map right now. They don't have the levels to fight back. They're missing the ults on these bursts. On this burst duo that really needs them to follow up on the Centaur Stomp. Without that, you're just getting outpaced by the Furion and the Muerta here, which have the XP advantage, have the gold advantage, and are just playing around Quinn. Mid tower gone as well off that Ace backstab that I feel was inevitable. This is shaping up to be a very one-sided early game. It's going to come down to if Liquid can bring the game back. You know, that 10 to 20 minute period can be very strong for them. If they get the ults up, they find some quick bursts on the Weaver. A lot of squishy heroes on Gaimin side. So you build up these streaks, you give away a couple pickoffs. Suddenly, Mickey, he's going to be in a decent position.
Zai taking so much damage. The Vanguard plus the Chainmail, and it's still not enough to protect him here. Tofu does get popped. Does Nisha pay the price for it? Managed to dodge some of that damage thanks to the phase shift. And there's a lot of heroes here. Quinn's going to back away with this haste. Wait till Dyrachyo brings some reinforcement. He's going to jump onto Boxy, see if he can burst him down. He does so beautifully with the Wrath of Nature coming in. That high level of Celery is finally going to be able to pay off. Even if they don't collect the kill on Zai, just maintaining control of this area could be big for Gaimin Gladiators.
This is also ancient control for Mickey later as Liquid were thinking about stacking up the triangle. I mean, this is the recovery farm for Nisha. You invade this early, take the fight. It's an insane amount of space for Ace, who's just gobbling up the map right now, but you're also just not getting punished for it. Haste rune, again, the power rune control, which has gone to Quinn. Really make or breaking these early fights. They are taking a significant lead here as Liquid yet to strike back so far. You've seen momentum shift drastically in these games, however, so I would not put it past them. It has to be around these coils and the stomp, right? Your supports are not going to set up these big core kills. It's got to be around Nisha or Zai setting it up and bringing in the firepower afterwards. But you are still looking for level 6 on Boxy here. That's a big component. You need this Mystic Flare.
Stampede barely gets him out. Boy, that Solar Crest combined with the Weaver burst damage was pretty tough to deal with the coil, but the orb doesn't land. They're gonna miss a bit of damage here, but it looks like they can run down Tofu all the same. He gets off the calling, gets off a little bit damage before he falls. 12-minute power room. Can Liquid claim one for themselves finally?
You know Nisha wants it. You at least get a chance at the 50-50 tier, and he gets rewarded. Regen, maybe not the most powerful, but the one he will take right now.
Particularly with a Pugna who can already refill you up.
And Diracho's farming enemy ancients here, no fear. Very aggressive build, making it work. A lot of extra gold in their pocket, more economic damage going Liquid's way as this Blink Dagger for Zai is a long way off.
On the way, the Aether Remnant's going to be able to grab him. Half his health is gone in an instant. Zai is going to be bailed out by Insania, though. These are the kind of plays that Liquid is going to look to be able to save a hero and perhaps push back against Gaimin Gladiators. Got to make sure Gladiators, got to make sure they do not overextend themselves. Again,
they're just farming everything, though. It's more ancient stacks going their way. It's completely taken Liquid's side of the map. And the biggest ticking time bomb here is Ace, man. I mean, yeah. I haven't been watching him, but he's somehow more farmed than last game. This is going to be a faster Radiance. 13 and a half minutes here. In fact, 13 on the dot. He finishes it on the Courier.
It's going to be crazy good timing. A pickup, they have to get this. They committed so many heroes for it. They do manage to bring down Dyrachio. Almost got Celery as well. Zai just barely outside of that range.
That's that coil into Mystic Flare that they were waiting for. Mystic Flare delayed on Boxy, but the second he gets it, puts it to use. And this is a combo they can continue to use in this game. Gaimin are going to be very susceptible against it until they have, you know, maybe second item round, especially for Dyrachio on that BKB on Weaver. He dies every time in a silence from Skyrath or Puck if you have the damage follow-up. So now it's just getting to Zai's beak, getting to Zai's blink, and Mickey Scotty take a fight around those items, keep finding the pickoffs with the puck off cooldown, and stall this game out.
Pick off on Mickey here behind the tier 2. Celery completes the TP, spots Mickey. Quinn gets behind him now. See if they can burst him down. They've got plenty of silences and stuns to make sure there's no chance of Asunder. And thanks to the skeletons, they can get some good damage onto tier 2. Meanwhile, Dyrachio dodged a gank attempt. So they were both gunning for the enemy carry, but it's Gaimin Gladiators who succeed.
Will result in a swift tier 2 for Ace, who has occupied this side of the map and is squeezing Liquid back into their triangle here. Another power rune did go Nisha's way, but it's an invis, so again, the rune luck continuing to be obnoxious for him. This game continues, and another quick pause.
It's a dangerous moment, too. You can see Gaimin Gladiators.
Yeah, they are ramping up, right? This is a cross-map smoke.
Yeah, they're moving. They're trying to cut across, see if they can catch Nisha, anybody in the triangle. And if they succeed, Ace will have gone from a 13-minute Blink Dagger to a 13-minute Radiance to like a 15-minute Blink Dagger. He's very close.
This is a deadly fight right now if you give it up. Particularly for what Mickey's trying to do. He's trying to hit these timings on Terrorblade, and every time you give up a couple of these kills, it makes it harder for him to come into the fight and have impact, because he can reflect this Wraith King back against Gaimin, right? The Terrorblade can do some work, particularly if he can get Asunder off in a fight, if he's not debilitated by the calling silence here. Those are the things that have to line up here, which is why you need Zai and Nisha to create the initiation, or at least take the brunt of the go. The Echo finished for the Void Spear here as
that is going to be a little bit troublesome. Breaks the smoke move and goes for the pickoff on Tofu. It's not immediate. In fact, Insania, who tried to jump forward to finish him off, is going to be running into the silence. They trade out supports, though. Zai trying to find a target somewhere in this, only stomping up Celery, but Celery doesn't care. He's pretty tanky. In fact, he turns around. Mickey is going to be stalled up. They do manage to bring down the Wraith King the first time, while the Skyrath Mage is going to be left victim to Dyrachio's aggression. Mickey now trying to get out, but too many heroes are there. A double kill for Quinn and a 1-for-4 exchange for Gaimin Gladiators.
Morta continually causing Liquid problems in these fights. It's so hard to engage into this calling, plus the Deadshot reflecting heroes into it. And of course, Skeletons up for Ace that entire time, did a serious amount of damage here. 3,100 pumped out from this Wraith King, just burning everybody down. Happy to trade that level 1 ult for a cleanup on that team fight. Only Nisha survives. If that coil hits on Quinn, maybe you can commit on him with the follow-up, because I have decent positioning on the backside. But again, you're still looking for the Centaur blink here, right? You just don't have that stun initiation that brings your supports into the fight. It's a big component that's missing. They continue to look for it, and Dyrachio continues his hunting spree.
Yeah, he's got Decrepify, so he's going to be okay for a small window of time. The silence is lasting on to Dyrachio. Oh, we barely got off that time lapse. was a close call, but he does it, and because maybe he lives here, still hit by the coil. A little bit more damage is all they need. The Shukuchi lasts so long, though. He's going to get another round off. They are going to follow this orb, but it's not going to be enough. Nisha's not going to catch him. He gets away. Zai dies on the other side of the map, and they still got that kill onto Insania. Gaimin Gladiators are getting everything on this map and getting punished. Not at all.
Extra strength items for Dyrachyo paying off. Even that trusty shovel coming in handy there. Some HP. Yeah, I mean, the amount of Ancients they've taken off this map compared to Liquid is, it must be astounding, right? They took so many of their early stacks. They've been stacking their own side of the map as well. They have a Furion cleaning up the side waves, so this is just max efficiency right now.
The fact that he's taken so many Ancients on the side of Dyrachyo while holding that safe lane tower for this entire game. I mean, we haven't seen a tower go down. Liquid has not been able to get enough ground off of a losing laning phase.
And that's what's continuing to punish Zai here. Because Centaur is a hero that wants to open up this tier 1 off the back of early Vanguard and some lane domination. That is what Skyra Centaur is designed to do. So when you're put in this position, there's nothing to farm for Zai here. You can't go and do Ancients, take it away from his other cores. I mean, half of those have gone to Gaimin anyway. Where's he supposed to go, right? Still looking for this blink. 400 away. That will be the comeback opportunity here for Liquid as they have found themselves down 10K at 17 minutes. This is going to be a mountain to climb.
Two-man smoke up. Tofu and Quinn. Just like that last game where we saw the killing power of the Pugna plus Kunkka go to work, this combo has been equally deadly. They're going to try and put it to work on Zai once again, slowing down his blink dagger time and time again. The dead shot does not land. Can Quinn finish the job? He's going to jump in, but he immediately gets stopped up, and the overextension. Oh, he's got just a little bit left. Oh, he gets away to simulate on out, and they cannot finish the job. Even Insania on the other side. Quinn doubles back, sees the support trying to get the kill, but he dances away freely, and now Insania has got himself killed as well.
2,000 HP on a mid backline jumper. I mean, that is the Echo Ogre Club build paying off for Quinn here, and also just the delay and the timings, right? Imagine you get that connection 4 or 5 minutes ago. He's dead for sure.
Yep. Imagine you had a few more levels on the Centaur, right? He's only got 2 levels of double edge. The burst damage just wasn't there.
Zai's game is just, it's been decimated here. And we are feeling it as Liquid are also feeling it, trying to rally around these tower defense. And I mean, this is coming down to mid-game, right?
Oh, Mass CP's, but the coil wasn't in time. Managed to get the blink backwards. They're going to have to just hope they get celery, but even that, Gaimin Gladiators are showing they're willing to turn around and fight. And Zai's going to die again before he gets his blink dagger. The initiation missing, and pieces of it will continue to be missing as they lose yet another fight on the side of Liquid. Now they are getting desperate. Nisha cutting waves like this.
This BKB for Dyrachyo is coming out. It might just seal the deal in terms of you bursting the Weaver here. All these heroes just look so damn tanky.
Yeah.
You got a Mystic Flare, and it has to connect. It has to connect big here. And soon for Liquid, you're just looking at another early high ground because Gaimin have not been afraid to push the tempo very fast and go high ground early, especially building up the auras here. You're going to have a pipe from Celery. Gabe says, well, this game is almost over.
You got a 3% chance. That's what it gives you, Liquid.
Let me just say, though, I feel like I've won some games where I had worse odds than that.
Yeah. Get the BKB out of Dyrachyo. Again, the 3rd time he's picked up the BKB, and the first charge is used defensively, but I'm sure this one feels a lot better because they're killing Zai again. 7 deaths in 20 minutes. That has to be one of the highest death counts I've ever seen Zai have in his illustrious career.
This is a rough one for sure, and it's not going to be a pretty way back, right? You're just going to have to do it dirty and blink in, die every fight, and hope it's enough to carry it off the damage from the puck and the Terror Blade.
Yeah, that's the funny part, right? It doesn't get any better for Centaur when you're behind like this.
So he's still looking for that blink. He will eventually get it. It will be a glorious day when it happens.
I don't know. He's been hard stuck on that 2K net worth for a while.
He can sell some items here. It's okay.
That's true. That's true.
He has it guaranteed.
Well, he can't sell the Quelling Blade. Got to keep that at all times. That Furion is going to be super annoying for him. But you're right, 50 gold away. It'll happen. As long as he doesn't die, he could literally just sit in his base and wait.
No, he's chill. He's farming. Farming some pine cones in the corner right now. Untouched. Blink Dagger is bought here for Zai. He will finally get to it in this game. And now, you have to do something with it. but that's step one.
Yeah, that was step one of about, I would say, 20 different steps for a Liquid comeback. Because Gaimin Gladiators, they're super tanky. They've got a second life on Ace at all times, 6 reincarnation. Dyrachyo has a BKB. So yeah, you've got the initiation, but can you actually burst anybody before they get off their magic meter?
Not if the fight starts with Ace just going in, right? That's the nightmare for Liquid. If Ace just starts the fight, you have to punch through him twice. It's going to make sure that Dyrachyo gets his BKB off and Quinn gets a guaranteed jump. That's what Gaimin are looking for. And Ag's done for Quinn. This is extremely fast on top of the Echo here. This is where the Void Spear puck matchup becomes almost unplayable, right? Like, what is Nisha supposed to do into this double pulse that's silencing him? Quinn's going to have his freedom. BKB also done for Ace. So one of those lives, he's going to be running around immune for 9 seconds. But we did get the Scotty on Mickey, and this is one of the big comeback mechanisms for Liquid. If you can get a good fight with a reflection on Ace with Scotty just kiting out these heroes.
Celery cuts him off, but 10 HP, he does die in the end. Meanwhile, mid lane, they are fighting this one out. Quinn, once again, survives on just a little bit of damage. He actually went for that kill, you madman. The block, the shield is just enough to get Celery out of it, but Mickey, he's going to be in trouble. As soon as Zai dies, they're going to turn all their attention over to this guy. He gets it just on the tip. Quinn survives and gets Mickey killed with his final touch.
Liquid gets split on the map, and it just goes horrible here as they get nothing out of it outside of Celery top, which you wanted this Quinn kill again. It's very close. Mickey shows up with the Scotty. You get the connection. This is what you're looking for with that Blink Hoof Stomp reveal at 22 minutes, and still, Gaimin just outpacing you with the HP here. Your damage has continuously been behind, trying to up it up. It's just not there yet. And yeah, Ace, he's going to start every fight if he can. That was one of those rare opportunities where you got a chance to go on Quinn. You got to make those count.
Just seems like the laning phase has given Gaimin Gladiators that extra bit, like 10% more HP they've needed every single time, or almost every single time, to survive through the initiation. And it is beginning to snowball. Every single fight going worse and worse for Team Liquid. Now up to a 19,000 net worth lead for Gaimin Gladiators.
Yeah, it's out of control, right? And a lot of it's just on Celery and Tofu cleaning up so much of the map. Furion thrives in these situations where you can corner the enemy early off a good lane win and just clean up the lanes. I mean, full pipe Solar Crest on Celery. He's just going to build every utility item in the bank, make sure his cores are unkillable. The Glimmer Cape on Tofu is what bailed Quinn out on that mid lane as well. These are difficult items for Skyrath to play into, which is why this deficit is so looming, because you have to have this Mystic Flare connect. And every one of these utility items that come out makes it a little more difficult.
And the Terror Blade becomes even easier for Gaimin Gladiators to bring down with the completed Mjolnir for Dyrachyo.
Damage is coming, and it's coming fast. 2 minutes left on the Aegis here. Do you go high ground?
Yeah, I mean, they already
Gaimin,
picked it down to half, so
yeah,
might as well.
You are going high ground.
They can try and burst him, take away that Aegis as quick as possible. Not enough. Zai dies for pretty much nothing, because Dyrachyo just shrugs off that damage with the time lapse. And the Glyph will only stall Gaimin Gladiators for so long. Liquid, they are in desperate straits now. A little bit of heal put onto Mickey, but you don't have to worry about the heroes if you're Gaimin Gladiators. You can focus on the objectives.
Yeah, just wait for Ace to jump right. These reflections are what hurt. If Mickey keep getting knees off, this is what will actually deal the damage in the fight. That's why the
that
jump
radius
is
back around. Instant silence under the coil. Is it enough damage though? Once again, he's held in place, but he's too tanky. Mickey can't quite commit. Not with Gaimin Gladiators. The rest of heroes surging forward. They got that one kill. Immediate buyback though from Insania to hold this lane of barracks, and Gaimin Gladiators will respect it.
Just refill the resources here. No time lapse on Dyrachyo. Don't want to spend BKBs in a bad situation when you can just reset and continue to build your lead here.
Does mean they're going to be a little bit pushed for time if they would still want to use this Aegis. They got 1 minute left, so Dyrachyo, they just cruise straight down middle. They could still make good use of it.
Yeah, they can. I mean, this AC is almost completed for Ace. He's one component away. So the next 2 minutes, could have it if he just farms up the entire map.
Do you feel like Gaimin Gladiators,
also no meta,
a rush to take this lane of barracks?
I mean, no, but the opening's there because you know Mickey doesn't have meta. And there's no way Liquid are taking a fight without it, right?
So how much do you take then? Is the question.
It is the question.
There is a welcome mat on the front middle lane.
Nobody's home.
Gaimin Gladiators just walk right through the door, take the lane of barracks. There are no tier 2s. So they can translate this into even more. Team Liquid will be forced back to defend at some point.
Yeah, there's a wave in their base with the catapult. There's another wave coming in. They did not cut these. There's just a free double lane. There's no towers bottom as well. You're looking at Mega's potential. In a meta where the high ground has thwarted so many teams, Gaimin just stroll into a double lane here. No defense, no contest, as that meta is still 50 seconds off cooldown here.
I think
feels
the
like
worst
an
part,
eternity.
It doesn't feel like Liquid is getting an item. It's not like, oh, we gave up 2 lanes to Barracks, but now we have this. This will help us win everything. As, oh, Nisha gets caught up by that one. Phase shift is able to blink away. The Klong's going to be a problem, but he does manage to blink, but straight into the arms of Durantio. Easily takes up that kill and looks for more. Insanity's going to be cleaned out. That's a dieback for him. Zai dies right next to the fountain. Gaimin Gladiators are way too strong for Liquid right now, and they're going to go for the killing blow by taking Megas in the bottom lane. Again, there is really nothing rolling in for Liquid. Mickey is desperately trying to farm up with DKB, but he's one whole component away.
Ace right back in.
Almost one-shotting Boxy. Barely even needed Quinn's help.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go with this meta. 5 seconds on the cooldown for Mickey. Just praying he has enough time to get this, use it, make something happen.
Managed to grab him. Dies again. Zai.
Where's the team? They're all dead. I mean, meta.
Mickey against the world. Ace immediately going to jump onto him. Anybody help out Mickey? No chance at Asunder, and GG is called. Gaimin Gladiators will do it for the 22nd time this season. They will bring down Team Liquid. They've had their number all year round, and they will prove it on the biggest stage that Dota 2 has to offer.
That is a very frustrating defeat for Liquid. I mean, this has been their nemesis the whole season long, and most of it's been in the grand finals. Here you're in the lower bracket elimination match. That game 2, the game 1 especially, where those high grounds went wrong for both teams, right? Either of those games can come back to haunt you depending on if you win or lose this series. And as Liquid drop down here, it's one of those series where you go back, you play that game a bunch of times, how many versions of it do you win, right? And I mean, a hell of a season from both teams here. They will meet each other yet again. So much respect between these two.
For one final time at this year's TI, we're going to say goodbye to Team Liquid, one of the most consistent teams, but never able to find that championship, and sadly it'll slip through their fingers this year.